am incredibly excited, LB. I'm not going to lie. This is truly incredible start to the new year, and I'm delighted to be here in your
Yeah, it's
presence.
I'm really really excited. There's going to be a lot of really really good play, a lot of really good players testing out a new arena, as you guys can see in the background here. Pretty cool stuff. I'm pretty excited. I think it'll be a really good time to actually try this new arena out. Brand new year 2022. I suspect there'll be a lot of Elden Ring stuff going on this year, but we might as well get the DS3 in while we can, as we're all hopelessly addicted to this game.
And I think Sleep as well deserves a very big thank you for finding this arena
Absolutely,
and showing it
absolutely.
to us. Sleep Mover, everyone, thank you so much for showing this off. We couldn't have done it without you, gamer.
Yeah, no, it's definitely you know people always go beyond in our community, and Sleep's one of those people that's just kind of always finding cool little stuff. So big thank you to Sleep. Big thank you for Grim for also helping popularize it, etc. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Let's take a look at our challenge. This is finalized and updated. So the first match we're going to see is going to be Porpy Not Present versus Meyerkoff. And then the next match will be Snips versus Mr. Godgo, then Galoo and Empher, then Rusty Patches and Bames. And that will finish our round one and push us over to round two, where Value will fight the winner of Porpy and Myers. Then we'll go Call Me Bama and Smoke Wolf. Hackrish will fight the winner of Snips and Godgo. Then we'll go Chicken and Take Man. And then Fury, who is in this tournament that I'm very excited made the jump out of retirement to join this tournament. Will fight the winner of Galoo and Empher, and then Blimpo and Renamon will have a match, and then Amir will fight Rusty Patches or Bames, depending on who wins. And the final match of round two will be the Grim Sleeper and Red Light. And I'm really excited for that match as well, because those two are both really really good players and definitely have a good chunk of beef between one another that we'll get to see them kind of play out here.
There are going to be so many good matches here today and so
Yeah.
many good matchups. Like the old guard is a few of them have come out.
Yep.
We have like the newer people who are coming in to try and show the old crowd what's what,
Yeah.
Listen, young blood. It's going to be I honestly don't know how this is going to go, to be honest with you. I'm really really excited to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, no, I think it's like I said, there's just so much excitement and hype for this, and it'll great way to start the year off. I for one am very very excited to actually see how that's going to play out and everything that we have going forward.
Yeah.
I'll go over the challenge really quick as far as what to expect for bans and things like that. So let me jump over and we'll go over that really quick. And then I think we're pretty much set to start summoning people in at that point. So to get things started, just the conditions, the rules, the limits, all that stuff. So first off, it's a 125, SL 125. There's no exception if you're under or over it. SL 125. After that, we're gonna have the Ember is gonna be true. So you are gonna be embered health. If you aren't embered, again, that's an issue. The arena, as Enda and I talked about, is gonna be Dragon Barracks. The starting positions are gonna be the opposite from each one another on the walls in between the towers on each side. The matches are going to be best of 3 up until the semifinals, which will be a best of 5. Worth mentioning, the losers bracket is also going to be a best of 5 for that final match. And then, of course, the finals, absolute grand finals, will be a best of 9.
Yeah, I think having those early lightning rounds especially makes it very, very nice. To kind of keeps the flow going well and keeps us all kind of super on the edge of our seats to how it's actually going to pan out. I really dig that.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah,
really dig that.
absolutely. Into our limits, so Ashen Estus is going to be limited to 3 uses, so you can still use Ashen Estus. You are only going to get those 3 uses. Perseverance, you're going to be allowed to use up to 5 uses. So you're going to be able to reset that poise, push through certain things, but only up to 5 times. And Exploding Bolts are also going to be limited. This one's going to be limited to 7. Initially, we were looking at like 5, but we just kind of figured, hey, we're moving, we're in a different arena. Exploding Bolts can be dealt with. Let's go to 7, make it a little bit more fair. Into our actual bans, so any type of buff before the match starts is not allowed. Whether that's eating a blossom, putting a buff on your weapon, anything at all, any type of buff before the match starts is not allowed. Almost any type of healing, so that's going to include healing consumables, equipment that heals passively, healing spells, and chime weapon arts are all banned. Weapons that allow you to heal over doing damage are going to be allowed, but specifically the things that we mentioned are so pretty much all forms of healing are going to be banned. Quick Step, kind of obvious, that one's banned. Poise Casting, again, kind of obvious, that one's banned. And then into our weapons, for the most part, these weapon bans are pretty standard. There's a few different things in there, but you're going to have, Murky Hand, Scythe, Harp, both going to be banned. Pontiff Curve Sword, going to be banned. Scimitar, going to be banned. Demon Scar, going to be banned. Rotten Grew is allowed, just without the use of Rotten Pine Resin. And Rotten Pine Resin is also allowed, just not on Rotten Grew. So Rotten Grew with Pine Resin is banned, but Pine Resin on a different weapon or Rotten Grew is allowed. I think I mentioned Demon Scar. Corvian Great Knife we decided to ban. Fire Surge, Homing Soul Mass, again, pretty standard stuff. Pivot cancels, whether it's, Estus, Split Leaf, etc. Pivot cancels are banned. Any form of bow glitch, spell cancels, and other casting glitches, recovery cancel off of RKSS, pretty much glitches in general are just banned. So just stay away from those. And the last item banned is Blood Ring. Though it is an NA tournament, but just to be safe, we went ahead and banned Blood Ring. We figured we might as well just play it safe on that.
And think of any net black spots in the United States. There's none kind of, kind of bringing into mind. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, any third-party programs. Kind of silly that we have to mention this, but it's Dark Souls 3, so we do. Cheat Engine, Blue Sentinels, all that stuff is banned and not allowed. We did allow us one use of a third-party program, and that's the connection info. So DS3 connection info is allowed. So that way you can kind of test your connection with somebody as soon as you get summoned in, instead of having to kind of dance that out in the arena. But yeah, those are all of our rules and everything's set to go. I think we're good to start summoning people in, and yeah, ooh. And it's we're gonna be getting right into it, and I'm pretty excited for one. I know, Enda, you're excited. I think everybody in chat's excited. Zonic is through the moon. For those of you guys that don't know, a big thank you to Zonic for helping me organize this tournament. Zonic has been a huge help in actually being a tournament organizer and is quite good at it. And also for the losers bracket, once we get probably close to like that Grim Sleeper Red Light match is when Tommy and Kevin are going to go live with the losers bracket. So definitely jump over there and keep an eye on that. And we're going to have Prawn, who's actually helping set that world up as a tournament organizer. So big thank you to both of those guys.
Thank you to both of them. You've done an exceptional job so far. I'm really excited. And I think we have our two contestants in.
If you have a goal, that you might not reach it.
We're ready to go then whenever.
All right, let me, I had a tab back in here.
It feels phenomenal.
Awesome. And yeah, so Enda, whenever you want to start out the Expo Bolt in the round, let's make sure both of our contestants are against the wall and in the corner.
Hey, both of you against the wall there, chaps. That's not a threat, I promise. And on a 3, on a 2, and on a 1, the first match of the new year. Allez.
All right, and we're going to see Porpy on the left side here. We're going to see Myers using that Gale's Greatsword with the crossbow. Porpy on sword and board. Each player in neutral trying to find a way into one another. Porpy doing a really good job of holding down the center of this map, not letting Myers aggress with that Greatsword. And we'll see who's going to actually take the first swing in the first step. A poke comes out from Myers, angles it behind, baits into the running attack. Porpy trying to running attack of his own to try to counter that. Unfortunately, either of those are unable to land. And continuing out now in neutral, each player just trying to find a way in, and the R1s from neutral from Myers hoping to get Porpy to walk towards that a little bit. Porpy playing this really smart, not allowing Myers to use that hyper armor to make too many trades. The R1 from neutral comes out. Of course, Porpy able to reaction roll that and get out of the way, and this regular dance. We see the running attack comes out. The R1's coming for a whiff punish, goes for the backswing. Myers able to space that out and get up there. Porpy going for the fish. Myers actually finding it with an unlocked R1 there to get the first bit of damage in. So now we see the health advantage is in favor of Myers, and the poke comes out. R1 and doing a backswing there from Porpy, able to counter that out. And each player now back to neutral. Health about level at this point. And good to note that any damage taken is permanent here. There is no health regeneration or anything. So every little bit of damage these players take is completely permanent and definitely worth the damage.
I think Porpy's doing a really good job here of trying to bait out attacks. He did get clipped. He took the risk with the fish. Again, fishing is incredibly dangerous. You're looking at it's so higher risk for an equally big reward, but he got punished there on that. But again, both these players trying to figure out some way to, if not corner each other, just trying to put a little bit of pressure in. And Myers doing a great job of keeping Porpy away, and I think that's commendable here on both players here. We're gonna have it's going to be a long match. I have a feeling.
I think anytime when a weapon that has good hyper armor is around, the match typically takes a little bit longer because you have to dance around that a little bit more. We saw Porpy go in the corner, and Myers was able to push him there off of movement alone, so definitely good there. Porpy's tried a few different things, throwing some stuff out, like the lightning arm we saw, trying to find a little bit of damage. But again, these players are just sifting at neutral, trying to wait for one of them to make the mistake. And Porpy forced to block that running running attack, unable to actually space and roll that one out, but still able to hold his ground down with that block. So really good block there. The poke comes out from Myers. The fully physical versus the Black Knight shield is definitely a feels bad man on the side of Myers. It's going to be hard to use that poke to get any type of aggression if Porpy can just block. The running attack comes in from Porpy. Myers able to roll that out, trying to find a way in. Porpy going for the backstab. Myers tries to punish that, but unable to. The poke comes out as he sees it, and there's going to be the trade. 2 R1s from Myers. He's going to find the third one actually into the shield. Actually gets the bomb there, but Porpy able to roll that out and find 202 damage of his own. So the trade comes out in favor of Myers here overall, but Porpy able to hold down the ground and keep positioning, which is really, really important when you're going against this greatsword, to hold your positioning down and not let them aggress you in a way that's a little bit easier. Now we're going to see perhaps the Expo come out from Myers, actually puts it away, goes into that running attack from the poke. The R1 comes out, unable to find the backswing inside of Porpy, but the rolling attack from Myers, able to find a little bit more damage. So now the health advantage a little bit more in favor of Myers. Porpy really trying to find that backstab and run in and fish this greatsword, but Myers just completely aware that, able to bait it out. Porpy actually able to get him to bait that R1 behind and find a full R1 and a backswing there. And now the trade comes in favor of Myers, and that's going to be it. Porpy is going to fall. We're going to see 1-0 in favor of Myers.
1-0 to Myers. Myers is again renowned as quite a good greatsword player. I've been on the receiving end of it more than once, let me tell you, and it is a scary experience. But Porpy did his damnedest to try and get a little bit of pressure, but he just couldn't take advantage of any of it. Really unfortunate to see. We'll see how he adapts into this next.
Yeah, and what I like to see from Porpy there is he was going for those fishes a lot, which, like you explained, is a very high risk, high reward thing. And going for those fishes, he was able to condition Myers to kind of dead angle a little bit, and that actually allowed him to get a trade and get some damage in. But it only allowed him to do it once, and then Porpy was right there with damage of his own. Myers was right there with the damage of his own to kind of set up for those trades off of the read. So one of the cool things when you're looking at two players that are as good as these two players is the match is much less about just R1ing and a lot more about the actual mind game that they're playing with one another. And we saw that, based on that really long first match that we see between these two. When you're playing, something that has that hyper armor, that you're looking for those trades, it just makes that match longer because each player is playing a mind game at that point of what can I do to affect that other player.
It's interesting as well, what I didn't see from Myers all that much is trying to bait in the corner pressure. Because the corner pressure is somewhat nerfed here, especially with S&B in this new arena, just because we don't have you have an awful lot more space to maneuver. Some of those baits might actually be worth the risk. I'll be curious if that's going to be something we'll see later on. I mean, you still don't want to get caught in a corner with sword and board. That's still a bad time for everyone involved.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
But we'll see if that plays any part of it. I think both players are in their corners, and I'm ready to start if you give me the go-ahead there, LB.
Go ahead. We are 1-0 Myers in favor of Porpy.
And a 3, on a 2, on a 1. Allez.
All right, and here begins the match. So locking that Expo bolts in on the back now. Myers trying to find a way to aggress the sword and board again. And Porpy doing a really good job just hanging out in neutral here and forcing Myers to do something. But he actually runs into the rolling attack, goes in again. I don't know if he's trying to find the fish, but he actually lands it. 426 damage off the backstab of Porpy. So we're probably worth taking that rolling attack to set up for that backstab, as now the health huge in favor of Porpy here, as Myers just trying not to get pressured by this sword and board, doing a really good job of using that poke to keep Porpy from being able to strafe behind him, but Porpy able to read that, seeing what Myers is trying to do and run into it. So Myers now kind of on the back foot here, just throwing some R1s out, trying to catch Porpy. Porpy blocks the first two. Good stamina management to roll out of that third one and not allow that guard break to come in. Here comes the poke, forced to roll that one as the side of Porpy. Myers just kind of throwing these R1s out from neutral, hoping he walks into it, and he actually does. Baits into the backstab grab as well. Almost finds that, but here's going to be the fish from Porpy, able to find the running attack instead for 175 damage. The Blossom comes in now from Myers. Really good job to get away and get that, and actually allows Porpy to do the same. So now kind of resetting back to neutral. Perhaps we're going to see this Expo come out a little bit from Myers. Actually decides they don't want to do that, and now they're throwing in the R1s, able to get the trade. 638 damage on the side of Porpy. And
both of these players are playing so much more comfortably this round. Maybe nerves might have been kind of affecting them just a little bit. And Porpy goes onto the whip.
Yeah, very.
Some Endotech we're seeing.
Yeah, I think it might be very interesting to use that whip to try to poke through the rest. But by doing that, sacrificing the Black Knight shield, which again we saw him utilize quite a lot. And we'll see how he's able to continue pressuring now with the whip. And I think is that offhand whip, or is that offhand straight sword?
I think that's. I'm not actually sure.
I think it's offhand straight sword.
That would make a bit more sense. Those R2s on the whip are the only really good move outside of the rolling.
And
the crossbow,
yeah, we see the
though.
counter come in from the crossbow. So at this now, Porpy's in this health range where the crossbow is going to be a lot scarier, especially that he doesn't have that shield up. And Myers able to, keep him dancing around and throw that first one out for a little bit of cheeky damage. And this looks like the second exploding bolt we're going to see come out actually decides to roll cancel out of that and get back on the greatsword here. The R1's coming out from Porpy and able to find him. Myers is able to kind of walk into that backswing there. Really, really good placement by Porpy to get him to get them to walk into that. And let's see how they're able to continue. So we actually see the health advantage, I think, is still in favor of Porpy, but the positioning definitely on the side of Myers here. And the whip comes out, able to poke through that. And again, we're seeing this health level out a lot more now. And the bolt comes in, another 96 damage onto Porpy. Porpy's low enough that 96 damage is not for null. And we're actually going to see a little bit of dagger play come out now from Myers. And they'll find 75 damage, and that's going to be a 2-0 victory for Myers, moving in to the next round.
That was down to the wire, LB. My word, I'm actually kind of... I think we're starting off 2022 maybe a little bit different. How does that sound?
That sounds a little bit better. That sounds a little bit
Um,
better. Yeah, we're seeing, Myers able to find both of those at very, very, both of those fights I actually thought were going in favor of Porpy for a couple different things. Turn Enda up a little bit. Thank you, Tommy. I'm going to do that right now. So give me 1 second, gamers. My apologies for the delay in that. But let's go ahead and just crank Enda. You're pretty quiet. Let's turn you up to like right there. All right, go ahead and say something, Enda. Let's test this out. How's that sound? Thank you again for letting me see that, Tommy.
Testing, 1 2 1 2 testing. How are we?
Right. Yeah, I think it's good. It obviously sounds a little bit not loud on my side, but that is my side. So I'm sure it sounds a lot better on the Twitch side. But yeah, so in both of those matches, we saw Myers doing a really good job of trying to set up for those hyper armor trades, and Porpy doing a really good job of blocking it and actually finding a backstab throughout one of them. Our next set's going to be through Snips and Mr. Godgo, and having watched both of these players fight and play both of these players a lot, honestly, I have no clue what they're going to use in the tournament, and I'm really excited to see how that's actually going to play out.
It has been a long time. It's been since I've even seen Snips play. To my horror, I realized that I hadn't watched Fighter PL. Who's that? Oh, it's Snips. Okay.
This is going to be... I'm not surprised that this is what we see Snips coming out on.
And I've played Godgo a good few times. He's a solid player. It's going to be an interesting matchup here. I'm going to be really excited to see how this one is going to pan out. I don't trust the Thrall Hood, to be honest with you, LB. I'm feeling a little bit uncozy here.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I'm curious if we're going to see some 50-50 play. And, I've often said that 50-50 is tournament viable. So we'll see, if it really is or isn't. And it looks like both of our players are in. We are going to see the Shodel off stock from Godgo. Very interesting setup there.
Based setup. Okay, I'm with it so far versus what seems to be... Is that an S-Stock or a sword?
That's Godhard's by the looks of it on the side. At least it was when he spawned. I guess I'm not sure now. I'm trying to look through the side.
Okay, are we ready to go then, ladies and
It looks like our contestants are ready.
And then a 3, on a 2, on a 1.
And there's the bomb in. We do see Tears coming out and actually gets punished off that. The Shodel running attack able to find a little bit of damage. And we see the small round, the Llewellyn shield actually coming out from Snip. So again, the 50-50 play style might actually be what needs to take down the off-stock Shodel. And we're going to see the off-stock try to punish that running attack there. Running in from the Shodel, we're going to see Snips going for that R1. I'm surprised he didn't go for the backswing there. Probably a good call considering. So the trade comes out. The dead angle for the parry. Godgo able to read that pretty well and dead angle that Shodel around. The ring swap now coming in from Godgo, trying to get as much of those buffs as possible throughout the limited of health that you do have. Running attack comes out from Snips. Almost lands that parry, actually. Really, really close, but we actually see a Dagger Expo coming out now from Godgo. And the weapon art comes in from that and trying to perhaps bait Snips in to go for that parry or something along those lines. The R1s come out. Godgo probably looking for a backstab there.
Nice, very nice. You got the backswing there out of that one. The crossbow comes out. Snips misses that, but to be expected. And now we're just going to have a little dance around the way. Both of these players are playing incredibly aggressive. This is a night and day compared to the last one. Snips has him in a corner with a straight sword, but he manages to escape.
Yeah, Snip's able to actually find Godgo in a bad position there and able to punish that with full 2 R1s and keeps the spam up to try to keep that going. I think a free aim would have helped him, but actually that chip damaged quite a lot. So Snip's on the dark build here, able to chip through that. Goes for the parry again, but unfortunately not going to find it, and that's going to be a huge health loss on Snips, and able to try to punish that. The rolling attack comes out. There's going to be the tier pop, and Snips now trying to pressure. He loses tiers and just immediately pressures, but now that tiers are gone, the Expo is going to do all the work there, and Godgo's going to take that in a 1-0 victory.
And the point up to send him home. God bless, man. That was pretty intense, not gonna lie. Straight off the bat, both players pressuring each other, trying to find any little bit of space they could get on the other one. Just kept going. God go, one might say. Yeah, for sure. That seems pretty accurate. And now both of them are gone.
Absolutely.
But yeah, really solid play there on both of their parts. They're really aggro.
Yeah, it was interesting to see actually that Snips came out, like I said, obviously on the Fighter PL cosplay here, came out and just immediately was aggressive off the bat, and it can be quite difficult to aggress anything that has an off stock because of the trade ability that off stock gets, and in addition to that trade ability, just the fact that it can whiff punish so easily, and if you miss that R1 by even a little bit, you're set up for a combo of damage. So really like to see the aggression there. Actually almost landed a couple of the different parries. The one on the Got stock I really thought was going to land, but unfortunately Godgo was just able to time it out a little bit better and go for that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see now how they adapt. Will we see a little bit more of passive play style? Will Fighter PL retire temporarily for something effort now that he hasn't taken the first round? We'll just have to wait and see.
Absolutely.
Or will he lean into it?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think, obviously Godgo on a little bit more in terms of how tournaments go, on a little bit more traditional build here, optimal armor, the off-stock, the Shodel. And I did, obviously any setup with Godhards is probably a pretty decent setup. So Snips definitely has a pretty solid setup, moving forward in this fight. It's just a matter of, not having the block that he needs against some of those Expo bolts that we saw. And once he kind of fell for that RKSS full weapon art that Godgo landed on him, it really just kind of changed the whole fight, because now he gave up 400 and some damage, and the Expo is going to easily be able to chip that through, even through tiers. So very curious to see. It actually looks like a great sword is coming out from Godgo, so I'm not sure if that is if that's an assumption of the 50-50 that we're seeing Snips use, or if that's for another reason. It actually looks like he swapped off of that, and we'll see how it moves forward.
Nice to see he has it in his back pocket, though. He might come out and swap on to do the weapon art or something fancy, perhaps. It's hard to tell. I wouldn't have decked him to be a swapper, but you know what? In the tournaments, sometimes all the tricks have to come out to take it away.
Absolutely.
I think both of our contestants are in the corner, so I think I'm pretty much ready to send her off. Do you want to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
On a 3, on a 2, on a 1.
And there's the bomb in. So actually the Dragon Slayer spear comes out from Godgo to try to counter this. And I'm not sure if that's the weapon that I would actually use to try to counter this, but the chip damage comes in and actually finds a guard break, unable to land it, goes for the backstab instead, and just trying to make something out of that. And actually the R1's come in from Snips, able to pressure that spear, reading that he's just going to go in and try to R1 from neutral. And here comes the great sword. And so let's see how Snips able to manage that. The running attack comes in. Snips goes for the parry, unable to land that, instead just eating the damage. I would have rather seen some type of strafe come out around that. And there's the parry right there. Here's the soft swap, and this is going to be how much damage? 1,258 damage off of the Chaos Hornet Ring. And let's see how he's able to do that. The R1's coming out from the dagger, trying to find as much as possible. Now Godgo really put on the back foot here from a single parry coming out from Snips. We see the running attack comes in. There's the rolling attack from Snips for 240 damage. And Snips is going to find that out. And there's the point down, truly, capturing the cosplay that he wanted to.
I think he's embodied it. Are we sure he hasn't swapped himself out for another person? I think we might need a judge's ruling on this. To be
absolutely, I think Fighter PL may have actually joined this tournament. Very interesting. But yeah, that was. I like to see, as much grief as we like to give, parry spams and stuff, though Snips is definitely throwing out a lot. The ones that he's going for are pretty decent reads, and he's trying to land those off of that. Like for example, on the parry he got on the spear there, he did a really good job of setting Godgo up to try to attack there and to land that parry. And of course, with the Chaos Hornet Ring, he took out almost 1,300 damage of Godgo's health, and that's a lot of damage in a completely permanent exactly. So definitely this has has the ability to definitely do well in this tournament, and it's worked so far. We have a 1-1 going towards this final part.
And he looks like he's going to be staying on Fighter, and Fighter PL is staying in again. I'll be curious what cosplay he'll go for the next one, to be honest with you, assuming he gets through. But damn, this is going to be a close match. We'll see how Godgo figures out what to do against the setup. We might even see an Ultra. We might even see
see the Ultra. We might. And that's the thing is I always kind of make, like I said, I've made a lot of jokes that 50-50 is better than Waggle PK. I don't think that's actually the case, but like I said, I like to make the joke that 50-50 can counter that, because all you need to do is land a single parry, and if you get the read right, you can land that pretty easily. But one of the things I think will be really, really cool to see as, we see this next lineup, like you said, seeing if Godgo's going to try something different. I think the off-stock Shodel is probably the better counter that he has to this. It's an extremely hard weapon to react to with the off-stock. The Shodel's just slow enough that it can, have a few different issues in trying to actually, predict and land that parry.
All right, folks, I think we're ready to go for the match point on this one. Snips versus Mr. Godgo on a 3, on a 2, and a 1. LA.
And there's the bomb. We see the tears coming out from Snips. The spear running an attack from Godgo. Looks like Godgo is going to stay on the spear. Actually swaps back over to the greatsword. So really curious to see how he's going to try to play out that. Health is technically in his favor now that he had that cheeky little hit. The Snips able to find the Blossom and allow Godgo to do the same. So Snips now controlling the middle of the map. And we kind of see, like we saw with Porpy and Myers, where that straight sword's controlling the middle of the map and that greatsword's trying to get them to walk into something. And the running attack comes in, able to counter the running attack from Godgo. Almost gets roll caught by the greatsword, but able to roll in through. Actually almost gets, I don't know if he just stopped blocking out of fear of stamina or what exactly that was, but Snips does eat the second R1 there and actually swapped off of the parry shield, but then back over to it. The parry off of neutral against the greatsword, very, very risky, but nearly lands it, I think, if Godgo did R1 there. And let's see if he's able to find it. Goes for the parry again, but that's 640 damage now. Goes for the backstab for 1,020 damage total now that Godgo gets. And here comes the dagger out and the expo. So now Snips is in that range. And they actually see the fat roll come out, but he doesn't even care. He's going to keep going with the fat roll. And let's see if Snips is able to aggress this and keep that off. The block trying to come in. He's going to find that. And there's going to be 2 R1s. And he actually gets off the fat roll. So good use for Godgo there. Only having to use a couple of the expo bolts there. And there's 3. He still has a couple more. And the chip falls through. And Godgo finds it. So that's going to be a 2-1 favor in Godgo, moving him into the next round.
I have no words. This is pretty incredible, I'm not going to lie. I'm shocked. Surprised. Again, it looks like 2022 is going to be just a little bit different this time around, I think. Fair play to you, Snips. Well done for that. I'm still convinced you've swapped out for the real thing. I'm not going to lie. We will check into it.
And
we'll have to look in here.
Yeah, I think, what we see from like the play style that Snips has here is, it's something that we're all familiar with, and I think he just got a little too liberal in trying to parry that greatsword. I think if he played a little bit safer and a little bit smarter and respected the greatsword, for what was actually happening there, he would have had a lot better success, in countering that greatsword. Going for a neutral parry on a greatsword is extremely risky because it's not a very easy weapon to actually parry, and you do almost have to land a prediction parry on that weapon. Yeah. So going for the parries on that really, really, not necessarily probably the best idea that he had, and throughout 3 matches he only landed the 1 parry. So we'll see if Snips continues that through the losers bracket, or if he does change up the build a little bit. But now we're going to see Galoo and Emperor, and these are 2, I think, evenly matched players, and I'm quite excited to see how they actually play out with one another.
I play with Emperor on a fairly regular basis. I think he's getting there. He's becoming really, really good really, really quickly over the last few months. A really solid guy as well. I don't know so much about the other guys, so I'm going to be really curious to see how this goes, and I think we're ready to go. What you reckon, LB?
I think we're there. So we have Galoo on the left, Emperor on the right, and let's see how this really plays out.
On a 3, on a 2, on a 1. LA.
And the bomb is in, so we see the sword and board coming out from Emperor, and Galoo actually doing a swap over, but the weapon art comes in to find the damage off of Ring Knight straight sword and finds the R2 to roll catch as well. That's 697 damage. So we're actually I think Galoo wanted to start without a weapon out to perhaps try to confuse the enemy a little bit or not let them know that he was going to do, but we do see the straight sword, 2-handed Gotthards coming out. Interesting that he's choosing the 2-handed Gotthards over having a proper offhand, and actually just drops that for no offhand again. So really interesting choice, and the R1s come out. Really good read from Emfer. Forces him in to eat 4 of those R1s, and there's Galoo going for the trade. Emfer able to find it, so a clear sweep of a 1-0 there for Emfer. Really controlled that match from the get-go.
And again, I can speak from experience. Enfer has been putting the work in. He's been doing an awful lot of work, and it's definitely paying off from on the honest Enfer, the honest, and his honest RKSS. And it seems to be working out really well for him. I'll just remind him not to cancel, bro. Okay, please.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's I will say every time I see RKSS in a tournament like this, I'm like, oh no, don't do it. Because as soon as I grab RKSS, the first thing I do is cancel, whether or not I'm planning on it. It just kind of happens. So I'm glad to see that discipline come out. And we actually saw him again. I'm not sure what Galoo's plan actually was there. If the idea was to not let Emfer know what he was going to use off the get-go, and perhaps he was going to try to do off stock or something along those lines. But Emfer saw that and just immediately ran up and hit him with a full weapon art of RKSS, and then actually roll caught off of the R2. So I don't think that, in an arena this small, as with Old Wolf, you have a lot more room with one another because it's that rectangle shape. This being a true square, it makes it a lot harder to do cheeky stuff like that, to try to confuse your opponent. You kind of have to be ready as soon as that bomb hits to get whatever buff you want on and get going.
And we actually see it. That we did right off the bat, you could land a HSM. Right off the bat, no messing. Like, it didn't matter corner to corner, you could still get it. So it is, again, that small that you have to be that little bit careful. And I think we're ready to go here. What do you reckon?
I think we're ready.
On a 3, on a 2, on a 1.
And the bomb is in, so we do see the straight sword again. No half hand coming out from Galoo. Perhaps he's looking to do some type of swap or something, but the RKSS comes out from Emfer, able to land that first running attack R1 into the full weapon art again, and I think he's trying to use the butt scratch recovery kek there to just try to get a little bit better recovery, but we see the off stock now finally coming out from Galoo. It only took him 2 rounds to find that second hand weapon, and actually loses the trade there and goes for it again for an RKSS. Does he find the roll catch? He does, and Emfer with a very strong 2-0 over Galoo.
Oh my god. Oh, that was quick.
Yeah,
Enfer literally beating up children. This is going in the book, boys. Holy crap.
Yeah,
damn.
Like I said, Emfer didn't really mess around with that one. He held his ground extremely well. And in doing that, it made it really hard for Galoo to try to do these things that he was trying to with, trying to confuse him off of the setups and, things along those lines. And it really leads, it gets you to this situation where, you're trying to play kind of a mind game, and Emfer just doesn't let him do that. He just immediately is there. He has the ability to pretty much reaction trade with the RKSS weapon art. And not quite full off of reaction, but on this latency, it's pretty darn close.
Yeah. And again, like, what we're seeing here, especially in this arena, is incredibly aggressive fights right off the bat. I don't know if it's necessarily because of the size or because people aren't used to playing in it, but damn, yeah, it's eye-opening how much aggression is going on here. There's very little messing about neutral. Very little kind of messing around in the middle. You're right up in someone's face. It's refreshing to see.
It is. Yeah,
refreshing to see.
And as we still saw with like the Porpy and Myers match, it still kind of leads you in this position where you can kind of dance around each other and you can play it a little bit slower, but the arena doesn't necessarily push for that or make it easy to do that. You kind of, between the two of you, have to kind of have like a little gentleman's agreement that you're fighting that's how you're going to fight this match.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see, as we see, continue going on some of this stuff, what we see happen, and it looks like we're going to see Rusty Patches and Bames, and these are 2 players I've had the joy of fighting with a few different times, and they're both quite good on their dedicated setups. So I'm curious to see what we're going to see come out from the 2 of these players.
I think I've ever played Patches. I'm not sure, but I've definitely played Bames. Bames is a nice, solid player. I enjoy fighting him. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how this one does. I'm really excited to see how Patches does, to be honest, more so than anything else. Should be exciting.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
We need to make them get in the right spots. It's not like Old Wolf where you go diagonal.
Oh, correct.
Are we gonna do like the match that goes up to value, or are we gonna do all the matches that had the people and then go to like the value and like the hackerish matches, the ones that?
I was gonna go through exactly as the challenge says. So round 2 will start with value and Myers.
Okay. All right.
Cool beans.
Awesome. And yeah, and opponents, if you could just get in the opposite wall, so it's not corner to corner, it's wall to wall.
Yeah, good stuff. Cool beans.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Zonic. For those of
Cheers,
you
Zonic.
wondering, that voice in the back is Zonic, and he's our tournament organizer today. So definitely, again, give him a huge thank you any chance you get.
I'd take my hat off, but the effort.
Yeah, the headphones, it makes it hard.
All right, gentlemen, are we on the ready?
It looks
On a
like
3,
we are.
On a 2, on a 1. Allez.
And there's the bomb in. We see Bames with, looks like Gotstock and Sword and Board Gotthard's Black Knight Shield from the side of Rusty Patches. So throwing knives coming out between the players. I don't know if they're just trying to test lat or just try to get off those buffs on one another, but we see the first dance in a true meta weapon matchup here. We have Gotstock versus Sword and Board. So this is the first time we've seen, you know, two truly meta weapon setups come against each other in this tournament so far. So we see the running attack coming out from Bames trying to find the damage, you know, and Rusty able to push that out, but he goes for the R1. Then Gotstock's actually going to find that, punishing in, and we see, you know, Patches kind of forced back to the corner, trying to find something to do with that. Goes over to the Expo and says, you know what, I'm going to stick with the off stock. So now we see the Gotstock mirror coming out between these two players, and Bames doing a really good job of positioning here to not allow Rusty to get out where he wants to. And he actually baits into the R1
nice
and able to land a
interrupt.
full R1 and a backswing. Tries to go for the roll catch, but Rusty able to get out of the way of that one, and they continue going. And again, we see this really, really aggressive positioning from Bames to not let Rusty get out. Rusty is forced to R1 or aggress to get out, and that's exactly what Bames wants him to do with this setup. Goes for the Gotstock, unable to land it, but does still find a little bit of damage. The trade now comes out, actually still, I think, in favor in damage overall to Bames. Bames able to get the nice little ring swap there to get those buffs back, and the Gotstock comes out from Rusty. So now Rusty finally, after sacrificing almost all of his health, is able to get back to neutral and out of that corner. But actually, really good read there. Goes for the roll catch off of the Gotstock instead of punishing. Rolls into the Gotstock and actually finds a rolling attack as well. The Gotstock comes up from game, instead of punish that. Goes for the backswing, actually lands it for a total of 4 R1s, lands 615 damage, and there's the off stock there for 134 to cancel this one out. Bames is going to take this in a 1L victory.
That was some really solid play there from both of them. You know, Patches managed to get into the corner. He managed to fight his way out. He took an awful lot of damage doing it, but unfortunately, that's what you got to do. But Bames was just existing. He was just there exactly where he needed to be. True, he messed up on a couple of occasions and got clipped here or there. But my God, did he able to pull through there with some really, really nice small little movements there, just to bait out attacks and just immediately push back in and punish it. Just really solid SS off stock play there.
Yeah,
really, really nice stuff.
One of the things that I always like to point out, that I think, like, you know, if you don't duel a lot or a big part of, you know, dueling communities, it's really hard to notice how people use positioning. And what Bames did there was he got the aggression, and he didn't even have to aggress by actually swinging. He just had to stand where he was and strafe back and forth, not allowing Rusty to get past him. And what that does is it forces him on that back foot. It forces him in that arena. And even though it looks like those players are back to a neutral, they really aren't, because Bames is in such an upper hand by his positioning that it really puts a lot of pressure on Rusty to try to make something and get out of there. And from the top view, it doesn't look like it's that bad, but when you're down in that corner and someone's just outside of your range, not, you know, moving, matching, mirroring your movement so you can't get out, it puts a lot of pressure on you to try to get out by aggression. And that's exactly what the Gotstock setup wants you to do, is it wants you to try to aggress out so they can punish and get more damage. And unfortunately, Rusty kind of had to use that aggression to get out, and Bames did a really, really good job of keeping him exactly where he wanted him throughout that fight.
Yeah, for sure. It's really nice to see Gotstock doing so well in these tourneys, because like, as a Gotstock one trick, I don't have many idols, you know, but listen,
Exactly.
it's really nice to see people push through really well, and to play well with it is really nice thing to see. That some people say it's, you know, it gives you the aggression, but I think it's a little bit more intricate.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, you have the L2 to get like trades and punishes if you're on a physical build. Sure. The R1 to constantly space and push people away. It's like really solid setup, and I wish more people would try it.
Yeah, no, and I actually, I mean, for any type of dueling, for the most part, I pretty much use a curved sword, just because that was kind of like when I was like, oh, I'm going to get into dueling, like, I'll use a curved sword because it's just realistically one of the best things to use. But recently I've been doing a lot of Gotstock, and I've had the pleasure to fight you a little bit in some Gotstock mirrors. And it really is, you know, it plays, I usually compare it to curved sword in how it plays, but the really cool things with it is that you still get like the backswing off of straight sword while still having the ability to roll catch on reaction and get really, really strong whiff punishes. So it is a really, really cool setup, and I think arguably one of the best tournament viable setups, and I'm glad to see it used a little bit here today.
In this rule set, it's probably one of the stronger setups. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. From what I can tell, and from the discourse that all the other players are having, that seems to be the case. When curved sword is gone, you have this sword and board and whatever. So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing an awful lot more of it. But I think the players are in their corners.
It looks
Gentlemen,
like
are we
the
ready?
players are ready. We have Bames and Rusty on their respective wall, and let's see how this plays out.
A 3 and a 2 and a 1. Allay.
And there's the bomb there. So we're going to see each player kind of mirroring each other and getting that stamina regeneration up and going with the Blossom. And Bames going for the running attack, immediately aggressing off of the wall here. And again, kind of able to use movement to push Rusty back a little bit. Rusty just kind of throwing those R1s out, trying to keep him at distance, hoping to clip a little bit. Bames really good reads to not walk into that. And again, you know, before any damage is taken, we actually see Bames able to keep that aggression, but you actually see the Dragon Head Shield coming out from Patches. So 2 trades in favor of Patches. I actually don't think he took hardly any damage, enough that he can very easily swap a ring and get that health, you know, not really get it back, but get those buffs back. And let's see how they're able to continue forward. The Dragon Head Shield might have been exactly what Patches needed to actually aggress this.
Exactly. That was exactly what he needed there, just to get that little bit of counter aggression. He's not confident on the closes here, so any little bit of counter pressure he can pull off and just like zone James out of it is just really good, and he did a solid job there. I think that was the correct option. That was really the correct option. Well played. And now, getting clipped though in the corner, pushed back, goes to the trade. Will he backswing? He backswings him. Patches is really, really stuck now in that corner, and I don't think, he's let out. Interesting.
Yeah, I think Bames wanted to just back up there. We actually think comboing into a full R1 and a backswing there off of the Dragon Head Shield is the side of Patches. So Patches not giving this up easily this time. He's able, you know, takes his loss and comes back with a chip on his shoulder to actually finish out Bames here. And he's doing a really, really good job of that. We see Bames a couple different times getting really good aggression, but actually now the Expo's coming out from the side of Patches. And let's see how well he's able to find that. So 118 damage to chip through the off-stock. And the off-stock, not the best blocking tool out there, but is better than nothing. And that's, I think, 3 bolts that we see come out. And not able to find too much after that first one. And now going back over to that Dragon Head Shield, trying to chip his way down to the very end. And Bames killing out the shield now, deciding that if he's low enough health, he doesn't want to sacrifice any chip that he doesn't have to. And let's see how Patches is able to keep this forward. So Patches actually just kind of walking up and getting some FP back, and Bames letting him do that, given that the health is, you know, so bad on his side. And a running attack comes in, 176 damage, and trying to punish that out. And then the running attack comes in from Bames. So really, really good spacing there. Bames throws a running attack and able to keep the pressure going. Now in the corner, we actually see the S-Stock coming out around 178 damage and unable to find the roll catch as the shield comes out, trying to find a little bit of damage with that. And again, throwing that Dragon Head Shield, just kind of spamming at this point, you know, when he's in the corner trying to find some damage, and it's doing a really, really good job. And here comes the weapon art coming out from Bames, but unfortunately the S-Stock finds him from the side of Rusty, and Rusty's going to clutch this one out for a 1-1 moving into our final round of our best of 3.
That was a turnaround. I think Rusty Patches was really punished there for his inability to roll those runnings, and I feel that on a fundamental level. Someone who struggles, and that was where the majority of his damage, he'd be clipped, and either roll poise wouldn't carry him through, and he'd be just constantly punished from one end of the arena to the other. But Bames didn't capitalize on that enough. He didn't keep on him. He was an awful lot more cautious this fight, and I think that bit of caution, that hesitation, led to defeat, I think.
Yeah, I think
interesting to see.
What we saw there was the Dragon Head Shield came out, and Bames didn't really know what to do against it. And not that he doesn't know, I'm sure he does, but in that particular instance, when that Dragon Head Shield comes out, he couldn't just rely on instincts anymore. He had to, okay, well, how do I handle this? And it took him a little bit of damage to actually figure out how to do it and sacrifice some of his health to get there. He finally was able to find the counter, and like you mentioned, he had a couple really, really good running attacks to kind of chain together off of one another, and, you know, running attack, spacing out, and immediately going in for a running attack again to pressure Patches. I think the difference that we saw there was Patches switched over to the S-Stock, and Bames wasn't expecting that, and he was already so little health that he didn't have the liberty to sacrifice some health to kind of get around that and clutch it out. So, you know, Rusty did a really good job of keeping Bames on his toes and, you know, forcing him to play into his hand instead of what we saw the other match was the other way around. So really curious to see what setups we see coming out from these two players, if we're going to see that Dragon Head Shield still, or if, you know, perhaps Rusty is now going to use that as a swap to tool like we saw in the last match.
That Astora as a Hail Mary was probably the best thing he had, because maybe he might have made through the one Dragon Head weapon art. Maybe he would have made it through that and put him away. I think as a gamble, that was almost within acceptable. It's really hard to tell in hindsight. Hindsight is, you know, 2020 obviously. But I think that was honest to goodness, a pretty solid swap to try and counter pressure and put him away for the last one.
Yeah, I think if he had the health to get through, he actually would have.
Yeah, it was a gamble. It was a gamble, and it didn't pay off, and that's what you get, unfortunately.
It is.
But anyway, I think these two chaps are here. Rusty
That's actually
Patches.
an offhand red hilted and main hand S stock. So really, really good setup we see from Patches as well to try to counter the got stock that comes out from Bames.
I'm going to be interested to see how this one is going to cut out. And a 3 and a 2 and a 1.
And there's the bomb
away.
in. Again, the blossoms come out from both sides. The throwing knives out from Rusty, really trying to find a way to manage, getting in the aggression. He has a very long weapon and should be able to whiff punish pretty easily with that. Throwing the S-Stock in perhaps as a bait to get Bames to walk into it. Bames able to see that and just kind of dance around it. And they're just floating around each other right now. In that dance that we often see in neutral, the weapon's going to be coming out now. 2 R1s off the S-Stock from Patches to try to find the pressure here. The red Hitler comes out. Really good spacing from Bames, able to find 2 R1s off of the straight sword. Unable to pressure off of that, but he has the damage now. Now he can afford to play a little more liberal and just continue going for these punishes. And let's see how Patches plans to stop that. The bomb comes in. Bames able to roll around that and very easily reset himself back to a neutral here. And each player just trying to find a way in. And I think really what it is Patches trying to find a way to aggress the off-stock straight sword.
Yeah, he's trying to find his way in there. The halberd is a very slow weapon. It's still punishable. And speaking of punishings, damn, he's gotten 2 R1s there, and again, Bames laying off the pressure. I'm not really sure why. He had a perfect opportunity to keep on that, keep the momentum.
And actually really good
There we
spacing
go.
again to find that. Goes into the running attack, and that's 568 damage now that lands onto Patches. And now we're finally going to see Patches change things up and go over to that Dragon Head Shield. And, and you mentioned Bames isn't really keeping the pressure, but he doesn't really have to. I think that S-Stock has scared him a little bit, and he just wants to get in and get the guaranteed damage, and he's doing just that. The running attack comes in, but actually gets countered out by the Dragon Head Shield on the S-Stock. Unable to find the roll catch, though, is the side of Patches. Patches now on the back foot trying to find this in, and Bames just doing a really good job of sitting back and letting Patches come to him. The swap to Warbandit to try to find the running attack. Unable to land either one of those, and now you see Patches try to run in to try to counter that, but unable to. The two-handed straight sword comes out, able to get the full weapon up, but unable to land too much. The actual punish comes in on the side of the S-Stock, and we're going to see the Dragon Head Shield come out from there as well to try to keep that pressure moving forward. So now, Patches has significantly less health, and he's the one left punishing, and that's actually going to lead to his death as 2 R1s come out from Bames, perfectly spaced out of the S-Stock, and he's going to take this one in a 2-1 victory.
Wait for the S-Stock whiff, push in, pressure what you can get, and then get out. That was really smart play on James's part there. Very, very nicely done. Very, very nicely done from both players there. Well played. Well played. And again, that counter pressure there from the Dragon Head, rough. I'm really interested. I'd be curious to pick his brains as to what the thought process was there. Was it literally just arena small this good, or was it just anything to try and keep James off him? I'd be curious there.
Yeah, I'm not
Very,
really
very
sure,
curious.
like you mentioned exactly what the thought process was going in with that, but it tended to work out with him for the best throughout that kind of whole setup. That's what he found the most success on. One of the things I really liked from Bames is you don't see too much running attacks come in, from the side, typically on lower lap, because it's really easy to punish those. And Bames threw him out there, and obviously Patches wasn't expecting it, because Bames landed a running attack, spaced it out to another one. We actually saw in the red hilted, he was able to space out the red hilted attack and actually went for a full running attack that comboed into 2 R1s of his straight sword. So he did a really, really good job of, punishing Patches, not only thought processes throughout the fight, but also just having the spacing that he needed to execute that stuff, and did a really, really good job. I'm going to take a second and jump over to our challenge so we can see how things are looking over here. So now we're going to see, this is the set of our first round. So Myers, Godgo, Emperor, and Bames have moved into round 2, and this is our finalized bracket for round 2. And our first match will be between Value and Myers, followed by Bama Smoke, Hackerish, Godgo, Chicken, Takaman, Fury, and Emperor, Blimpo and Renamon, Amir and Bames, and then Grim and Redlight. So Value Myers will be our first match here, and I'm really, really, really excited to watch these two players fight one another.
This is going to be fantastic. A really solid greatsword player versus probably one of the best SMB players in the world. This is going to be, this is hype. I don't think there's any other way to put it, to be honest with you. This is going to be really good. And then in the second round, we have Smoke, who's another fantastic player. Call Me Bama. I'm not sure if I've seen this person play.
Call Me
new
Bama's,
person to keep an eye on.
he's quite a lot of fun. He typically plays in a much more loose play style than what we see a lot of the time. So I'm really, really excited to see him play in the tournament and see how well he does. But now we have Value and Myers for their first start of this best of 3.
Very exciting. I'm excited to see this one. Value on the left-hand side with the sword and board. Myers on their signature greatsword. And then a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Gentlemen, ladies,
And there's the
LA.
bomb. We actually see a throwing bomb coming out from Myers and immediately gets the Expo cocked up and back over to that greatsword. So Value doing a really good job of just pressuring off of movement here. Actually finds the strafe and finds the backstab for 419 damage. Let's see if he's able to land that backswing roll catch. And he is! Another 198 damage on top of that. So all Myers does is swing one time and Value's immediately there to backstab him and keep the pressure. Actually goes for the backstab again. And Myers a little bit more wise to it this time, able to get out of the way. And now we're going to see Myers kind of face to play off of a reaction move here. We actually see 2 R1s coming out and a backswing and another R1 for 1128 is the total damage off of that damage from Value. So now Value really just going to keep walking forward and pressing R1. That's exactly what he does for another 178 damage. Did Value get hit?
Hang on a second, let me check real quick. I don't think so. No, I think that was a flawless.
That was a flawless. Yeah, that was flawless.
So
Holy
Value
moly, dude.
not willing to mess around here. He wants that tournament money and immediately just, takes the greatsword that we saw Porpy struggle so much with against Myers, and Value just comes out, immediately strafes and backstabs it, finds the backswing to get the roll catch off of that, spaces out the rolling attack, keeps pressure moving forward, kind of reset to neutral a little bit, and then from there Value just put his foot on the gas and kept moving forward and, able to push Myers, pushing her up against the corner, finding the damage that he needed, getting the backswing to just continue going forward off of Myers trying to trade out of that, and Value did a really, really good job of just keeping that aggression forward.
I'm curious what they're gonna do to try and adjust after that, because that was horrifying. That is pure aggression. I don't think it mattered. Value just he wants it. He's coming for those final rounds.
Value's not here to mess around,
No,
Value,
he's there.
Value is probably fundamentally one of the best players I've had the joys of playing with. It seems like Value is just always like a centimeter away from getting hit anytime you try to hit him. And if he gets close enough to hit you, he's already R1ing you. So he does a really, really good job of just playing extremely fundamental. And in addition to that, of course, like you mentioned, one of the best sword and board players in the world really understands those backswings. So it looks like Myers going to stick on the greatsword. Let's see how they're able to figure this out.
All right, on a 3, on a 2, and a 1, ladies and gents. LA.
And there's the bomb right there. So again, Value just walking forward here. Myers kind of strafe around to try to find a way in. And Value just kind of keeping this pressure forward right up in the face of Myers. Strafes out, goes for the roll catch, unable to find it. Oh, great spacing off of that rolling attack. 198 damage comes in, goes for the backstab, actually just finds a roll catch instead. And there's the running attack from Value. Value able to roll through the poke, knowing that that is not going to be a strafeable move. And again, just finds the pressure through movement alone and walking forward. Able to bait out the trades for 594 damage. And able to space out that other attack. 198 damage again. And there's the roll catch out again from Value. Value rolling through the greatsword here, really just trying to not get touched again as he moves forward with this pressure. Value has kind of cornered himself here, but I'm not sure if that's going to affect too much, as Value able to get out of that corner off of pressure alone. There's an R1 from neutral, possibly trying to find the backswing. Really good job of Myers to reaction roll that out, but there's the R1 right there to catch him. And is that another back-to-back flawless that we saw?
It is.
Value really coming out to win this, and we see him breeze through one of the best greatsword players that I've had the pleasure of fighting with a clean 2-0 sweep.
Dear Lord. I'm not biting after this, by the way. I'm running. I don't want to have to deal with this. Jeez. Damn, no, again, like, that was all spacing. 110% spacing and pressure.
I found that if you have
And the
a goal,
ability to pressure
then
a
you might not
hyper armor
reach it.
weapon on something
But if you don't
lighter.
have one, then you are
On
never
paper seems easy because everything's reactable, but
feels
damn,
phenomenal.
like even so, just that I know, I feel it in my heart. I've spaced this, so I'm gonna R1 straight away. That's really where it's at. Damn.
Yeah, and Value did a really, really good job, like you just mentioned, of just always being just outside of the range of that greatsword. And I mean, we saw it was a couple times too that Value had really, really good reads that we saw Myers trying to R1 out of hit stun. And typically with a greatsword, if the other player even just thinks about pressing R1 again, you get that trade. But Value knew that Myers was going to try to R1 out of it and immediately was just there with the straight sword to punish it. So really, really good play that we saw from actually both players, but Value just shined so well in that last fight.
Sword and board makes your fundamentals shine really good. If you go onto the wall as opposed to the corner.
Correct. Yeah. So we're
wall.
gonna want to see. I think that's Smoke Wolf.
Is
that's
it
thinking-
Smoke?
I think it's Smoke. Smoke. We're gonna want to see you in the corner, my friend. I think that is. I mean, not in the corner, on the wall. I think that's the. I think that's Smoke Wolf. I guess I'm assuming that Bama is the one in onion armor and a great sword.
That would be Bama, yes. Where is he?
So, Zonic, if you could jump in and just try to find a way to get a hold of Smoke and let him know to go against the wall, I would appreciate that. Okay, there's Zonic.
There's
Perfect. All right, there we go. Herded in. Zonic able to get him herded and back up again. So.
and he ascends once more into the realm of the angels, you know? All right.
All right, it looks like our
Right.
players are ready.
On a 3, on a 2, on a 1.
All right,
Okay.
we're going to be seeing an S-Stock Turtle come out from Smoke Wolf to counter the Great Sword coming out from Bama. Bama going for the jumping attack right off the bat. Able to go for the R1, spacing out the S-Stock into the charged R2. The R1 poke comes out, able to find the rolling attack. 215 damage there from the side of Bama. Bama now just trying to run in, goes for the poke off of that. The S-Stock comes in for another 259 damage, and is able to find a 2 full damage. 408 from the S-Stock there. Really, really good play from the side of Smoke Wolf. Smoke Wolf just standing there now, not, knowing that he doesn't have to move with that Black Knight shield versus a fully physical Greatsword. Goes in for the rolling to catch and able to find it, and actually finds the trade there for 408 damage, able to push out of the hyper armor frames before they even get into them with that greatsword. And now the two-handed greatsword comes out from the side of Smoke Wolf here, trying to find a way to just continue aggressing this greatsword that we see Bama coming out. The roll catch is still coming in for 190
the
damage in
BM.
total, and Smoke Wolf really wanting to find this victory in a different way, as we see Bama going for the R2 there, and Smoke Wolf able to find that one in a 1-0 victory on the side of Smoke.
Oh, Lord. Impressive, but wow.
Yeah, not the most Smoke showmanship that we've seen, definitely throughout the life of tournaments. As we did see Smoke just try to toy around a little bit, and humor is certainly okay in these instances. But I would have liked to see him just kind of continue that out in the same fashion that we've seen other matches go.
LB,
But he won,
more things
and that's what
change.
matters.
Yeah. The more things change, the more things stay the same, That's pretty much how it be. Ooh, raw. But anyway, I think really confident spacing there again. Spacing wins the day. No need for pressure. You can just wait, chill in center, wait for the whiff, press R1, whiff punish.
Yeah, Smoke
That's how
did
this
a
game is.
really, really good job there of holding down the ground that he wanted to, and kind of just knowing when Bama was going to attack. So we often saw a couple times he just stood there. Bama attacked, and Smoke was just outside of range and just poked him with the S-Stock. And he just kind of kept doing that forward to find the victory in that round. And I'm curious to see if Bama is going to try to figure out something to get around Smoke. Smoke is quite a good player. I think well known across North America and probably larger than most of the other regions. Smoke is quite good at main hand S-Stock as well. So fighting that with a greatsword is kind of hard, especially when that person is Smoke, who's one of the better main hand S-Stock players that the world has. So really, really curious to see if we're going to see Bama stick on the greatsword. It looks like we probably will, and we'll see how well Smoke Wolf continues to move forward this one.
Yeah. It's as well as that. It's nice to see some S-Stock Turtles still hanging
It
around.
is.
I know an awful lot of the old school players it used to be an awful lot of S-Stock turtling going on, but it's still nice to see them. They still exist. We will remember them. They're all right through to the year 2022, so it's really good to see them still knocking around.
Yeah.
They haven't, fallen
Heads up.
asleep in the meantime. Yeah,
Smoke Wolf got invaded apparently.
he got infaded.
There you
Imagine.
go. There you
A
go.
little delay, I guess.
Yeah.
If
you
you
get
are
that.
getting summoned in, try to have your boss dead. That would be cool.
That would be a high tier move, not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
that would require thinking, and often Dark Souls 3 players kind of forgo their ability to think, and it does lead to a lot of the things that we've seen. But it actually looks like I think Smoke Wolf just got in, I think, as I saw him summon, or maybe
I
I'm
see
seeing
he's on
things.
his way currently.
All right, perfect. So I saw the sign. There it is right there. Alrighty.
I mean, pressing R1 does require an awful lot of brain cells. I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty complicated. So
It is.
listen,
That
I
is
can't
true.
blame him.
And
All right,
I think we're ready.
I'm ready. On a 3, on a 2, on a 1. And that's an alley for me. Let's go.
And there's the bomb. So again, that turtle S-Stock. We actually see a sword and board coming out, a variant of sword and board coming out for Bama. Not able to find the chip though. The weapon art comes in off the S-Stock. Does he find the roll catch again? He doesn't. The roll comes in. The trade comes out in favor of the S-Stock here, and actually going for the parry off of the roll there is the side of Bama. Bama unfortunately not able to land that. The roll catch comes out from the weapon art of S-Stock, and Bama able to see that and roll out. There's the rolling in, trying to get around that and rolling off a prediction there to try to find a little bit of cheeky damage, and he actually does. Goes for the poke there to land it. Very bold spacing, but Smoke able to see that and get out of the way, and there's gonna be 555 counter damage off of that weapon art, and that is That is a strong counter right there that we saw that S-Stock just have. And there it is again, rolling through that, though, is this side of Bama. Bama throwing the rolls out, but unfortunately gets roll caught by that weapon art for 170 damage on the side of Smoke.
Damn.
So
Bama
really,
with the
really
crest
clean
crest.
fight that we actually saw Smoke have there, in that matchup, and he definitely played a lot differently this time around. And I like to see the use of the S-Stock there to actually find the counter damage. Like I said, that 555 is not something to joke around about.
I wouldn't play around. It's fairly deceptive as well. If you whiff, you do take the damage, but you can interrupt it. The temptation there is always when going up against an S-Stock, when they try the weapon art, to just smack him and say, no, back in your corner, you're not allowed to have fun, go back to R1ing. But you know what? He managed to land it there in the end. It's a good bait. He whiffed and was punished for it. Poor Bama, man. But
Yeah, Bama definitely, I think, again, going, your first tournament playing against someone like Smoke Wolf in the very first match you get is kind of tricky. It's hard to really find too much there, because not only are you dealing with the nerves if this is your first tournament, you're dealing with someone that has a lot of tournaments under their belt and is quite good at performing under that pressure. So it just, if there is any type of skill gap, it gets magnified even more to the fact that you are not, playing your best when they probably are. So definitely, I think Bama did quite well. I was glad to see, we'll see how Bama does in the losers bracket. Again, Tommy Vistor will be hosting that with Kevin, and that'll probably be starting after the next 4 or 5 matches here. So definitely keep an eye on that when that goes live to watch some of how these players that get dropped out are able to keep going. But yeah, we're going to have Hackrish versus Godgo.
Ooh. Gago coming in confidently from his first round against Fighter PL. I mean, Snips, sorry.
Yes. Snips
very
PL
well.
unfortunately wasn't able to conquer Godgo. But yeah, and Hackrish is another one of those, older players like you were mentioning about, earlier, and talking about some of those older players coming out. Quite good at a lot of different setups. I'm really curious to see within the rules that we have what setup we're going to see Hack. And Godgo, I think we're going to see come out on probably some type of off-stock variant.
Most likely. And you know what? Listen, Gago's getting there. An awful lot of these younger players are starting to pick up and try and... So, pardon?
I was agreeing with you.
Oh, imagine.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, yeah,
disagree with me. Come on,
disagreeing with somebody from Ireland, man. That's the tech right there.
But he is up against, again, one of the best. Or one of the greats that are known in the game for playing exceptionally well. And you have to respect the amount of pressure that you're going to be under when that's happening, when you are up against someone who is quite good. So, best of luck to Gago, and best of luck to Hack as well. The pressure goes both ways. So we're just going to have to wait and see how this one is going to pan out. Any sign of the scoundrel?
It looks like we're working on getting the summons in, and we'll see how that how that works out. But again, I suspect it looks like actually we are going to see Godgo on some type of off-stock variant here, and I suspect we'll see Hackrish on the same. Hackrish, I think, quite known for his ability to play Gotstock and is quite good on the setup. And like we talked about earlier, that is one of the strongest setups that you have in the rules that we have. Gotstock and Rotten Grew are pretty much going to be like the 2 best setups that you have, and Gotstock definitely has different things that are different from that other setup that allow it to be possibly shine a little bit more with those backswings and other things. So really, really curious to see what Hackrish is going to use, but I suspect it will be something along the lines of Gotstock.
Yeah. I mean, the 3 setups we're going to have to watch out for now are Gotstock, we have S-Stock Turtle, Sword and Board as well is going to be pretty powerful, and maybe Rotten Grew. It depends. I think the matchups between Rotten Grew and the other ones is kind of more or less latency dependent.
Right.
To be honest with you. I think that's what I've heard discussed. I haven't tested it out enough to really know for sure. But there could be some weird ones that might make it in. Again, 2022 has been pretty different so far, so we'll just have to wait and see how this one's going to pan out. And still no sign. Don't count Hackrish out yet, says Gabri. I wouldn't.
No,
anyone.
pretty much anybody in this... Oh, pardon?
We got him.
Okay,
we got
perfect.
him.
Yeah, so Hackrish is on the way in, and we should be good to go there.
Hells yeah. Yeah, I'd be curious though as to what Hack's going to use. That's probably going to be... We're at the point now we knew what value was going to be on.
Right, exactly.
We kind of have... I can't imagine him on anything else. I would actually be afraid if he did.
Right. Yeah, I would be a little bit worried if value came out on anything other than that Gotthard's Black Knight Shield. But you never know. You never know. You know, maybe one of these setups is going to push that forward for the next part. And let's
Sword and board by the looks of things. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I think we see coming out now from the side of Hackrish. So I like the is that the Undead Legion helm? I like that. It's a good little vibe he's got.
Yeah, alright then. I think we're ready to get this match on the road. What you reckon, lads?
I think we're there.
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Allez.
And there's the bomb in, so we do see the sword and board. Actually, we see the Malbreaker coming out from Hackers, so able to find that fast dagger to get in on this low latency and try to counter Godgo. Godgo immediately forced to swap a ring out here to get those buffs back if he wants to keep them. So again, we see the Godstock straight, off-stock straight sword versus the Malbreaker. Goes in for the rolling catch with the Malbreaker, able to true combo it into a full 506 damage and actually finds the trade, able to keep the trade going forward. Again, on this lower latency, that dagger is really going to force, you're not going to be allowed to make a lot of those trades that you would like. And we actually see the Rotten Grew swap coming out now from Godgo. He decided that the ability to deal with Malbreaker on Godstock wasn't quite enough. He wants that Rotten Grew. And he was able to find the running attack there for 158 damage onto Hackers. So let's see how Hackers is able to find this dagger now play moving forward here. And then in neutral, the R1's coming out. You're going to see that just the swap over to Ryan actually gets a running attack there for another little chip of damage. And again, and he tries to find the rolling attack. And that's all poison that's building up that can affect Hackers here. And you see the Perseverance now coming out from Hackers. That's his first use of that. And what we saw here is, really good roll catch there by Hackers to find it in for another 536, chains it into 639, and actually tries to find the roll catch there, but Hackers able to get out of the way of that entirely, and there's the second use of that purse, and actually pulling, I think the shield, main hand shield was a mistake there. I think he meant to go to the Malbreaker, which he does do here. The running attack comes out 285 times, and really curious to see that God goes able to land these running attacks on this lower latency. Running attacks, like you and I had talked about, was a little bit on Curve Sword especially, not necessarily the best thing you can do with it, but he's able to land it. Now the Dragon Head shield comes out, trying to find a way. Dragon Head shield crossbow, but that's not going to be able to handle the Turtle Malbreaker. Damage hits coming down now. Now Hack is trying to find the pressure. There's a rolling attack right there. That's going to be 107 damage on the side of Hack. Hackers is going to win the first part of this in a 1-0, moving into the next round of our best of three.
By the skin of his teeth on that one. My word, that was one close round. Instead, on the Malbreaker all the way through, one of the things I have to point out is look how comfortable both of these players are in neutral. It's usually a tell. Hack looked very cool, very relaxed, kind of just chilling. True, he got clipped a couple of times with those runnings, but it didn't really throw him off. Where Godgo looked very erratically moving, not quite what to do, not quite sure what to do with himself. It's just an interesting thing to see that comes with experience in playing these games.
Yeah,
I just thought that was important to point out.
And to shadow that point, actually, what you mentioned, the experience in different setups and fighting them, is Hackers was on two-handed Malbreaker, and when he got really low, Godgo said, hey, I'm going to use, Dragon Head Shield and Crossbow. So I'm going to use Dragon Head Shield, push him away, Crossbow for the roll catcher, just can keep that pressure away from me. And all Hackers did was go from two-handing his Malbreaker to one-handing it, which gave him Black Knight Shield, so he could just hold it up through the initial damage of the Dragon Head Shield and just R1 out of it. So again, that experience kind of comes to play there a little bit, where Godgo definitely had a good setup to counter what Hack was doing, but without even thinking about it, Hack swaps over, able to find the pressure that he needs, lands into that roll catch combination again to just find it. And again, like you mentioned, skin of his teeth. And one thing I'd like to point out is by simply swapping off of off-stock onto the Rotten Grew that we saw Godgo do there, it now forces Hack to play a little bit differently than, because the off-stock is definitely frightening and something that can keep pressure on its own, but not in the same way that a two-handed curve sword can. And it forced Hack to just play a little bit differently. Hack was very quickly, very much keeping pressure moving forward. The swap came out, and he kind of backed up a little bit, forced some purses out, and actually Godgo took the damage a little bit moving forward into that one.
All right, both of them are in their corners. Gentlemen, are we at the ready?
It looks like we are there. We actually see Sword and Board coming out to counter the Malbreaker now.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll see how this one's going to go on a 3, on a 2, on a 1. Allez.
And there's the bomb right there. Again, we're going to see Godgo on Sword and Board. We're going to see Hackrish on that Malbreaker. And let's see if Hackrish is able to find the way in. We see the R1 coming out from behind, and Hackrish trying to find the bait there. The backswing comes in from Godgo to trade it out. I think Hackrish wins that trade, but I'm not entirely sure. It looks like both players are going to find a ring swap anyway. And actually, Hackrish is able to find it. There goes for the roll catch off of the weapon out of Malbreaker, but the rolling attack rather comes in from the side of Godgo. So Godgo able to take a little bit of damage, but dish some back and get back to a neutral place here to try to go off of this again. But this is right where Hack wants to be on this this weapon. Goes for the roll catch, unable to find it, and now just trying to pressure in now. Goes for the running attack, unable to find it, but the trade comes out, able to roll out of that trade, knowing that he's not going to win against that straight sword with the way that hit stun works. So really, really good read by Hack to get out of the way of the R1 spam that was coming from Godgo there. Godgo going for the Shoto running attack, or actually follower saber rather, and we'll see if he's going to swap back over to Godhards. It looks like he's going to. The R1's come out, able to find a backswing, and not able to catch her off of that is the side of Hackers. So now Hackers just trying to pressure off of this. 180 up to 206 damage comes out of the roll catches off that Malbreaker, and now the Rotten Grew's going to come out from Godgo. Godgo trying to trade out of that, but on this latency, he can't. The Dagger's actually going to win that out, and that's going to be 110 damage into the roll catch, and that's going to be all but done for Godgo as the roll catch comes in for 14 more damage and finishes out for Hackrish. Phenomenal jump from Hackrish there.
Word, Hackrish put him away there. I think Godgo should have probably stayed in the Grew in that round, to be completely honest with you. It shuts down his aggression because, my God, was Hack aggressive all the way through, relentless in his aggression that entire way. And, you know, that curved sword might have made him think twice. Might have made him think twice. Might have been the play there, but Captain Hindsight is 2020, so
Absolutely.
listen.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, one of the things that you and I kind of talked about a little bit there was the swap to Rotten Grew, forcing Hackrish to play a little bit differently. But the one thing that we saw in that last match is Godgo swap to Rotten Grew. Now, majority of the time when you are playing at Pontiff or just anything in the game, when you fight somebody, you pretty much trade out with Rotten Grew on anything. You almost always win that trade or get, you know, a type of aggression off of that trade. And with a two-handed dagger on the low latency that these players have, Dagger wins that trade. And we saw Godgo actually struggle a little bit in going for those trades that he couldn't go for. That Hack no doubt knew he was going to go for those trades and able to use that Malbreaker to pressure off of that.
Yeah, but the Dagger is going to have that issue of approaching the curve sword. A competent curve sword player. He's going to chill in neutral, wait for those whiffs, punish. If he gets the opportunity, he might go for a vortex, but he's going to be very careful.
Exactly.
He's going to be very dependent. You have to play very super careful in that matchup, and we've seen how it panned out, you know?
Yeah, and it looks like both of our contestants are in. I'm not sure which one's which. I don't know if you're able to tell that, and I certainly am not.
I'm going to just zoom over here real quick and just have a quick look and see who's who. We have Tomoe, who is Tomo Takman.
Okay.
And then Chicken is Chicken, funnily enough, on the left. So we have the Wing Knight on the left, and we have the Gotstock on the right.
And Gotstock is Chicken, I think?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, cool.
Hells yeah. So are we ready to rock and roll then?
It looks like they are ready to go.
On a 3, on a 2, on a 1. Allez.
All right, and there's the bomb in the arena. We're going to see, actually, Takeman coming out on the Rotten Grew versus Chicken on the Gotstock, and let's see how these players are able to go out. The R1 from neutral and the running attack. Chicken able to try to punish that out with the Gotstock here, trying to find a way to aggress it. And again, that Rotten Grew doing a really good job of just holding down neutral, but forced to roll out from the S-Stock there. The running attack comes in. Rotten Grew is going to win that trade outright as the S-Stock comes in for the poke. 200 damage comes out from that, goes for the roll catch, unable to land it, and the running attack comes in, able to find 129 damage onto Takeman from the side of Chicken. So now Chicken trying to find a way to aggress the Rotten Grew. Goes for the backswing and actually lands it. Goes for the roll catch off the straight sword and does actually land it. Forced back probably due to stamina management there, and that's going to give Takeman a chance to get out of the corner on the Rotten Grew and get back to neutral. And we actually see the Biden coming out for a swap here to try to find that damage, and that S-Stock coming out to poke through it. Swapping back up to Gothards now. The trade comes out for the S-Stock, is going to win that in terms of damage for 165 versus 150. And let's see the running attack come out. 191 off of that one, and really trying to find a way to get into this Gotstock. And though he is on Rotten Grew, Gotstock can be hard to aggress, and we're seeing that play out here. Chicken doing a really good job of not letting him in. Chicken going for some whiffs of his own and unable to land either of them, but still forcing the roll instead of forcing the trade there. The kick comes out from the Rotten Grew there. Really good read, thinking that he's going to go for the trade and try to win with the kick, but unfortunately able to get through that. But there's the damage comes in. 400 damage comes in from the side of Takeman. 200 and another 400. And here's the vortex. And let's see if he can't find the damage. Now Chicken doing a really good job of just staying calm and reactioning through that. The regular lightning arrow comes out, trying to find that last little bit he needs to win this fight.
Close, but no cigar on
Close,
that
but
one.
no
If
on
I
that
was
one.
a Chicken, I'd be sweating, dude. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
and that's, I mean, just sitting back with Lightning Arrow and holding it a really good job to keep this pressure forward, but he's going to find it. 3 more damage to finish it out, and that's going to be Takeman with the victory there.
Damn, that was an interesting turn of events there, if I do say so. How much health was, I wonder, was Takeman in?
3 HP at the very end. 3 HP.
Dude.
That's close.
That was a
That's
little
quite
bit tight.
close. Yeah. I like the lightning arrow at the very end there because he uses that curved sword to get the vortex to get him extremely low. I think we saw 14 health was all he needed to kill him, and he can just sit back and hold up the lightning arrow at that point. He can just hang out and wait for that to come through. And unfortunately didn't land it. You know, again, Chicken did a really, really good job of staying calm there. We saw the vortex come out for, I think it was 600 damage total in that exchange.
It was nuts.
And
dude,
Chicken
from
just
one end.
relaxed and reaction rolled out of it. So, and when you're in that type of pressure and that type of issue is a you know, that type of damage is affecting you, to just relax and roll away from a two-handed curved sword off of the reaction, I got to give it to Chicken. That was played quite well. Just couldn't quite find it as Takeman took the lead.
Yeah, and we're going to see how people adjust now in this next round. That's going to be the next. That's going to be pretty curious to see how that pans out. How will we adjust? Will we adjust, or are we just going to try and see if we can push through what we had before? Again, I know one of these players. I know Tekman. I'm not sure who Chicken is, but definitely quite good. Those reaction rolls at the end were impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least just the composure in a fight in a 600 buck tourney, like, you know, I'll take that. That's worth considering.
Yeah, and again, in that pressure to just calm, you know, after getting hit for 600 damage, to just relax and go and roll out was quite good.
All right then, on a 3, on a 2, 1, ladies and gents, LA.
And there it is right there. So it looks like we're going to see Cell Swords coming out from Takeman now to try to counter the Gotstock. Interesting choice to come out, but I know if he's able to land that running attack, it sets up to a lot of damage if Chicken plays into it. But able to strafe it out entirely and go for the Gotstock poke, and actually finds the R1 from neutral for a total of 345 damage. And Takeman really trying to find a way to get in with these Cell Swords, but the Gotstock doing a really good job of avoiding it. And there's that R1, able to walk into it, using the end attack there a little bit to get him to just walk into that R1 from neutral. Goes the Gotstock out, unable to find that for the punish, but there's that running attack, goes for the R1 into the full combo, and unable to land that, but still 182 comes out from Chicken there. So Chicken doing a really good job of just playing around these Cell Swords, and I don't think Cell Swords at this point were the play versus the Rotten Grew that we saw Takeman use earlier, but and Chicken's just kind of walking through these and finding the damage, and Takeman right up into the corner. There's the roll catch off of Offstock again, just going off of reaction roll catches down to 182 damage and extremely low now, but there's going to be the combo for 825 and goes for it again. Actually finds the roll catch, 1,209 damage, and now the Chicken's just trying to find a way around. He's going to actually pull up the Expo there. There's going to be it. Is he going to get caught up? But then he actually does. The Cell Swords finds the combo. What a comeback from Takeman.
Oh my word. I was going to say it's like some really patient, really nice play there from Chicken. He played it well. He played it cool, but oh man, sometimes there at the end, you just get a little bit overly enthusiastic. You get lost in the sauce and then put away. Oof.
Yeah, that was... The Cell Swords, like I think I even mentioned throughout the fight that I was like, this is an interesting choice because the Rotten Grew was doing such a good job of finding the damage where, you know, where Takeman needed it, and Chicken was doing a really good job of avoiding those. But the thing with Cell Swords is once you land that running attack, it sets you up for a lot of different things you can do to get a guaranteed 800 damage. So he gets him in the combo, 825 damage, starts running through, able to find a running attack off of that, and then combo into the corner. And Chicken, once he got hit that first time, I think he even got roll caught again with the L1 off of Cell Swords. So really, really good play that we saw Takeman coming out. He got pressured really hard, and he just eventually found a way to take that pressure and flip it back onto Chicken for a 2-0 victory.
Still held his own all the way through. Again, we've seen that from both of those players. They weren't out until they were out. And that's, I think, is commendable from both of their parts.
Yeah,
well done to
quite
both
a
of them.
comeback by Takeman. Quite a comeback.
Right, and now we have Enfer versus, I think it's Fury, isn't it? Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, Emperor versus Fury. I mean, I'm excited to watch Fury play again. I think pretty much everybody here is excited to watch Fury play again. It's been quite a while since we've seen him, and I'm happy that he's back. At least, even if it is just for this tournament, I'm happy that he's back. I hope we see him in Elden Ring. But yeah, let's see how Emperor is able to manage. It looks like Fury's going to be on Rotten Grew.
On Rotten Grew with a sheathed Marion in the side. Nice. Does Kaim have the predictions ready? That is the big question here. This is going to be very important. If we could get the predictions set up and all that shenanigans.
Yes, please.
Sick.
I know it's not the easiest thing to do. And then from
But,
doing
yeah.
it myself, I know it can kind of be tricky to set stuff up right. So I definitely appreciate the mods today
Thank you
helping
very
us
much,
out,
Graham.
because I definitely haven't read chat at all, just trying to keep up with everything. So I appreciate mods monitoring that and taking care of it for us.
Thank you. Very thanks to all your staff you have on here today. LB, you've done an exceptional job. And there's the prediction. And ladies and gentlemen, on a 3, on a 2, and on a 1.
All right, there's the bomb. So we're going to see Fury on Rotten Groove versus Sword and Board from Emperor. It looks like we're going to see the Ring Knight Straight Sword from Emperor coming out, unless they're always able to aggress this with the Rotten Groove. So I think we see a Dark Field versus Physical on the side from Fury. He's able to actually get roll caught for 157 damage from that Ring Knight Straight Sword. Drops the bomb on the side of Emperor, trying to make it not as easy for him to aggress that. Throws out the running attack into the weapon art, but he's going to get whiff punished by
He's gotta
405
get
damage.
punished there
And
for that. Yeah,
we
you gotta
see
be real careful with those.
Oh, but the
Really,
backswing
really
able to
careful.
find there and goes for the running attack to trade in. So health advantage still in the side of Fury. Fury takes the gamble to trade out that running attack for that extra little bit of damage, knowing that he's winning the health fight. The running attack comes in, but not able to actually punish it. Takes a little bit too long. Perhaps he was setting up for a roll catch. Instead, Emperor just throws the R1 out and actually finds the backswing to trade. But with the Rotten Grew on this latency, it's going to get the aggressive there. And there's going to be 2 R1s and goes in for the third. Blocks 510 damage. Actually gets some chip through there as well. So the Dark Rotten Grew definitely a good play here to get the chip damage versus the Sword and Board. The running attack comes in for some more chip damage. Emperor forced to do some trading now, but Fury able to run it off the running attack and break him out and able to get the kill there. So Fury's going to go up 1-0 in this best of 3.
Fury, that was some exceptional play there. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of watching this man play, and I can't say I was disappointed. He had him on the rope. He had Enfer on the ropes there. Enfer nearly got out, like just one, I think a couple of frames earlier, and Enfer might have maybe held him off for like a little bit longer there on that one with the weapon art, but too little, too late, and Fury puts him away. Very well played.
Yeah, and Fury had a couple different. Again, we talk about that experience that we talked about in the Hack Christian God Go match. Is that Fury being an extremely experienced player, and not that Emperor isn't. Emperor has quite a lot of experience at this point, but Fury understands these matchups really, really well on this latency. So he knows that those running attacks he's gonna win. That when Emperor goes for the backswing for him to walk into it, that if he R1s on Rotten Grew, he still wins that. And we saw that happen a couple times where he's able to just find those trades to get up in it. And since he has the health advantage, he's able to sacrifice some health to get the trade, to get the pressure, and he did a really, really good job of that. So curious to see how we're going to see Emperor try to counteract this Rotten Grew from Fury.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious, or whether or not Fury's going to change it. He's going to change it up a little bit more. That's going to be the next big question. You know?
Right.
Will he change it
Right.
up, or will he just keep it the same? Who knows?
I would
to find out.
suspect he's going to keep it the same. It worked for him quite well, and I suspect it's going to work for him. Well, it looks like we have a little bit more time. I'll go back to here. But yeah, I suspect he's going to stick on that, considering it worked as well as it did. And actually, it looks like we see a Dark Sword coming out from Emperor as opposed to the Rotten Ring Knight Straight Sword.
A dark sword. Now that's an interesting change.
Yeah,
I wonder what
perhaps
the
he's
thought
been
behind
watching
that
a little bit of Halloween 420. Next thing you know, the Force is going to come out.
All right, are we all ready to go then for this round 2? Enfer on the right on the dark sword and board versus Fury. I think still on Rotten Grew, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, we see that dark infused Rotten Grew curved sword.
And on a 3, on a 2, on a 1. Allez.
And here it comes from here. So again, that Dark Sword gets the bundle on it for a little bit of extra damage, trying to aggress this Rotten Grew. Fury able to just kind of dance around and goes for the R1s, forcing Fury to roll there. So really good spacing on the side of Emperor to force Fury to move out of that and not give him the opportunity to whiff punish. Fury trying to get a whiff punish there. Actually does land it. 409 damage comes through. Again, that chip damage. We saw, I mean, that's from 409 to 470. That's a lot of chip, and that's quite powerful. Able to find the trade, and actually looks like he's going to go for a roll catch this time around. Actually just baits it out and lands the roll. And let's see if he can continue that again. The 193 damage to 386. And that's going to be a clean sweep for Fury off of that. So that we see that Rotten Grew play where you have the opportunity to R1 them. Instead, you stand there, move around a little bit, and waggle, and it forces them to do something. And if you ever watched Kime fight, especially if he fights somebody as bad as me, that's all he does is stand there and wiggle and just immediately nukes everybody. And Fury, they're playing that Rotten Grew and playing that curved sword quite well.
It's interesting as well. Like there's opportunities there. It's always a risky maneuver when you're on a curved sword trying to pressure people because they can just R1 out of stun, and that is one of the things you're constantly looking for when you're up against that matchup. To just go, he's gonna go for the roll catch. He's doing this by prediction. I'm just going to R1 him in the face, and
Right.
hopefully I've flipped the coin, and a different kind of 50-50 we've said. You know?
You're right. Yes.
you know,
yes.
will I R1 or will I get R1? You know, it's a hard one. But yeah, really good play. He definitely felt Enfer out there just an awful lot more. He was more confident in that second round.
Right.
It was it's really impressive stuff. And who do we have?
This is going to be Blimpy versus Renamon. I think Blimpy is who we just had summoned in. That looks like we're going to see the Executioner armor with the sword and board. And I'm curious how we're going to see, you know, I assume Renamon's going to come out on a sword and board. That's typically what Renamon plays in my experience of playing with them. But we don't really know. So we'll see how well Renamon's able to push through this and continue it moving.
I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of fighting either of these guys, so I think this is going to be an interesting fight. I'm going to be definitely taking it all in and trying to figure out what to make of it live with the rest of you.
Right.
Here, so
Yes.
I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Wasn't Renamon?
Oh,
wasn't
go ahead.
Renamon Grimm's?
Yeah, I believe
Ah.
Renamon and Grimm have played together for quite a long time. I've played a little bit with Renamon when I was helping Grimm and them do some 2v2 stuff when they were testing out different cosplays to play. But outside of that, I've not really played too much with Renamon. And from what I can tell, I believe Grimm actually cloned Renamon, and that the Grimm style that we see is actually from Renamon to begin with. So pretty much, you know, all these players that clone Grimm are actually a Renamon clone, if I understand it correctly.
Hey,
Heard.
I got a big thing.
Okay.
What?
Blimpo wanted to know that his name is Blimpo and not Blimpy.
Did I say Blimpy?
I don't know. I was just messing. He took a bet, but here he is.
Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, so
Do we have
actually,
the
Renamon was
predictions?
who we saw in first, and we actually see the RK Pugs coming out from Blimpo, and it looks like I'll fix that real quick. I did type it in Blimpy and not
All right.
Blimpo. You know, you get that on these big jobs from time to time, and there we go.
Are we ready to go then, ladies and gentlemen?
It looks like we are. We got the prediction up and running. Renamon on the sword and board, and Blimpo on the RK Pugs. And of course,
curious,
in the
all right.
Sunbro Covenant, definitely the best covenant
LA.
you can have. And we're gonna see now. Let's see how well Renamon's able to dance around these. The running attack comes out. Ren goes for the backstab, unable to actually land that as the bomb comes out from Blimpo. Actually goes in for that weapon art. Rolling through that is the side of Ren, and actually catches him with a kick into an
man.
L1. And we haven't seen too much trade through. Renamon really wants to find that backstab, and that's gonna force him to get caught by our rope firebomb there from the side of Blimpo. And Blimpo just kind of throwing these L1s out. The running L1 there, trying to find a little bit of pressure, and let's see how he's able to continue forward. So looks like Ren is just kind of slowly backing up. The L1s come out from the side of Blimpo. A little bit of chip damage, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And there's the weapon art in. Actually catches him with
And he
it and
clips
kicks him.
him.
Does he find it with the L1? He does. He kicks into L1. The tech here is absolutely insane. But Renamon's going to read that stamina loss on the side of Blimpo and just kind of run around it there. And we're going to see Renamon backing up a little bit here, trying to figure out the best thing he can do to manage this with. And there's the catch
Oh, and he's
again
clipped.
into the kick, into the L1. And that's going to be it. Blimpo's going to take this in a 1-0 lead on the RK Pugs.
Oh my word. Oh my word. How have I never seen this guy before?
You know, it's
Blimpo.
the play that we saw there with RK Pugs was quite good. The only thing I would have liked to see a little bit is when he's in that weapon art that Renamon insisted on rolling into. If he would have done, you know, maybe like a ravioli or reverse backstep off of that to catch the
Yeah.
backstab, but he doesn't. This is a tournament where you don't necessarily need to throw out the flashy stuff like that, and he did a really, really good job of reading what Ren was going to do and punishing it with the RK
Punishing
Pugs.
it for sure.
I gotta say, I really liked the kick into L1 that we saw work 2 different times. I don't know if that's a Hushorf of the I can't remember the name of the ring that gives you the extended cook.
I have no idea.
Horse
The
hoof,
kick
yeah,
one.
horse
There
hoof
we
ring.
go.
There we go. I don't know if that's a horse hoof ring tech or if that's just regular kicks done. But either way, it was quite cool to watch, and it looks like Ren is now pulling out a red hilted halberd to try to figure out a way around the RK Pugs.
have
RK
a
Pugs
feeling-
better than Sword and Board. You heard it here first.
I can imagine what he's gonna go for here. Well, usually if I'm playing Rustic, what I'm doing against something like the Ring Knight paired is just whiff punish. That's pretty much as much you can do. You just whiff
Exactly.
punish, reaction to whatever you can, to whatever degree you can.
Exactly.
And hope that they have good laugh. It shouldn't be a problem here. But anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, round 2, Renamon versus Blimpo. On a
Alrighty.
3, on a 2, on a 1. LA. Let's
And
go,
there's the
gamers.
bomb in. We're going to see again the RK Pugs coming out. The Perseverance from Red Hilton able to find the trade, actually able to win that trade. There's our first use of Perseverance on Red Hilton. Let's see how he's able to continue forward. There's the second use, only has 3 more, and it's actually not going to do too much to him as Blimpo's going to keep this forward. The kick trying to find a Greek there. Actually uses the Hyper Armor of the one-handed R1 to find it, and hits him into the rope bomb as well for 157 extra damage on top of it. Renamon trying to roll out of the way of that, unable to find too much as he's just able to block it and move around, and he's going to swap over to the straight sword here. And again, the weapon art into kick coming out from Blimpo. We've seen that a couple times. There's that cancel that we were talking about to get that running L1. And Renamon nearly walked into that. And let's see, it looks like we're going to see one-handed coming out. Swaps back over to the two-handed, and now he's trying to figure out a way around this. The swap comes out going for a guard break there. Actually quite a good little swap that we saw him pull off. And let's see if he's always able to continue this forward. So Ren really on the back foot against these RK Pugs. There's the R1 coming out, unable to land both as he's able to roll through with that poise. There comes the projectile of the Twin Prince's greatsword. So now Blimpo has reached the point where he's going through his inventory trying to find anything to set off Ren here to try to get that last little bit of damage. And there's the L1, able to roll that and goes for the kick, but Ren wises up this time around and rolls around that kick. Let's see how they're able to find these RK Pugs, finding it. And then there's still a little bit of chip damage coming in, perhaps going for a delayed R1 there, but instead to roll away as Ren is there ready to punish if he does. So really good read from Blimpo there to get out of the way and really trying to find a way around this. The weapon art comes in again from the Lothric Knight straight sword and swaps right back over to the RK Pugs.
Ren is playing super, super careful. I'm not sure if it's because he's on low health versus an ultra, or if it's just, or if his nerves out at this point. Again, everything should theoretically be reactable here. It's just, it's a really rough one because now he's low and now he has to play this, this carefully. Oh my word.
And again,
nearly gets clipped by that.
Yeah, we see Blimpo do a really good job of swapping to these other weapons to try to throw Ren off. And like you mentioned, Ren is just playing extremely safe here. He knows that one more hit from those RK Pugs and he's going to be locked into a stun lock that's going to put him right into the loser's bracket, and he doesn't want that to happen. The rope firebomb comes out from Blimpo to try to keep that pressure back, though I don't think Ren's going to be going for it. The roll into a regular R1, so pretty interesting idea there. We see instead of, assuming the player is going to prediction roll the rolling R1, tries to catch him with that R1. But again, Blimpo is the type of player that's going to play off of reaction and able to find the backswing there for 209 damage.
Nice.
So now we're going to see is Renamon able to just slowly chip this back in his favor. The R1's coming out from the Lothric Knight straight sword, goes for the Reddit combo, able to push it behind him so Ren doesn't punish that. So again, really good reads and really good positioning by Blimpo here to understand what he can and can't get away with. Goes for the Blossom there and charges up the weapon R, able to find it in there, the kick into the L1, and he actually doesn't put him away. He doesn't take the guaranteed damage. Instead, he goes for that kick combo, but there's the bomb for the trade, and Blimpo's going to move into our next round. Excellent RK Pugs play. I gotta say, I was not expecting to see RK Pugs come out and have such a good presence.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either. There are a couple of really good Ring Knight paired ultras that are around at the moment. There's the Nightshade dude. There's now Blimpo, apparently, who I now know. There's some really good players who are currently messing around with these setups, and it's really nice to see. Really nice to see ultras get just a little bit of love, even this late in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And RK Pugs is one of those ultras that, much like every other weapon that came out in the DLC, one of the better ultras is RK Pugs. And there's a lot of really cool things that you could do with RK Pugs that we saw, Blimpo do a really good job of utilizing the timing things into the kick, using those, the reverse step cancel in the weapon art to force people to kind of do things that you want them to do. And when you're using something like an ultra that is extremely reactionable and not the best roll catch tool, you really have to rely on your mind games to set people up to do what you want them to do.
Yeah, you live and die in the mix-up and trying to throw people off their game and just pressure. Well, pressure is the wrong word. You just have to exist and hope that they make a mistake. And yeah, it's rough. It's a real rough matchup, but these guys are doing their best. Someone said that Omega is another ultra player that's really good. I definitely believe it.
Yeah. And we're going to see Bames coming out through fighting Amir here. And I'm really curious to see what Amir is going to use. I know Amir uses quite a lot of Partisan, uses quite a lot of Malbreaker, among some other things. So I'm really curious to see what Amir is going to actually come out with in this tournament.
Will he blitz through the tournament on his partisan like he does in the arena? We will soon find.
We will learn soon if that's what's going to happen. Again, I
Alright.
I would assume Amir is going to come out on a Mailbreaker, as I know he plays a lot of Mailbreaker. But Partisan definitely is a really fun weapon, and if you don't know how to fight it, it can set you up to get, eat a lot of damage with those hyper armor trades. So really
have to be
curious what Amir's going
yeah.
to come out with.
Have to be super careful on your approach. You can't really approach it like a usual spear, if only because like the likelihood of walking into like a hyper armor trade or even just them playing super
Right,
passive, running
right.
away, and then once you come in, they hyper armor. I believe there's some recovery cancels you can do with it as well. Using the spin sweep, I think it has the same properties as the other one. I'd ask
Okay.
Gabri about that one, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll just have to see what Amir does come out with.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to see Bames sticking on that straight sword got stock. So obviously of something he's comfortable using, and again, one of the better setups that's definitely tournament legal. And we'll see, how Amir's, what Amir's going to use to counter that and how he's going to play it.
Ooh, there, I think that is Amir. He's on sword and board.
Interesting. And a fat roll coming out
A
from
fat
Amir.
roll sword and board. All right. Do we have the
It's like
prediction ready?
is up and running.
He's fixed the fat roll. Now, that would have been a based. Go Amir. Nice. Let's see what's happening. I'll wait just a moment. Yeah, he's gone, switched on to SS Offstock, I think.
Oh, and
Sword
actually
and
went
board
back
too.
over to the sword and board.
There's
So
a cool
I
stuff.
do think our contestants are here and ready, though.
Excellent.
It looks like our
On a
prediction.
3,
Go
on
ahead.
a 2, on a 1. Allez! Kaboom! Let's go.
All right, and there's the bomb in, and let's see how we're going to see the sword and board play from Amir coming out versus the got stock on Bames. So Bames trying to find that pressure in off of position like we talked about, going for the whiff on the S stock, trying to find a little bit of damage. Amir goes for the whiff punish and able to find it. Really good read by Amir to set that up into an R1 to a stagger R1 and a backswing. Able to find full damage there that he wanted. There's the Expo for the first bolt comes out.
Expo.
Unable to land it, unfortunately, but does a really good job at positioning Bames exactly where he wants him. As you see, Bames is forced into that corner and tries to find his way out off of a movement. He does actually find his way out, and there's the whiff punish from Amir. Amir goes for the roll catch and able to find it. Dead angling the backswing behind him and finding
Ooh,
another
nice.
330 damage into a roll catch for 495. Able to roll poise through that is the side of Bames, but still the damage is there, and again, all the damage is permanent. So let's see how they're able to move forward with this Expo out from Amir, just holding it up to keep that pressure, and that's going to be another 97
Flips him.
damage. So again, that
That's
Expo's coming out, and he's got a few more bolts to use. We'll see how he uses them. Throws one away, unfortunately, based off of possibly just the wrong input there. And again, puts Bames in the corner. Bames forced to move to the shield to not deal with that. The R1 comes out and able to find the backswing, but finds the roll catch. Really good spacing out now from the side of Amir. And you do see him on that Knight's crossbow trying to find as much chip as he can through that Black Knight shield. And at this point, Bames is low enough. He's got enough left. And there's actually a lightning bolt trying to find it. And we do see Amir swap over to the Gotstock, but actually swaps back over to the Black Knight shield there. And a little bit of damage comes out from Bames, so now able to take that pressure and move it forward. Forced to still back up and turtle off of it, though, knowing that one wrong move would lead to his death here. And it looks like Amir possibly out of bolts
Is
there.
completely out of the E-bolts, yeah, that's it.
And
And now onto...
is that
Corvian?
Corvian?
That is Corvian,
All
yeah.
right, you want to
Alright,
throw a
that's
bomb in there to cancel that match out.
Yeah, that's a cancel. Is that a DQ?
We'll leave it at that point. I believe we forfeit the round to Bames, so that's going to be 1-0 in favor of Bames unless Bames wants to rematch it.
Oof, what? Amir not like this?
Message, Bames.
Yeah, message Bames, see what he
Yeah,
wants
so
to
they
do.
Amir definitely still gets a chance to keep fighting, but whether or not it's 1-0 or 0-0 is definitely up to Bames.
It's down to Amir to it's down to Bames to decide for sure. You hate to
Yeah,
see
and
it.
Amir was able to sub in for someone that dropped this morning, so I don't blame him for not knowing all the rules immediately. But you know, it is what it
Bames wants
is.
to take the one.
Sure, yeah, and I don't blame him. So we're gonna see 1-0 in favor of Bames.
1-0 in favor of Bames.
And wants to take the win.
Rip. And that's unfortunately how it goes. Sometimes you mess up and they can cost you like... It's left to the discretion of the players themselves.
Yeah, and
I
I-
think
you know.
I think Ren we're gonna need someone to sub in for Ren and losers. So.
Oh, okay. And I think at this point, now that we're in the tournament, at that point we would just, whoever happens to fight Ren would just get a bye at that point, since we're
Yeah, I
already
think so.
we're already in the tournament at this point. If someone does need to drop, unfortunately, we'll just have to cancel them out. Whoever's fighting them gets a bye and moves into the next
Certainly
fight.
in the losers bracket, if they haven't
Yeah.
fought yet, I think that would make a bit more sense.
Yeah, it's
Right.
unfortunate that Amir did that, because that Corvian use, the Corvian Expo, is the exact reason we had the ban Corvian.
Yeah, and because initially there was talk of making it be a one-handed Corvian to use, so you
That's
could
the
use
reason
some
we
other
kinda-
setups, and Expo Corvian was the biggest deciding factor in not allowing Corvian at all. So it is what it is, but unfortunately, Amir still gets a chance here to come back, and based on his play in that first match, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. It's whether Bames is able to adapt to what he's doing and find that damage that he needs.
Well, it's going to be a close one now, and Amir was incredibly dominant in that first round, so we're just going to have to see how it all pans out now. In this next one, has he adjusted? We're just going to have to wait and find out.
Alrighty.
All right, I think we're all ready to go then, folks, I believe.
Yeah, looks like both of our contestants are in and ready, and we see 1-0 in this best of 3 in favor of Bames.
On a 3, on a 2, on a 1, and a go. LA.
And there it is right there. So we're going to see the blossoms coming out from both players here. A sword and board mirror, actually physical sword and board from Amir versus, I think it is dark sword and board from Bames. So Bames definitely has the advantage in terms of setup in this sword and board mirror, as he's going to get chip, whereas Amir is not. But how they're going to move forward here is going to be the deciding factor. Amir able to find that, goes into a pressured running attack there. Really good movement there, but forcing Bames back, unable to find the damage. Bames throws the R1 out. Amir forced to roll out of the way there as he was positioned just a little bit too close. And now the R1's coming out, and Amir just not giving up at all. He gets some damage in and just immediately there actually takes some damage and immediately goes back in. So let's see how these Expo bolts are going to find too much here. The exploding bolt able to find 27 chip damage through, and again, all the damage is permanent to a really good running attack from the side of Amir. Really good spacing from Bames to try to trade the running attack with his own, but Amir able to see that and roll out of the way. So again, really good reactions there on both sides, and back to neutral we are. And let's see how Amir's able to continue this pressure.
Interesting, this is the first fight we've seen so far where there's some really serious corner pressure right off the bat. I know even in Value's match it didn't go on long enough to get some corner pressure, unfortunately. But this is the first bit of S&Bs where we're really positioning ourselves in just the right place to pressure our opponent into corners and get those backswings. But Amir's not really taking all that much advantage out of it. It's kind of unfortunate. Yeah,
and actually what we saw, Bames did a really good job of positioning there. Amir had him in the corner and went for a running attack, and Bames was able to get out of the way and actually position himself to put Amir in the corner. So really good positioning there to kind of swap that pressure rack immediately, but Amir was able to get out. A couple trades came in with some damage, and pretty level now is the playing field in terms of health. As Amir goes for the running attack, finds another 162 damage. Really good base at the stagger there, finding the backswing. There's a roll catch for 640. Now it's just a matter of if he can finish off Bames, and let's see if he's going to stick on the Expo or stay with sword and board just to try to finish this out. Actually swaps shields, interesting choice, but finds the running attack there, and Amir able to take that for a 1-1.
Match point after this, I believe, isn't it?
It is match point now. This is a best
Cammy.
of 3, so it is a 1-1 moving into our match point.
Hells yeah, this is gonna be an exciting one. I imagine both of these guys are gonna go S&B again. I think that's gonna be the safest one. Or Bames is going to go back to SS off stock where he seemed to be a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah,
we'll
and
just
that's
have to wait and see.
It's going to be a matter here of, I think the fact that I think Bames kind of needs to abuse the fact that he has chip and Amir doesn't. And And when I say that, I mean he needs to play off of blocking a little bit more to force Amir into a situation. Because right now, Bames is playing pretty aggressive, and that's allowing Amir the opportunity to immediately counter that, get him in the corner, and keep that pressure moving forward. Like you mentioned earlier, immediate corner pressure as soon as the match starts. I think Bames playing off of the block a little bit more, since chip damage isn't there at all, would probably be something that would benefit him. But we'll see how they're going to play off. The off stock definitely does play a certain way against sword and board, and definitely could affect the way Amir's playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Ren, the first match of losers is going to be, it's supposed to be Renamon versus,
Corpy?
Actually, no, it's not. It's supposed to be, why is Prawn messaging people? One second, I need to talk.
Sure. All right, looks like both of our contestants are in. And Zanek, while you figure out the loser bracket stuff, if somebody needs to get dropped or something because they can't make it, just make sure you let Tommy and Kevin know so they can manage that, and we'll keep moving forward in this bracket.
All right, then. So I think both our contestants are in the corner. I think both are ready to rock and roll. So on a 3, on a 2, on a 1, and then away we go. Let's rock and roll.
And we do
people.
see the straight sword S-Stock versus the sword and board, and actually Grass Crest Shield comes out from Amir to really keep that stamina up and perhaps keep that corner pressure alive. And let's see how they're able to move forward here. And really, really curious. We just see Bames kind of playing off of the back foot here and actually forces him to get caught by an R1. And going for the backswing is the side of Amir. Amir unable to find the continuing pressure, but Bames tries to pressure and unable to find it. Really, really good spacing from Amir there to just dance around both.
Spacing,
yeah, dances around that S-Stock and the R1 to just get around it entirely and keep the pressure. But we see that straight sword S-Stock force Amir to play a certain way as he can't play the same aggression he was earlier, but actually able to find some damage forward. And then we're going to see the rolling attack coming from Amir again. Really, really good spacing. Amir really showcasing his spacing in this match right here. 348 damage comes off of that R1 to staggered R1, and forgoes the backswing there. And now that he is on S-Stock, he's going to swap over to the Expo and really try to get as much pressure as he can with that chip coming out from Nike's Cross. And that's going to be 131 damage. Full Expo Bull gets it there. Yeah, really, really good there. And the running attack from Bames to try to pressure that crossbow, unable to land it. And Amir unable to land that one, unfortunately, and trying to find a way to move around this here. And this is the second one as well, but Bames is low enough that Amir could probably take this off of aggression alone if he plays it correctly. And let's see how Bames is going to try to counteract that. As Amir walking forward and throwing those R1s out from neutral, trying to get Bames to walk into something. The running attack comes out from Bames, unable to land too much with it though, and kind of just sifting back and forth between neutrals, what we're seeing happen in this fight. And Bames really trying to aggress with that S-Stock, but that's going to be the Expo coming out. 98 damage. That's so much chip damage, and actually nearly guards break him as they continue moving forward here. And that's just going to be more chip damage. The running attack comes out from Bames, goes for the roll catch, unable to find it, tries to continue with the straight sword, but the running attack comes out from Amir and nearly finishes him off. And let's see if they can push that. Now in the corner is Bames, and there's the backswing. The last 41 damage that Amir needed, and that's going to be a 2-1 victory for Amir, moving this into our next fight with Grim Sleeper and Red Light.
I have to say the confidence there in Amir's play really showed through. Really, really showed through. Fair play to him. That was like, to be that confident all the way through a fight, irrespective of what's going on, especially in that last round, was exceptional. He played his arse off, and I think that deserves a considerable amount of praise for that. And Bames as well, not to be slept on by any stretch. Like, still an exceptional player, just had himself on the back foot and just got punished for it. It happens to the best of us, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's...
What is going on in chat right now?
I've learned to just ignore chat in tournaments, and it helps out a lot when I just don't look at it and I continue focusing on what's happening. But one of the things, like you mentioned, Amir's absolute confidence and the pressure that allowed him to get was really, really good. And I think you and I have actually talked about this a little bit in our own little private sessions and just chatting with one another, is that when you play as well as you can, when you play as aggressive and you play as cocky, up to the limit of your skill, you do really, really well, because you know what you can do, and we saw it with Value versus Myers as well. Value knew what he could do, and he didn't let anything else mess with him. He just says, okay, this is how I play this. And that's exactly what we saw Amir versus Bames. And Amir just knew what he could and couldn't get away with, and just abused up to his limit of play. And that was really, really good to see, that he was just as cocky as he is good, which actually was a good thing in this case. It didn't allow him to get over aggressive. It didn't allow him to take damage. He still was playing smart, but using that aggression and knowing his limits really helped him out in that fight.
I think Kai might be trying to get in touch with ULB.
Oh, let me see if I can check that really quick.
While we are in the interim.
It doesn't look like anybody has reached out to me.
I think it's because they're spamming a load of stuff in your chat and he's not sure what to do.
Grim's coming in with that sick 802 build. I don't know what we want to do about that.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to get him out of the arena.
Epic pre-buff as well. Alright, who wants to get that kill? Who wants it?
Yeah, that's leave it to Grim to come in and do nothing but waste a little bit of time.
I mean, I think
Hold on, he's gotta put a little bit more buffs on, okay?
I mean, we have how long before he actually ends up dying to this? That's the real question here.
Where is Red Light?
All right, I should have fixed the spamming time, so we should be able to go back to what we were doing. All right, and look, did Grim go home? No, Grim's still there. So that's
Grim.
good to know. Grim, buddy, I'm gonna give you a couple more warnings before you concede your match for breaking the rules.
Is he trying to curse
And
at
there
you
it
as
is right
well?
there.
Yeah,
okay,
there it
he's
is.
got it. All right, thank you, sir. I
You figured it
appreciate
out.
it.
You
Yeah,
figured
you
it
figured it out. So we'll wait for Grim to get summoned in on the correct build here, and we should be
I mean,
good.
it's not his fault he can't read, you know.
You know, as I think Grim and I actually talked about this in the Peach tournament that Zonic put together, where, you know, in order to, you know, it's hard for your opponent to mind game you if you have no mind, I think was the verbiage that he used. And in order to do that, he said he forsaked his ability to read. So I was expected to see this stuff, you know. Well, you have to remember that Grim's from California, and 80% of the population in California can't read anyways. So he kind of, it doesn't really actually affect anything.
California has the lowest.
You disable predictions. Unfortunately, Siri, in order to stop the spam, I had to disable points. So that was what I did. But we have a few minutes, so let me see if I can just disable the ones that are being spammed and only leave predictions.
Yeah, Red Light had a game issue, and Grim has to change characters because he wanted to do a little bit of trolling.
We do be doing just a little bit, guys.
All right, here's what I'll do. Now that I have a few minutes, I'll fix the redeems in a second here. Now that I have a few minutes, so let's just get everything.
Slowly but surely figuring it out. We'll get there, I believe.
We'll get there eventually. I wasn't expecting to have to do this, but it is the Dark Souls 3 community after all. That should be fixed now, Siri. Let me know if that works or not. I should have basically removed everything and gave people the ability to vote still. All right.
SMH my head, dude.
Yes.
SMH my head. All right, I think we're getting everyone in. I think that's Red Light been summoned in. Do we have the predictions being set up?
It looks like we do.
Oh, me, oh my. And there we go. Onto the corner, onto the sides there, chaps. Remember.
Yeah, on the
There we
wall.
go.
Nope, not
On
quite
the
Red
wall,
Light.
yeah.
You'll get there eventually.
Almost, Grim.
Oh,
Almost
Grim's
got
nearly there.
No.
Nope. Red Light, back to the corner, buddy. We'll figure this out eventually.
They'll ping pong their way around eventually. There
There
we
it
go.
is.
Oh my
That's
God.
close enough. I
Hey.
think they
All right,
figured it out.
Is everything set up?
It looks like it is. Looks like we're gonna see Grim immediately on Straight Sword Expo and Red Light on the Sword and Board. So I'm curious if we're gonna see the Exploding Bolt immediately come out from Grim as this match starts.
All right, then on a 3, on a 2, on a 1. I should have thrown
And
it
there's
in
the bolt
hindsight.
right there. And there it is, actually comes out. But Red Light able to strafe around that or perhaps went through his legs. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. But we're going to see Grim coming out on Straight Sword Expo versus Sword and Board from Red Light. And Grim on full Dark Absorption, Red Light in his regular fashion. I got to appreciate that a little bit. And there's the Dragon Head Shield going for the chip damage on the roll there. Grim unable to find that as Red Light's trying to push the Vesher forward. And Grim swapping between a couple different crossbows, deciding if he wants to stick with damage or chip. And actually onto Rotten Grew is the side of Grim. So
Rotten
Red Light able
Grew.
to space that out. Thinks about going for the attack, but with the presence of Grim, it actually forces a rollout from him. Grim unable to capitalize on that, however. And Red Light now still holding the middle ground. The first bit of damage comes out from Grim, able to trade that into an Expo there. And we see those swaps still coming out from Grim. I think Grim is also on a Dark build, trying to maximize as much chip and anything he can through this. And I assume Dark build with the Dragon Head Shield that we see coming out there as well. And Red Light trying to find a way in. Red Light going with the running attack there, trying to find the pressure forward. And Grim on Rotten Grew into the Expo as well. Actually swaps over to S-Stock Expo, and this is a very hard thing to counter. We'll see how well Red Light does it.
Oh yeah, so the ability to bully Red Light around the place and go for those trades. I know it is a dark S-Stock, it's still not optimal, but against a physical build, it's still something that's quick enough to punish. And he has the, if the other guy decides to be really passive, Grim's the ability to just poke away. And with the Expo, or just regular bolts, he's good enough at this point that I think he should be able to land at least some of them. But we will just have to wait and see. Oof.
And we do see those trades coming out that you talked about. Actually lands 3 R1s into a kick, and the chip damage brings a total of 614 damage. So Red Light really put on the back foot of trying to manage out Grim here. I think we do see Red Light on Tearstone rings as well. And now Grim over to Rotten Grew trying to push that forward. And let's see how they're able to keep going forward there. 197 damage off the roll catch. Though Red Light's able to roll poise through that, Grim's still unfortunately pushed forward. And there's going to be the trade, and Grim's going to take that out in a 1-0 lead.
With his signature finish then to end it all out. Yeah, of course.
And that's going to be Grim
rough.
going up 1-0 in this fight versus Red Light. And something I would like to say is Red Light, in my experience of fighting Red Light, has turned out to be an extremely good sword and board player in the little bit of time in the last couple months that I've been playing with him. He's gone from somebody that I can kind of keep up with to someone that pretty much just bodies me when they want to. So Red Light has gotten quite good, and I'm really curious to see how he's going to try to find the way around what Grim's doing here with the straight sword. I mean, not with the straight sword, pardon, with the S-Dot crossbow, swapping over to that Rotten Grew.
Interesting. Yeah. Again, I've not played Red Light all that much. I've heard him spoken of very highly by an awful lot of the NA crew, but I don't have all that much experience. I think we fought a couple of times. He seems like a really solid player, and watching him there was nothing necessarily wrong in what he was doing. It's just that the better player came out in the windup, which pains me to say it. Don't worry.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, Grim did I think what it boiled down to there was Red Light trying to find a way around the crossbow. And even though Grim only has 7 bullets, Grim's going to land all 7 of those bolts. Like, Grim is without a doubt one of the best crossbow users in the world, but even more so, I do think, in North America. So, Grim getting those 7 bolts just means that he gets to get either 7 versions of chip damage or 7 bits of damage, and in how he's going to use that. So trying to find a way around crossbow, especially trying to find a way around an S-Stock with crossbow, is extremely hard to do it. I definitely don't fault Red Light for giving up that first match through that.
Well, I believe wasn't Grim one of the first to end up getting Expo banned? Wasn't that his claim to fame, like way back in the day?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Or was it Niviel? I can't remember. Damn.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
A bit before my time.
Especially in terms of tournaments, it's well before my time. I haven't really been in the tournament scene other than a few months, even though I've been in the game scene for a couple years. So I'm not really sure. But looks like both players are in, and looks like we're ready to continue this second match of the best of 3.
Oh, on a 3, on a 2, on a 1. LA, gents.
All right,
Let's
and
go,
Grim
gamers.
actually doesn't go for that very first bit, and we're going to see Red Light coming up with the pressure. Grim able to space that out and goes for actually swaps over to Malbreaker to find a little bit and goes into the straight sword. So really good use of the swaps there to try to trip Red Light up, but Red Light all too well knows what's going on and able to get around those pretty easily. Grim with the running attack off of Follower Saber, and now Red Light trying to find the pressure off Sword and Board. Grim unable to find too much with that straight sword on the Expo, and actually finds 180 damage on a roll catch. So really, really good use of the Expo. Again, we're going to talk about Grim's Expo. He gets 7 bullets. That means he gets to hit them 7 times, and actually, the rolling attack comes in from Red Light, able to find a little bit of chip there. Grim able to get a ring swap in to get those buffs back that he wants, and Red Light trying to now pressure that. And there's the Follower Saber running attack from Grim to try to counter that into the Corvian for the R1. R1's the dead angle behind him and back over to the S-Stock. And let's see how well they're able to push forward. We actually see, I think it could... No, it's still Godhart's coming out. I'm just blind from Red Light, and we see Rotten Grew coming out from Grim. And Red Light actually still able to pressure, even though it's Rotten Grew. He's able to find the spacing in and keep the pressure forward, forcing Grim to kind of play in this runaway style. And Grim then swaps over to the Dragon Head Shield, tries to find a roll catch with it, unable to, and gets right back over to the crossbow to try to keep the pressure with that. And again, two-handing the Rotten Grew here, trying to find the way in as Red Light is trying to push this pressure with the Sword and Board. Grim unable to find any type of damage with that. We see a lot more safer play coming out from Red Light this time around. Perhaps the nerves have cooled, and now he's really, thinking things through. There's the running attack, and Grim's going to find the trade there. Really good reaction roll from Red Light. Puts up the shield in case of an immediate R1, and then just waits for it out and gets the block. And now Grim trying to find the roll catch, unable to land that. Red Light's able to get around that one as we continue moving forward. So Red Light throws an R1 out. Grim not able to find too much. But if Red Light keeps trading like this, Grim's going to get a situation where he still has 6 bolts left and is going to probably win off of those bolts if Red Light gets low enough.
He's kind of holding him off there now. Red Light's just kind of chilling. But what I noticed early on in the fight, Grim was very patiently jumping in and out, trying to bait something out that he can punish. He's confident in his play, and that's a thing that we've seen over and over again so far today. The more confident player with their spacing and with their reads is seemingly coming out on top every single time. Red Light's hesitating just a little bit. I mean, he's hesitating now. Oh, he clips him! Holy crap!
And he actually clips him without an exploding bolt. I think that was a heavy bolt that he found there, and
it seems so.
Actually, Red Light swaps over to the Lightning Shield in the main hand to try to block out, perhaps. I'm not really sure if that was a miss swap or what was going on, but swaps back over to the straight sword now, and we see that health favor going slowly in terms of Grim, and now Red Light forced back in the corner when Grim was in the corner. And actually, we see the Turtle Malbreaker come out, but the Follower Saber running attack's going to get some chip, and again, that Exploding Bolt's going to get some chip, and I believe that was the 4th or 5th Expo Bolt we see come out from Grim, so he still has a couple more to use. There's the Rope Firebomb. Nice little mix-up, and the running attack into Saber. Really, really good play from Grim there to get Red Light to walk towards that. And that's going to finish out our round 1 with Grim taking the fight versus Red Light.
Wow,
was
incredible stuff.
That was really impressive stuff on everyone's part there. Like knowing when to attack, knowing when to kind of ease off the pressure a small bit, kind of baiting out stuff constantly. Again, confident plays there in everyone's part. I will need to BRB for just a moment if that's
Sure,
okay, gents.
absolutely.
If you please
Fine,
forgive
I think
me.
we have to start losers bracket now, so
Awesome.
we have enough to start that, I believe.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So if they want to get that rolling, what we'll probably do is when we finish out these actually these aren't the quarterfinals. I think this is still round 3.
This is round. We're just in the beginning
Yeah,
of round
we're
3.
still
I'll
in round
BRB for
3,
just
so
a
we're
moment.
not
anyway,
quite
gents.
in the quarterfinals yet. There we go. We'll get that back up. So yeah, we'll be looking at this. What we'll probably do when we get to, I'll wait until Enda's back to flop back to the webcam so he isn't stuck, it with just his room in the background. What we'll probably do is I'll just jump over to Tommy's stream and we'll watch the end of that. I'm sure he'll be okay with that. But we'll have Value, and actually I'll go ahead and jump through the challenge here with you folks. So we're going to have Value and Smoke Wolf in our first matchup here, and these are two players that are quite good as we've seen them play. I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out. Value, probably one of the best sword and board players in the world, and again, Smoke, a really good S-Stock player that we see him come out with S-Stock Turtle. We're going to have Hackrish and Takeman in the next round, and I'm really curious to see how well Takeman actually manages to find his way around Hackrish, since Chicken did a really good job versus Takeman, but Takeman was able to find the edges out. I'm curious if Hackrish is going to kind of fall in that same boat or catch it. And then we're going to see Fury going up against the Arcade Pugs of Blimpo. I assume we're going to stay on Arcade Pugs for Blimpo. I'd like to see that at least, see how well Fury gets that. And then our final match of round 3 will be Amir and Grim. And based on what we saw, I think that will be a really good fight that we're going to see come out from those folks. I'm just going to hang out on this screen while we wait for Enda to come back. But how's everybody doing? I haven't really had the chance to read chat. How's life going, man? Happy New Year's, by the way, everybody. Don't read chat, please. All right. I won't read chat if that's.
Big Chat has one takeaway, and it's that your commentary is like the best commentary I'll do.
Oh well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, let's not push anything off of Enda either. Enda is quite a good commentator in his own right.
Oh, I would never.
How's everything on the management side going, Zonic? Everything looking good?
Yeah, I get him in. I just I'm waiting for Ed to get back.
Sure, absolutely. Have we started the losers bracket yet?
Yeah, they have. I think
awesome, phenomenal.
My profoundest apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Hey, not a problem whatsoever, and I appreciate you being here. If you need to take a step out, that's okay. We're gonna be hanging out with one another for quite a while, so I'm okay with you jumping back and forth where you need. Are you good for me to swap back over to webcams?
That sounds good to me, my dude.
I didn't want to. Oh, the jacket's off.
The jacket's off.
I'll wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm a little. I'm not quite warm enough. I'm only sweating like 80% of the water I'm drinking. I'll wait till I get to 90.
It's getting hot. It's getting hot over here, dude. I don't know about you, but
well,
this is getting pretty sweaty.
Yeah, let's just see how warm it is right now. It's a little bit chilly here. So in terms of Celsius, because I know a lot of people in chat are Celsius, for you, Enda, it's -13. And what that means for those of us that actually use a real system because we're free and have liberties, it's going to be 8 degrees where I'm at. So I think the jacket's okay for right now.
The upstart colonies, my God, jeez.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it was still in Celsius from I think the last time I talked to somebody who doesn't use a real system. So my mistake for having it stuck in that. We need EU Tourney 2. Well, actually, Ice, EU tournament's next weekend on the 8th, hosted by this beautiful man right there. That's End of the Lion. And I'll be around in that one too. But, Enda definitely takes the spotlight most of the time.
Hell yeah. Rightly so. That little LB stirring up trouble. Trying to annoy us, unacceptable. I get out of here.
Yeah, I can't wait to be the odd man out next weekend as the only person who's legally allowed to have a gun.
That is.
All right, are we ready for me to start?
Absolutely, Zonic.
At least.
I think so. I think we're there.
My God, bloody Yanks, man. I mean, oh God, I'm outnumbered right now. Rip.
Yeah, you're like I said, you're the odd man out this time around, and then next weekend I'll be the odd man out, unfortunately.
I actually am legally allowed to carry. Fuck you. Never mind. What am I on about?
I was just making a joke. I don't know nearly enough about how things work in in the land of the Irish.
All the hoops. God damn it.
The Irish. Alrighty. And looks like we're going to see value coming in on a sorting board as we assumed. And actually you see smoke coming out on Gotstock. So let's go ahead and get over to our tournament our scene here and see how well we're going to see this move forward.
Both of these guys know each other very well, so I'll be very excited to see how they pull this one out. It seems that Smoke's on SS off stock by the looks of things.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Gotstock coming out from Smoke versus the Sword and Board of Value, and Gotstock is definitely on paper it beats Sword and Board. So I'm curious to see how Value is going to overcome that, as Smoke is not an easy opponent and is quite good.
Most certainly. All right, are we ready to go then, folks? So, on a 3, on a 2, on a 1, allez.
And there's the bomb there. We're going to see the buff come out. And Value actually misses the lightning urn to try to punish that. So Smoke getting a free buff there on the straight. So actually is... Yeah, it looks like we do see that coming out. And then they're going to move forward here. There's the straight swords in the offhand, S-Stocks in the main hand. So really interesting choice from Smoke coming out on that. I'm curious how it's going to play out. Value going for the whiff punish. Actually finds the backswing. 162 damage now on the side of Value. Smoke able to get a ring swapped around. Value immediately places himself behind Smoke there, assuming that we're going to see the R1 come out from S-Stock. And Smoke able to read that and not let him get the free backstab on the strafe and counteract it. So Value still able to block it up and continue moving forward. And let's see how well Smoke's able to do this. So throws out, though, that L2 off of the straight sword there, but Value is able to win that trade outright and actually finds a backswing in the mix too for 566 damage. So really, really good free aim from Value to find that backswing. And Value actually puts himself in the corner, but I don't think Smoke's going to do too much with that, as Value can just kind of hold his shield up against his physical build. And let's see how well Smoke's able to find himself in this pressure. Value goes for the R1 off the whiff punish there, unable to find that, and there's another R1 as well. 202 damage comes out onto Smoke from Value, and Value backing up, possibly getting some stamina back and just kind of relaxing in the midfield here.
Well, again, he is up against Smoke, who is definitely a player worth respecting here, most certainly.
And there's a strafe! Reads that S-Stock, strafes around it, and finds a backstab, goes for the backswing. Unfortunately, the timing was a little bit off there, and actually really good read from Smoke to see that Value is going to try to pressure there and find that L2 with a straight sword, getting into the R1 of the S-Stock there to get that poke. And I would be surprised if we don't see Leo trades coming out from Smoke playing for that, and Value did a really good job of seeing that and getting around it. But there's the Leo trade right there, 337 up to 448 versus a 2-0 something that Smoke ended up taking. So Smoke wins the trade, but in terms of health, Value actually still winning that out, being that he's a lot farther away from death here than Smoke, and can afford to trade like that where Smoke really can't. And let's see how they're going to move forward here. The strafe comes out again on the running attack. Value unable to punish it this time, though. Smoke's a little bit too aware, and Value, I think the read was just a little bit too late there. There's that straight sword coming out, trying to find the pressure, and Value going for a backswing. 202 damage on the backswing. Absolutely insane. And now Smoke's in the back foot. Value's throwing out R1s behind him. Smoke's just throwing things out from neutral. There's the backswing right there to catch him, and Value's going to take that up in a 1-0. One of the things we definitely can talk about when Value's playing is the way he utilizes backswings. And every single bit of damage he did there was followed up with a backswing. And I gotta say that's quite impressive what you're looking at. You know, when you're fighting against an S-Stock that has a Leo ring on it, to just be able to freely dance around that, and you know, if he rolls the R1, he gets hit by at least when Value plays, a guaranteed backswing. So quite good to see that those backswings come out from Value.
It's impressive as well to note that you could probably count the amount of times he didn't hit the backswings rather than he did. You know, that's pretty telling for where he's at. And my God, yeah, that was not quite how I expected. I honestly expected to see Smoke on S-Stock, to be honest with you, S-Stock Turtle, because again, that's a much more favorable matchup, and I'm kind of curious as to why he didn't switch.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna go a main hand S-Stock versus Value, I don't know why you wouldn't use the Black Knight Shield. You get, I mean, he landed a couple different things with that straight sword that caused him to get some trades, and he ended up winning some trades with the Leo ring on S-Stock due to that. But you know, still you're putting yourself in a situation where you don't have a block tool and the offhand weapon, which is typically where S-Stock goes, so you don't get your backswing of the straight sword. Instead, you get everything else on S-Stock. So interesting choice. I'm curious why he didn't even run straight sword off stock for that, and why he chose to go offhand straight sword. Is, you know, he's forfeiting his ability to backswing, and at that point, I think if you're going to use S-Stock, you're better off to turtle.
I think it's familiarity with the setup. That's what he's comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I would always say to people,
Yeah.
go with what you're comfortable with as opposed
Absolutely.
to playing
Yeah,
for the matchup.
absolutely.
But again, we'll see what he chooses to do this time around. We
Yeah, I
may
think
end up
that's-
seeing him switch to Dark. We might do. I
Oh.
think that would be almost a sensible play here. But you lose those Leo ring trades, so I don't know.
Sure.
We'll just have to wait.
Yeah, and I think that's like you said. At that point, it's a matter of do you want chip damage or do you want a Leo trade? And against, I think against specifically Value's Sword and Board, or maybe some other people's Sword and Board, that they're near to that same level or at that same level as Value. I think probably chip damage is a little bit better there because Value is not going to walk into too many trades that you're going to get that Leo, and he knows he's fought it enough, right? He knows, again, we talk about that experience that players have with these matchups. He knows what he can and can't get away with trades. So forcing that, with Dark, not only will Value might walk into more trades knowing that he doesn't have a Leo to trade against him, but also you get that chip damage, and it might allow him to pressure more. We'll see if he ends up swapping it or not. Looks like we're going to see the summon coming through for Smoke, and we'll see if he's going to go to Dark or stay on physical.
Yeah, it's just gonna be it's again both of these guys. I see Smoke in chat. I don't have a Dark build. Well, that answers that.
Well,
question
that answers the
then, at
question.
least.
Again, I mean, physical S stock, you still get all the benefits of physical S stock, so that's definitely not something to shake your head at. And it looks like we see the same main hand S stack off head Gotthards that we see coming out. If you wouldn't mind just making sure you're all the way in the corner there, Smoke, or not all the way in the corner, all the way against the wall there.
Up against the wall there, lad. Please and thank you.
There we go.
Hey,
That's
there we
close
go.
enough.
All right, and a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Allez.
And there is the bomb right there. So that Lightning Urn again comes out. Actually, Smoke doesn't go with the buff this time, perhaps knowing that Lightning Urn's coming out. And let's see how they're able to move forward. The offhand straight sword trying to find a roll catch, unable to land it, and Value right there to get out of the way. And now Value up against the wall, but able to run around that double quarter and get around it, and able to kind of get pressure now off of this. There's that S-Stock coming in with those quick trades. Goes for the straight sword to try to keep the fish from Value at bay, and it does just that. Value able to hold the shield up to avoid any of those issues, but still able to move forward here. There's going to be the offhand straight sword able to find 2 hits, and then into the S stock to try to find it again, but Value there to punish it there. Again, able to find a backswing off of rolling that R1, and it's almost you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you eat the R1, you're set. If you roll it, you get hit by a backswing. So in either ways, and Value actually really good read, able to keep the S stock at bay there. That you see Smoke try to go for that, but Value able to pressure it out anyways. And now Value in the better positioning here. The running attack comes out from S stock, tries to go for the roll catch. There's a side of Smoke, but Value able to quickly reaction it and get out of the way. And there's a backswing trade, but that's going to be in favor of Smoke Wolf as he just kind of pounds into this shield now, and we see the health vantage slowly moving forward in favor of Smoke Wolf, and Value trying to find a way around that, but still controlling the map rather well as Smoke just able to walk up and press L2 and finds 200 damage, worried that he's going to lose the trade off the backswing, and actually backswings behind him, so really good awareness there from Value to not take any damage he doesn't have to, and let's see how they're going to move forward. I think we've seen the point where Value now is no longer going to want to play for trades because his health is low enough.
I think as well, this is the first sign of like a more traditional high tier DS3 fight where we're playing a little bit more at neutral now. I think the early aggression earlier on is kind of given up, although speaking of the devil, out she comes. Value trying some end attack there to see if Smoke will walk into something. It doesn't quite work out. And here we have Smoke keeping up the aggression, although he's kept away yet again. It's really rough to see. We are playing a much more neutral centric fight now than we were, but it's still much more aggressive than I'm definitely used to. What do you think, LB?
Yeah, I think we see that aggression kind of swapping back and forth. Value throws a few hits out. It gives space for Smoke to aggress. He misses those. It gives space for Value to aggress. Value fighting a roll catch there. Goes for the backswing. Oh, the right behind him. He sees the rolling attack, comes in, baits it out perfectly, and there to punish it to find 2 more R1s into a backswing. So, and there we talk about their Value able to just continue the pressure there, and he's going to take that in a 2-0 lead.
Damn, dude. That was a DS3 thing. Oh, that was rough. That was a rough one there for Smoke there in the last bit there to be stuck in against the corner. To be stuck against the corner on low health is one of the most disgusting feelings against Sword and Board. You're going to get like backswung to death. It's really, really gross. It's quite unfortunate.
Yeah,
but,
go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like there's not much you can do once you're in that point. You put yourself there, you've made your bed, you might as well get into it then at that point.
Yeah, and I gotta Smoke had a pretty good read that okay, value's gonna hit here. I'm gonna get roll poise. I can abuse that roll poise to get a rolling attack off my ass stock and win the trade with Leo. And it was a really good play. But Value just saw that so clearly and just dead angled it behind him, avoided the attack and just went forward, hit the backswing, got the roll catch into another backswing, and it just kind of finished off Smoke. And like you said, when you're in that corner, his ability to kind of understand what's going on in those pressure. I gotta hand it to Smoke. He played really, really well in that matchup. It didn't really let Value walk in on him. Didn't really let himself get in the corner. But the one time he did get in the corner is when the match actually went in favor of Value.
And again, a much more traditional fight on the different arenas that have been used over the years than what we're used to so far this evening. Again, 2022's been a little bit different this time around, and it's really nice to see.
It has.
But yeah, very well played on both of them. Both,
yeah,
both
absolutely.
There.
So, go ahead, Sonic.
I added Tommy to the thing, but he's still can't post results, so I don't know. Actually, can you like update the results at all?
Let me. Do you want me to change the value?
Yeah, see if you can update that. I want to know if that's just the collaborator can't do that, because else I need to look at something else.
I can change them.
Okay, so I don't know why he can't. Okay. 'Cause he has like the same thing as you, so that's weird. Alright, I'll find a solution.
Sure.
Yeah, this is gonna be Tackman versus Hack.
Yeah, and so what I'm curious to see is I assume we're going to see, a very similar play style that Takeman had versus Chicken, where he's going to be either using Rotten Brew or Cell Swords. And I'm curious how Hackrish is going to actually dance around that and find the damage in. So what are your thoughts on that, Enda?
I have a feeling that we're going to see Hack probably go Rotten Brew. We might see the first Rotten Brew mirror so far this evening. I think
Sure.
I don't think I've seen anyone else use it unless someone's in the loser bracket has done it.
Right.
That's my expectation so far, that we might see a Rotten Brew mirror. Although, maybe he might stay on the dagger. Maybe he's confident enough on that. He might try and roll catch him to death and start his own vortexes, because the damage potential, if he's on a physical one, which I believe he is. So we're still looking at Leo Ring trades, believe it or not. And especially on those weapon arts, the amount of damage you can put out in that is going to be pretty scary.
Yeah, I think Dagger and Malbreaker is something that people often overlook. I think when they think of, okay, what dagger is going to use? You have, Murky Harp and then Corvian, and that's typically what people think about, unless they think of Rotten Brew Dagger for the poison buildup. Being that stuff's limited to what you actually can and can't use in this tournament, Malbreaker is a really, really good option, and it's quite meta when you actually look at the rule set we have, that you still get all the benefits of the Dagger two-handed moveset. You get a really, really strong weapon art that gives you the ability to roll catch and then chain that weapon art into itself. So if the weapon art hits you, it's a true combo to get hit by the weapon art again, from my understanding. So he gets the counter on the roll and then actually finds the weapon art again. And what a lot of players, myself included, when you fight a Dagger on low latency, you forget that you can't trade when you have a Curve Sword. Because again, Curve Sword, you can just trade almost all the time on any latency over 100. You can pretty much just trade with things, and you get the pressure off of the trade and the damage, etc. You kind of just win that trade outright. With Dagger on lower latency, you don't get that. The Dagger wins, and not only does it win the trade in terms of damage, but it wins the pressure, and it has the ability to R1 before you can. So, that's definitely going to throw some of these players that don't have the experience of some of the other players, definitely going to trip them up, that they can't just trade with Rotten Brew in the same way they would be able to on more latency. So really curious to see what Hack's going to come out with, but I suspect we will see him on the Malbreaker.
I think as well, what some people do tend to forget is when you start banning things in any game, like you're resetting the meta, the new meta setups are going to be based off of what's banned. Like, you ban one thing, another thing is going to take its place, essentially.
Right.
So I do feel somewhat sympathetic for people who wish the Curve Swords were more prevalent in like an awful lot of tourneys. But what you have to forget is it makes an awful lot of other setups no longer viable, or so less viable, no one in their right mind would ever take them. So I think that the mail breaker is a great example of a success of those kinds of rule sets, because it allows it to shine through, I think. And I think both players are ready.
Yeah, I think we're my apologies. I think we're pretty much all set on this one.
Are we ready to go then? So on a 1, on a 2, on a 1, 2, 3, and alley.
and the bombs in, we are going to see actually Sword and Board coming out from Hackrish, and actually straight sword off stock to try to counter the Rotten Groove take. And actually, so we see Hack kind of comes through, takes a little bit of damage, trades a little bit out here and there, but the damage is still in favor of Takeman here, as Takeman's trying to find a way to aggress this straight sword off stock, as Hack's just kind of playing very cautiously. And there's that running attack coming out, able to find the off stock to straight sword, actually goes for a second off stock, unable to find it. As actually we see the Dark Blossom coming out from Takeman to try to counteract the dark damage that we see this straight sword S stock coming out from Hack on it. It would appear that Hack is on a dark build.
I would wonder as well how much use the lack of damage compared to the more utility you'd have in Stam, especially on a curved sword. I would wonder about that. I know like mitigating damage means the fight is going to go on longer, but you lose so much of your ability to aggress without that Stam regen. It makes the fight an awful lot slower, keeps the tempo down. Although it doesn't seem to matter. He's getting, nearly got rid of combo there. He manages to get out, back into neutral now and center. Both of them kind of playing around, trying to find their way in. Again, a much more standard DS3 fight that we're all used to. Those aggressively trying to find some way in, and yeah, what do you reckon?
Well, it looks like the R1's going to come out on the running attack and trying to get the roll catch onto Hack, but Hack's able to reaction roll that out. We have seen a few R1s coming in from Takeman, and he's going to get roll caught by the S-Stock. Hack trying to chain that in, actually able to find the R1, goes for the stagger into the backswing. The running attack comes out from Takeman. Takeman very liberal with these running attacks, trying to set up with them, but on this latency, the running attack is not nearly as good as some other things that he can do with that weapon. So the running attack's only landed once or twice, and every other time it's led him in a position that he can get damaged off of it. And again, Hackrish is not only quite good in terms of spacing reactions, etc., but he isn't going to get hit by every single running attack. As I say that, of course, he gets hit by a running attack from Takeman. So maybe I'm not in the arena. Maybe things are happening a little different than what I assume. But again, we see that running attack come out, almost gets chopped by the R2, but he's going to just eat the damage of an S-Stock and a straight sword there. Hack trying to throw the R1 out, trying to find as much little bit of damage as he can, and Takeman's still trying to find a way around this. And we're going to see if he's going to continue throwing these running attacks out, or if he's going to try to space them out regularly. There goes a space attack, but Hack able to get out of this weight of it without even really having to roll. He also got the running attack from his own side now, and let's see if Takeman doing a really good job of keeping pressure, I will say that. But whether or not he gets hit or whiffs, he is right up in the face of Hackrish, forcing Hackrish to do something, whether it's walk away, roll, or R1. And Hackrish going for the running attack off of the curved sword there, able to find a little bit of damage, and now we're seeing Takeman kind of backing up in the corner, so that aggression he had has slowly went away. Does it an R1 from neutral, not able to find too much with that, and just possibly just kind of wasting time there, trying to force Hackrish to do something. Hackrish kind of controlling the neutral here, moving forward now, trying to find a way to aggress this Rotten Groove. He is doing it with pressure off of movement alone, finds the follower saber running attack there to get a little bit of more damage onto Takeman. Takeman one hit away from dying here. Let's see how well Hack's able to find that, and there's the roll catch off S-Stock, and that's going to do it for a 1-0 Hackrish over Takeman.
In my experience as being an SS off-stock main, you have to be the one of those things that you're looking at. One of those things you're constantly looking for when you're going up against a curved sword is either a whiff or a running attack, because you can punish both of them. And when you do punish them, their aggression is just gone, and you can start going to town on them. But it's a really rough one. Like the curve, I think SS off-stock has the matchup.
Right.
And Hack has the experience, so it's a really rough. It's
gonna
be a rough one for Takeman.
You know,
unfortunately.
when you get to this level of play, and again we've talked about rule sets kind of changing meta and how things work. Rotten Groove and Straight Sword Offstock aren't that far apart. They pretty much are. They're very close to the same. And when you look at that running attack coming out from Takeman, out of 4 or 5 running attacks, he landed one and traded one. So every other one forced him to get punished and sacrifice health. So again, when you're on lower latency, the running attack from Curved Sword, not only is it extremely scripted that it's going to happen, but it's quite easy to get around and just kind of dance around it. And Hacker did a really good job of swapping over to one of the slower Curved Swords to get the running attack animation you get from that to land some quick running attacks and chip Takeman down a little bit more. So very curious to see how Takeman's going to adapt this, if he's going to stick on Rotten Groove, and if he is, Rotten Groove versus Straight Sword Offstock, it forces you to play fundamentally better than the player because you don't have the range to rely on that they do. You don't have the same utility. Granted, fast Curved Sword is still fast Curved Sword, and you don't need that the other things that Straight Sword Offstock gives you. But what Fast Curved Sword really does is it highlights your mechanics. It highlights your fundamentals. If you're mechanically sound and fundamentally sound, you're going to do well on that weapon. So you have to really be very, very mechanically sound in order to counteract the different weapon setups that have different bits of utility that can kind of chain different combos together.
Gothard still has that range
Correct.
though, and you have to be so careful going in on that on your closes and your advances. You know, you can get clipped there, and you have an S stock, you have another R1, you have an R2 potential coming out of it. Like
Right.
it's a messy one when you close in that when you start to close. But if you get one hit and you vortex, it's a lot of damage. But I think we're ready to rock and roll
It
here,
looks
folks.
like
So,
we are here. We have Hackrish on straight sword off stock on the left, Takeman on that Rotten Grew on the right.
and on a 3, on a 2, and on a 1. LA, gents. LA.
All right, and here we see again that Dark Blossom coming out, or Dark Pellet rather, coming out from Takeman, really trying to negate any damage he's going to take. Goes for the R1, really good placement, throwing it behind him, knowing that Hackrish is there to punish, and able to get him away scot-free without taking any damage. The running attack comes in, they're going to trade it out, and the pressure is actually in favor of Hackrish there, as he's able to find a little bit more damage. Gets the ring swap out to get a little bit more buffs coming out from that health, and there's the roll catch into a backswing. 384 damage comes out from Hackrish. Hackrish trying to find it and able to trade out that running attack with S-Stock and outright
Another
win the
backswing.
trade. And again, yeah, like you mentioned, he finds that backswing again. So those running attacks, Takeman is getting very liberal with them, and it's causing him to really take a lot of damage. And we're going to see Hackrish controlling the middle here, going for an R1 from neutral is Takeman. Hackrish trying to punish it with the off stock, but able to dance around it is the side of Takeman. Takeman now trying to find the damage. There's the poke from, there's the R2 able to catch
There's
it,
the R2,
and he's going to find the
there she
R2
goes.
again, and he actually angles it behind him this time. So Hackrish, really up in terms of damage here, and he's going to find a running attack again against this Rotten Grew, and he really forcing Takeman in the corner, and he's really forcing rolls quite well with that S-Stock, just unable to capitalize on anything else after forcing that roll. And let's see how well Takeman's going to kind of bounce back from this. The running attack comes in, able to find the damage. Hack tries to trade it out, but unfortunately the straight sword is not going to win that trade. And just like that, the health is not that different anymore. Takeman's still only 1 or 2 hits from death, but Hackrish not that far behind him. And Takeman trying to now take the pressure of his movement to push Hack into a position to really take the damage here. And Hack's going to find that whiff punish as a chance to get up in his face a little bit and push him in the corner. The running attack comes out on the Shoto, not the Shoto, pardon me, the Follower Saber. And there's the running attack from Grew. Actually lands that one for 256 damage. And we're getting low enough that all this damage is extremely crucial at this point if Hack plans to win this one out. And again, we see as the fight goes on, it gets a little bit more sloppy and the aggression kind of goes back and forth. Let's see how well they're able to finish this out.
He had an opportunity there to whiff punish the Grew. I don't necessarily think, from my perspective anyway, he had to roll it. He could have S-Stock punish. But it would have been a risky maneuver, but they're both super low now.
Oh, and there's
But
that running attack to finish it out.
running to put her away and have
And that's
takes
going to
the
be
win.
a
What is-
2-0 in favor of Hack.
2-0. It's a best of 5 now in round 3, isn't it? Or is it a
No, only the semifinals are a best of 5. So we're gonna be best of 3 throughout. So it'll be Fury and Blimpo, Amir and Grim, and then Value, Hack, and then the next winners, and then into the semifinals we'll do a best of 5.
Excellent.
Yeah,
It's
given
really nice
the
to see.
large amount of players, it kind of made sense to just keep it.
Have the
best
more
of
lightning
3.
rounds and stuff. Yeah, I follow. That makes perfect
Especially they
sense.
have the chance to come back in the losers round as well.
I think that's actually I think that's really nice that they do have that backup constantly as well. They're
Right.
all best of 3 too, weren't they?
Up until the very final match. The very final match of the losers bracket will be a best of 5, as that's kind of on par with what the semifinals will be.
Excellent. But this is really exciting. I mean, like, some exceptional players coming up here. We have Grim and Amir. We have Fury and Blimpo. Like, oof,
Yeah,
this is
let's. I'm
be
gonna
tough.
jump over to the challenge here, and we can take a quick peek at that. So we do see, Value and Hackers are going to be in our quarterfinals up against each other, and then we're going to be, whoever wins Fury Blimpo, whoever wins Amir and Grim. I'm curious to see how well Fury actually manages the RK Pugs that Blimpo no doubt is going to come out on. I'm curious to see how Fury manages that and gets around kind of that different setup that you aren't necessarily used to fighting all the time. And I'm quite curious to see how Amir and Grim are going to go. Those are two, quite good players, and I think that's going to be a very fun matchup to watch.
And both KBM players as well, I believe.
Both KBM,
Give the-
absolutely.
Give them a little bit of love. They need every bit of it they can get.
Correct. Yes, correct.
But man, okay, I think we have both our players in here.
All right, and yeah, looks we're gonna see Fury on this sorting board, and a little bit. We'll jump over so y'all can see what's going on here. A little bit of BM Marie. There's the alluring skull on the ground. That very interesting play, and there's the RK Pugs from Blimpo, the sorting board from Fury. I think once Blimpo gets in his wall, and there it is. Oh, nearly there.
I think.
Nope.
Try again, Blimpo.
You were close. You were almost against the wall.
You were close, but no cigar. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can Where's my alluring skulls that might tempt him over?
It looks like they're going to
Move.
take that as the round. Yep, and he's trying to force them back into the wall. And again, you have to get up against the wall, Blimpo. You want to
against
make sure you're up against the wall at all costs. They're going to swap back and forth now. Hot take.
That was pretty. That's
I
very
think
cute.
I think at this point we accept that Blimpo isn't going to stand all the way against the wall and
Okay,
just roll
that's
with it.
close enough. All
That's-
right. On a
he's-
3,
he's got
on
the
a
spirit.
2, on a 1.
And
Oh,
the
the
immediate point down,
stairs.
and let's see how they're going to force off of that. So we're going to see Blossoms coming out. Fury takes the time to point down back at Blimpo here, and let's see how they're going to find forward. So Blimpo going for the running attack off of RK Pugs here. Fury able to get around that without any issue. There's the roll trying to get the kick. Actually nearly punishes that kick with the straight sword. Able to find the running attack, and now we're seeing Fury just playing extremely fundamental here to dance around the different combos and mix-ups that you're going to have on this RK Pug. So Fury able to bait out that L1. Really good dead angle into a thing there, but tries to find the hyper armor, but Fury able to read that and immediately go for R1s again instead of facing around it. Fury doesn't even bother going for the backstab, not wanting to put himself in that situation. Instead, just immediate there to try to catch a roll and just puts himself in a position to really punish out. And there's the kick in. Fury able to R1 behind him to avoid taking too much from that. There's the L1. Dead angles it around and goes for the R1, but that's going to put Fury in a situation to immediately break that poise with 2 R1s for 404 damage. And we're seeing Fury. There's the kick finally, and Fury there to block it. The tiny bit of chip comes through, but 1 damage isn't really all that at this point. And let's see if that running L1 can't do anything, and unfortunately is not going to be able to. There is the weapon art trying to find a way in, goes for the kick, but again Fury able to read that entirely, finds the strafe and a backstab. 534 damage. Let's see if he can't find that backswing wake up. Actually doesn't even land it, just hits the R1, and that's going to be Fury taking this 1-0 so far in this first match of the best of 3.
Yeah, important to remember at this level, not to say that Blimpo's relying on gimmicks. Those tricks aren't going to
Right.
cut it.
Exactly.
You have to
yeah.
use your fundamentals. You have to use your basic mix-ups to try and get some sort of damage in there. It's hard because it catches so many people and you might be used to it, but against this kind of level of play, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
You have
it's
to play super, super well.
It's one of those things where those feints that work on 90% of the people that you fight in an invasion or the arena or whatever aren't going to work against someone like Fury. You know, he's not only does he have the experience that he's probably seen it, and whether or not he fell for it before, he won't certainly fall for it again. And plus, you know, when players are playing as reactive as some of these top players that we see, you know, reactions really, when you get to that really highest level, the reactions control the game. You know, Fury knows that he's not going to fall for a feint because he's waiting for something to happen to actually react to and play around it. And that's going to make these super slow weapons that rely on those different types of tricks and feints to land those combos. It's going to make them a lot harder to play, especially versus a straight sword Black Knight shield that can pretty much just block freely anything that Blimpo does and quickly damage it. We actually see the 2 R1s breaking the poise too. You know, Fury knowing that when he lands that second R1 that it's going to break the poise, so he doesn't R1 and roll away. He just knows I'll hit the second R1 and the poise is broken.
Yeah, it's going to... I'm curious now as to how he's going to adapt. Again, to stress, Blimpo is not a slouch.
No,
I mean,
not by any means.
Solid player. But that extra level now is going to be what's needed to try and carry him through this round. And I think both players are ready. What do you reckon? Are we all good
I think
to go?
we're good to go there.
On a 3, on a 2, on a 1, and Fury versus Blimpo. Round 2. Let's go, gamers.
And there's the bomb in. We're going to see, again, the Blossoms coming out, mirrored from each player. The running attack out from Fury immediately. It looks like Blimpo was trying to set up for some type of rolling attack there. Goes for the rolling attack into the R1. Again, we talk about those tricks and feints, and Fury able to walk around it and actually land 2 R1s. Finds the running attack to break the poise of that weapon art, and there's the full weapon art. Actually does clip him for 160 damage, so good on Fury there to get around that, but able to catch him off, and we actually see the swap now coming out to straight sword, but immediately getting back to those RK Pugs. Perhaps the RK Pug's a comfort weapon, really trying to set up those different trades, and we're going to see Fury just immediately running around everything, blocking where he can and rolling where he can't, and just catching a little bit of damage in a backswing there. There's the weapon art, and actually finds a full charged R2, 278 damage to counteract the weapon art from that Lothric Knight straight sword. And now Blimpo really on the back foot here, goes for a Coi's break, but that's not going to do anything as Fury's just going to space it out and punish it. So well played for Fury there to go up 2-0 and get him a spot in the quarterfinals.
That R2 was schmexy, all right? I'm not going to pretend. It was getting hot before, now this waistcoat's getting too much, Christ. Really? really solidly played there on Fury's part. And I think this is the first time I've ever watched him play, and I can understand now why he has the reputation he has.
Yes.
Really, really, really well done. Damn.
Yeah, Fury is, when you look at just the overall skill in a game, the ability to jump between all the different setups, understanding of those setups, again, Fury is just quite good at those, and he's one of the best players due to his ability to jump between the weapons. Fury is an extremely fundamental player, and when an extremely fundamental player gets their hand on weapons that just do nothing but good things for fundamentals, he's gonna burn through a lot of people. And again, Blimpo plays Arcade Pugs. Nobody plays them better than Blimpo, but unfortunately, when you're looking at the ability to just very easily walk around, block, and roll off of those super slow weapons, it makes those setups a lot harder for Blimpo to get, and Fury's able to just walk through it and just kind of melt through him with his Dark God Hards.
It rewards the patient player on the UG so much better, especially at this level.
Right.
But yeah, it's a rough matchup no matter what way you cut it. And I can imagine nerves as well. If you're told you're going to be fighting Fury in a round 3 of a 600 buck tourney, I'd be kind of sweating too.
Absolutely. I will say I got to give it to Blimpo for staying on his setup and playing off of comfort. I do think he not too many people are going to play that weapon better than him. And looks like we see Grim is now summoned in on the Straight Sword Expo.
Here's trouble.
And we're going to see Amir coming in off of... I'm guessing we're going to see that sword and board coming out from Amir again, but we'll see if he's possibly going to use the Expo to counter. Amir also no one to shake your head at when it comes to Expo. Quite good at landing those shots as well.
Right. Pardon me for that. I think we're just waiting on Amir, right?
I believe that is the plan. I thought I saw him getting summoned. It's entirely possible I'm seeing things at this point.
Oh, it's a little bit too much souls. It's not good for the soul one.
Right.
I'm sorry. Please don't kick me.
Yeah, it wouldn't be you and I commentating something together if there wasn't a little bit of banter back and forth.
Oh, we believe in you, Amir. I think chat's coming out for Amir.
Interesting. It's
the
like I said, I
case.
think this is going to be quite a close matchup and quite a good matchup.
KBM v KBM. I'm really, really excited. Really, really excited to see how this one is going to go. What weapon will Amir? What weapons do you think he's going to come out with then? Do you think we're going to see the infamous Partisan? Are we going to see more S&B?
I'm doubtful on the Partisan, and the reason I'm doubtful on the Partisan is like we talked about with the Arcade Pugs, it's one of those weapons that requires setups and requires players to kind of walk into those feints and setups that you do. And Grim's not going to walk into those. As much trouble as we like to give Grim, as much as we like to say he crutches on a lot of different things, Grim is he's a top tier player. At the end of the day, his fundamentals are second to none. His ability to play the game is quite good. So, those weapons like Partisan is going to be a lot harder to actually counteract what that player is doing when that player is Grim. So I do think we're going to see Sword and Board and possibly even Expo coming out from Amir. Would be my hot take.
I've not seen Amir's Expo. That'd be actually kind of interesting to take a look at, just as like a curiosity to see how. Although we have S&B off the bat, okay.
All right,
So.
And looks like we have our players against the wall for Grim and Amir in this round 3 best of 3.
All right, on a 3, on a 2, on a 1, folks. Allez.
And there it is right there. Amir, again on Sword and Board, the actually physical Sword and Board versus the dark that we see Grim on. The follower is able to find a running attack over to the Malbreaker to try to find a running attack back over to an S stock now, and that's going to be a tricky thing for Amir to get around is the S stock. And there's going to be the backswing lands from Amir, able to find a little bit of damage. The running attack comes out from Grim there, and there's going to be the Dragon Head Shield to get a little bit more damage out. And there's the Expo from Amir that we talked about. Unable to land it though, as he is just kind of lose one of his bolts. And there's the Rotten Groove from Grim. So one thing I will say from Grim is Grim's well known for his swaps, and we see him doing it actively here. It's very hard to walk into Grim's setups because you don't know what he's going to swap to. He's either going to hit you with a different running attack, he's going to quickly get an S stock out, or like we see him, he's going to get over to the Rotten Groove and just try to pressure you. So the Expo in his offhand is going to be hard to deal with for Amir here, but Amir's doing pretty good at dancing around it at this point. Keeping those bundles up for when he does get damage to get it in, and we do see Grim trying to throw those running attacks out from Saber, and we're going to see this play out probably to this in neutral dancing back and forth fashion until one of these players is able to land a really good set of hit combos. And we're actually seeing to see Grim go over to the Dragon Head Shield, goes for the running attack, actually able to land 177 damage. There's the block, and Amir's able to get out of that pretty scot-free. He's going to get hit a little bit. And there's the Dragon Head Shield from Amir. Lands a little bit of damage, and it's going to trade out from Grim. Grim able to dead angle the S-Stock there to get out of the side, and Grim able to get the very last ring swap he's going to get, and there's 135 damage on that Expo from Amir. Amir able to block out from that Expo from Grim, and actually doesn't take any damage. So Grim losing one of those Expo bolts, and actually lands a second one there, though. So what he loses, he quickly makes up for. And there's going to be a running attack in from the Follower Saber again, right back over to the God Hearts to running attack it out, and Amir able to kind of sit back and wait these running attacks out and try to punish off of that. There's the S-Stock swap from Amir, and he's able to trip him up there. Again, Grim known for his swaps and ability to trip up, and Amir able to swap over to the S-Stock and just quickly trip him up, and quickly, staying on that S-Stock turtle now, and actually swaps over to the God Hearts to try to counteract the Rotten Gru. Curious that he's going to stick on God Hearts for Rotten Gru and not stay with S-Stock, but we'll see how well he plays it out. Grim having a really hard time aggressing Amir here, and we're going to see him come out to that Expo again. He's going to try to get a roll catch there, but Amir able to read that out and reaction his way out of that one.
Amir is doing a really excellent job, I think, more so than just as I say it, he's stuck in a corner against Grim. But listen, for the most part, he's doing an exceptional job of getting counter pressure, staying in neutral, not getting lost. Although Grim is just going to chip him down slowly but surely. I think they're going to have an Expo match here.
Yeah, it looks like they were doing it a little bit. Grim being able to stick on those exploding bolts and uses a couple of them. Perhaps this was just a big brain play from Amir to get him to burn through a couple more of those. I'm not sure how many Grims used, but he can't have too many left. And we actually see the Follower Saber. Yeah, we see the Follower Saber come through to find a little bit of damage, and Amir swapping over to that Dragon Head Shield back over to the Black Knight Shield. And now we see this pressure just swapping back and forth very slowly. The running attack himself able to double roll out of the running attack from the S-Stock. Grim made it a little bit too scripted, swaps over to the straight sword and goes for the backswing. And again, Amir able to see that coming and get out of it entirely. So really reactive play we see coming out. Goes for the two-handed off of that. And the spear swap comes out from Amir. Unfortunately, he's fast rolling there, tries to get the Mailbreaker for a weapon art and nearly lands it. But unfortunately, there's the Onakiri swap trying to throw Grim off here, but unfortunately not able to continue forward. So we see a few swaps coming out from Amir to throw Grim off. And I don't think Grim really expected Amir to swap like this, and it's caused him to eat a little bit of damage. Overall, though, health is in favor of Grim, so we'll see how Grim continues to keep this pressure forward and able to find it. There's just an S-Stock from neutral. Grim unable to reaction out of that as he eats 2 there for 177 damage, and that's going to level his health out a lot more. But, Grim plays differently once he gets on tier stones, and there's a roll catch from the Expo! Grim rolls into the Expo and actually gets roll caught from it, and there's his own Expo, and now we're going to see Rotten Gru come out, blocks up, and then just reactions out of that R1. Really, really good play by Amir there, and Amir trying to work his way through this. And we're going to see that Expo still coming out from Grim, he's got to only have maybe 1 bolt left. There's the running attack. Really good roll from Amir. Amir fat rolling for a second, but able to get out of the way still. So unfortunately, Grim wasn't able to catch the roll catch there. But there it's going to be the Rotten, and the Rotten Gru is going to actually trade into that Dragon Head Shield, and that's going to be it for Grim. So really, really good fight that we see come out for Grim's going to have a 1-0 lead in this best of 3.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I can't keep up with what they're swapping to at this point, to be honest with you. That's pretty crazy. Honest to goodness. It's just a little bit too much. I'm getting scared. I didn't know this was possible. Well, I didn't know.
It's it definitely is hard to see these different swaps coming through, and see what's going on. But it is something that these players do a really good job of, the fact that you can't keep up with it. How do you think the person in the arena is doing trying to keep up with these swaps? Us sitting back and watching it, having a hard time, it just goes to show how good these swaps are and how hard it is to see what's going to happen and what's going on.
And it's nice to see that playstyle been taken to a tourney, especially at this level. It's nice to see other, Rustic kind of takes the cake for these tourneys. But goddamn, that was it's nice to see this different style of play.
Yeah,
really, really nice.
Absolutely, and we're going to see, I assume we're going to see a very similar setup coming out from these two players again. Amir was quite close to clutching that one out, and I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk for Grim now moving forward. I think Grim's going to be forced to play just as well as he did last time, if not even a little bit better, as Amir comes through and tries to counteract his play style.
All right, we are ready to go on a 3, on a 2, on a 1. Grim versus Amir. LA.
All right, so again, we're going to see Sword and Board to start with Straight Sword Expo from Grim. And let's see how they move forward here. We're going to see that same bit of, actually 122 full damage finds that on the Expo there. Amir not able to block that. There's the running attack off of the Saber and goes for it again, immediately trying to find the R1 for the roll catch. The roll attack comes out from Amir. Good idea there, but Grim was able to see that and move out of the way entirely. And now we're going to see the Dragon Head Shield come out from Grim, as we're going to see a trade come in favor of Grim, as he is on that Malbreaker now. And there's going to be the roll catch coming out, unable to land that. And there's going to be an Expo to trade it out as well. And now we're seeing Amir kind of walk into these setups that Grim wants him to. And Grim doing a really good job of not scripting out exactly what he's going to do. And there's going to be a bolt coming out from Amir to try to counter that. And then we see the turtle coming out. The follower Saber comes out for the running attack over to Twin Axes, but then back up to an S-Stock. And let's see how they're able to continue this forward. Again, another bit of bolt. And Amir needs to be careful here. If he gets a little bit lower, we're going to see that Night Expo come out from Grim with a few more shots that he has left and be able to take this one home. And going for the backstab off the roll, really, really good idea there from Grim. And again, you know, if Amir didn't see that coming, it's very possible he would have walked into that and gotten the backstab there. Their latency isn't quite low enough to make that truly inescapable. There's going to be Grim actually finding the R2 and puts him away. So Grim with a 2-0 victory is securing himself a spot in the quarterfinals.
That was incredible. That is really, really nice play there in Grim. That was a dominant Grim Reaper there in that entire round. But rip Amir. Yeah, rip F's in chat, please. But yeah, that was exceptional play there on behalf of Grim there, putting him away there in that last one. Really, really solid play. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. It was aggression off the bat.
I think Amir just got a little bit too loose with that second match. You know, he did so well in the first match versus Grim and really forced Grim to really think about his swaps and really not over-script himself, that the second time through, I don't know if Amir maybe had a little bit too much confidence or maybe he just made a few mistakes, but Grim just came through with a lot more aggression that second match and punished everything Amir did a lot better. So really good play on those starts. And now we're actually going to get into our quarterfinals. So I'm going to jump over to the
first of the best of
so we
five,
can see that. Semifinals are best of 5. So these are still going to be best of 3s up until our semifinals.
Okay.
Yeah, so as we can see on the screen here, this round 4 is going to be still our quarterfinals, best of 3. Semifinals will be a best of 5, and these finals will be a best of 9. So we're really curious to see how this is all going to kind of play out and move forward.
Oh man. Whew. Value versus Hack. Now we're getting to the creme that's risen up to the top, ladies and gentlemen. Value. Sword and Board. I'm not sure what else I expected, to be honest. If he changed, I'd be surprised. We have Hack, of course. No idea what he's going to be coming on yet. And then in the second match, in this round 4, we have Fury versus the Grom Slopper.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point where we're really looking at battles of titans here. You know, we're having Value and Hack and then Fury and Grim. And regardless of whoever wins those 2 matches, the semifinals is going to be quite the match. So I'm very curious to see, exactly how all this stuff is going to play out. Obviously, both Value and Hackers, 2 very good friends of mine. I've fought them both a good chunk of time, and I'm really, really curious to see how this is going to play out. Like I said, no matter who wins this one, I'll be happy. So let's see how they actually play it out as we move forward. Looks like we're working on getting Hack summoned, but Value is in on the traditional Sword and Board.
Will Hack?
I can't see his sign, and he's not gone back to me on Discord.
Give him a few minutes. We have some time to kill, I think, anyway.
I do want to say one thing. I think if you want to, Losers is a little bit behind, so if we, depending on how we look on it, we could do these best of 5s. I think we have time. We're only 2 hours and like 30 minutes into this. We've gone like way faster than I thought.
I think if these players want to do a best of 5, they can. But I'm not going to force it on anybody. If all 4 players say, yeah, let's do a best of 5, then we can do best. So Grim wants to do a best of 5. So Value, Hackrish, and Fury, if you guys want to do best of 5, we certainly can. We have the time. We set it for best of 3 to not lose track of time. But if we have the time and you want to do best of 5, we certainly can.
Yeah, I think consent of the players.
I'm asking Hack if he does.
Cool beans.
Awesome. Actually, I'm going to take this few seconds to run to the bathroom. So give me 1 second.
I'll do the same.
I'll pull the challenge up. We'll mute the cams and just let y'all look at that.
Cool beans. good. Ladies and gentlemen.
How we doing, everybody? Welcome back. Uh-oh, there's a lot of emotes going on. And
Chat's really sad that Amir took the L.
I see. And did we figure out if this is going to be a best of 5?
I haven't gone back from Hack yet. I think he should be getting back to me in a sec. But I don't know. Grim and I think Grim and Valley want to do it. I messaged Fury as well. And I think it makes more sense because usually what people do is they use this as the semis and then they have a finals and they have a grand finals and we just have grand finals be BO9. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, no, and that's, like I said, as long as the players are okay with it is kind of where I'm at. If the players want to do that and it's okay, then that's completely fine with me. That's fine. Okay, cool. So we're just waiting for Fury to give us a yes, but at least for the value, I mean, I think we're safe to say that we can probably do it. Hackers just said in chat that it was okay.
Oh, okay. Then we're good.
Yeah, so it looks like we are pretty much all set as long as Fury gives you a yes, which I actually would be surprised if he doesn't.
Yeah,
so we're just waiting for Enda to come back.
Yeah, I think Fury is more than happy to free Grim. Welcome back.
Hello, hello.
All right, welcome back, Enda. And it does actually look like we are going to do the best of 5 for both the quarterfinals and the semifinals.
And the players are happy with that. I'm absolutely over the moon then. Let's go.
All right, that's a little bit more matches that we get to watch. So the first set's going to be Value versus Hackrish, and it looks like Hackrish is going to be on Mailbreaker.
Interesting setup against Value, but we'll definitely see. Are we ready to go then, gentlemen?
It looks like we are.
All right, ladies and gents. Hack versus Value. Round 4, first round. Let's go.
And there's the bomb in the arena, and we're going to see actually the Dark Pellet coming out from Hackrish, knowing that Value more than likely is on that Dark. Value comes out with the straight sword, able to land the backswing. Hack trying to aggress off of that. 143 damage comes in off of that. Gets a quick little ring swap over. Really good job holding his ground while he's doing that, not making it too obvious. And the running attack comes in from Value. Hack able to actually just get around that entirely, and now trying to find the way in with the damage. So the R1 comes out from neutral. That is going to catch Hack, but not able to land too much. He's going to walk into a R1, landing into a backswing as well. Value able to unfan too much pressure, and Hack doing a really good job keeping it in the corner. Value able to roll out that weapon out. Really good play. There's the first use of Perseverance that we see from Hackrish. So he's able to reset that poise a little bit and try to aggress off of that, hoping that Value would pressure him a little bit. Fortunately, Value able to see that, wait it out, and get back to forward here. And there's going to be the R1s coming in. There's going to be the roll catch, and that's going to be 687 damage. So really good play by Hackrish there to find a little bit more damage on a Value. Hackrish going for the R1 off this Corvian, and Value able to get that away from him with the straight sword here. So Value now trying to keep this pressure forward. There's going to be 2 R1s, actually dates it behind him for a dead angle. Hack almost takes the bait, sees what's happening, and backs out. And now we're going to see Hackrish going for the R1, but Value able to just R1 freely and get some more damage in. So health now leveling out, still a little bit in favor of Value. We'll see how Hackrish able to come back on this Mailbreaker.
It might take Hack just a little bit longer to catch back up, but a couple of little roll catches there, and Hack, he interrupts it. Weapon art interrupted, and Value clips him. It's definitely in Value's favor now. This is a really rough matchup there for Hack. I'm not sure quite what his play is going to be from here. I'm really shocked that he's staying on the Mailbreaker, to be honest with you.
And there's the R1 and the backswing from Value. So 1-0 in our best of 5. Value taking the first match.
Really interesting play there. I was not expecting Breaker versus Values S&B. Very much not expecting it, to
Well,
be perfectly honest with you.
I'm not surprised that we saw it. You know, Hackrish, again, is quite good on Malbreaker, and with the daggers available, Malbreaker's a pretty good dagger. You know, I mean, with what you have available, and we did saw he was able to catch that, you know, catch a little bit, find a roll catch with the weapon art, train into it, and I don't think Value was necessarily expecting that, and he was able to just really keep that pressure forward. Where Hack kind of slipped up was he went for a couple attacks that he really shouldn't have, and Value just read what was happening and attacked those and just kind of won off of that alone. So, you know,
Immediately,
yeah, you know, he went for that weapon art. Value knew he was going to. Perhaps he was a little too liberal with it. He caught him with the R1 and a backswing. He went for a running attack, got caught with an R1 and a backswing. So when you're at this level of play, you know, those last couple, those small little mistakes make or break the match. You know, one small mistake in spacing or one attack you shouldn't have gone for is whether or not you win or lose the round.
Yeah, and your margin for error is so small. When you're up against a player like Value, you have to be super, super careful.
Right.
And to be fair, even against Hack, you have to be super, super careful. But again, fundamentals, those core principles that guide the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
If you slip up, you're in for a world of hurt with them, unfortunately. But we will see what happens. What will Hack do to try and come back from this first round loss? It is a best of 5 now.
It is best of 5.
There's a little
now.
bit more leeway. But
Yeah,
my
and it
heart
looks
is going
like
to be in my throat.
yeah, it looks like we are getting Value summoned back in. And like you and I have talked about, you know, the margin for error these players have is so incredibly small, and those little errors make or break the match. So it's really going to boil down to whether or not Value or Hack, you know, who's going to make more mistakes in these matches. That's going to lead to one of them conceding the match.
One update.
Sure.
Yes.
Challenge has been fixed. Tommy has access, so that's just a little
Magnificent.
Oh, phenomenal. Good.
Delighted to hear.
All
right.
back to the game.
Perfect.
Are we ready to rock and roll?
I think we are.
All right, on a 3, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3. Play ball.
And there's the bomb. Actually throwing a lightning run out from Value here, and that's going to lead Hackrish to taking a running attack, finding the way to get that pressure forward. Does a really good job of capitalizing on it, just unable to find any damage. So now we're going to see Value in neutral here, trying to find those R1s. Good roll from Hackrish to just get out of the way of it. Baits it in to get the running attack, and there's going to be a staggered R1. Really good reactions from Value there to just get away from that, but not all for naught, as he's going to find an R1 and a backswing and another roll catch, but the roll poise comes out from Hackrish there. So Hackrish playing this dagger really, really well, but just got a little too aggressive, and Value, of course, was able to emphasize on that. So now we're going to see the health kind of level out. The running attack comes in, and there's going to be the roll catch again, and that's going to get into an R1, but Value's actually going to win the trade off of that. So Hackrish was perhaps waiting for a roll to catch, and Value just throws out the R1 instead. So Value now trying to whiff punish that Malbreaker. The Malbreaker definitely loses in range, but what it doesn't have in range, it makes up for speed and the pseudo combos that come with it. So as we're seeing kind of play out here, the 119 little bit of damage, but Value actually wins the trade off of a roll catch through the roll poise. So very interesting that, you know, the little bit of damage that he does is actually all for naught there, but he's gonna actually try to find the roll catch there. 225 damage into 110, so now Value is just slowly getting chipped down and has to be aware of that, as he's gonna go for a backstep there, perhaps thinking that Hackrish was gonna try to punish and set up for an R1, but the trade comes out. Hackrish able to get out of that, but the roll catch is gonna, the backswing's gonna roll catch there, and you know, again, we talk about these roll catches from Value, and his ability to just always land a roll catch is quite insane and quite hard to fight against. You have a hard time making those trades when you know you're gonna get backswung out of them.
Just trying to set up the end of tech there to see if Hack is going to walk into anything. I doubt. Oh, man, he actually clips him. Doesn't manage to keep up the pressure there. Hack's kind of up against the wall. Is he going to Mayweather his way out of this? I don't think so. But he does. He gets out of it. Tries to land the weapon art. Fails. Value's kind of slipping and sliding there. Trying to
and there's the weapon art, and that's going to be it! Hackrish is going to take this one in a 1-1.
Oh. Oh, me, oh, my. Ooh, ho, 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 ho. That is incredible. I did not expect that to happen.
Yeah, again, we talk about what Malbreaker loses in those small bits of damage and the small bit of range that it has. It makes up for in the speed of its attacks and its ability to quite easily roll catch with the weapon art. And again, when you're looking at somebody like Value just doesn't really get roll caught, you know, and to be fair, neither really does Hack. So the fact that these players are roll catching one another is absolutely insane, especially with something like as slow as a straight sword and as slow as the weapon off Mailbreaker. So really good play by Hack there. He was down in health, down in aggression, and he used that to aggress Value off of Value's pressure. He flipped the pressure back around on Value. He found the roll catch, and again, when you get hit by that weapon art, you're hit again by it, and that's where the damage of Mailbreaker really shines, is in that weapon art.
And to be honest with you, when there's like the $600 on the line, and you're up against these players of this skill level, and it's all coming down to like 1 or 2 hits, like for Hack to be able to get away from that wall there and able to come back from it. I mean, being up against a wall against Value is not a position you necessarily
Absolutely
want to be in.
not.
And to be able to have the composure and the cool to be able to actually do it, oh man,
Yeah.
great respect. For real though.
Yeah,
All right.
the ability to kind of counteract those nerves and just play really well is one thing that's always astonished me by these players.
For sure, and I think we're ready to go. We have both players on the same setups again, and on a 3, and on a 2, and a 1, 2, 3. LA gamers.
And
We'll
there's
see
the
a bomb
bomb
right
in.
off
We're
the
going to
bat.
see the exact mirror. We're actually see Hack trying to run in for a trade, but Value seeing that and landing an R1. Value forced to roll, though, as Hack trying to go in for a backstab. Still does go for the grab, but unable to actually land it. And now we're going to see, he really should have probably went for an R1 there instead of the weapon art, as Value just quickly able to punish it. And now, you know, have Hack stuck in a situation where he's kind of forfeited half of his health in the very beginning of the match. And let's see how he's going to bounce back from that, as Value doing a really good job controlling neutral here. The trade's going to come out. Value's going to try to backswing out of that. Hack actually getting away from that, and he's going to find a little bit of value out of that perseverance, but unfortunately not able to catch Value with the weapon art that he went for. Again, perhaps an R1 would have been better, but Value positioning himself there to backstab the weapon art, and Hack knows that, goes for the R1 instead, and he's going to walk into the R1 again. And we're going to see Value now kind of taking this match pretty full send here. We're going to see 2 R1s coming out, a little bit of damage, and if Hack can continue chipping this damage through, he definitely stands a chance this match. Goes for the weapon art, perhaps predicting a roll there instead of a block, and there's the R1 in the corner, as Value's going to take this one, leveling it out to a 2-1.
2-1, some really solid reads there. I'm not sure if it's reads or reaction on behalf of Value. I'd have to pick the man's brains to try and figure that out, but exceptionally well done then, realizing that he was going to try and go for the roll catch, thinking that, you know, Value knew he had priority.
Exactly.
Just the big brain, galaxy brain, I dare say.
Yeah, and we saw there a lot now. You know, Hackrish lands that R1 against the block, and instead of R1ing again out of it, he goes for the weapon art. And again, whether or not that was a read or reaction by Value, it's played quite well. You know, realizing what's going to happen and punishing it immediately. Getting, again, those 2 R1s are just, you know, absolute. They do so much damage, even through the Wing Knight armor, even through the black or the dark pellet. It's just doing so much damage to him, and you can't really just freely take those R1s. So I'm curious how Hackrish is going to kind of bounce back from this. I suspect he's going to play this next one a lot slower and not continue that same pressure that he had in that match that we saw, because Value did a really good job of counteracting that just simply by R1ing him and controlling the map.
It's the power of the end of tech, you know? You R1 and then you R1 again and they walk into
Absolutely.
it. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
All right, I think that's Hack
There's
in
Hack
the house.
in, and we are going to see him sticking on the Mailbreaker.
He really likes that dagger.
And
I'm going to give him that much.
you know, I got to say, I can't fault anybody for using a dagger against Value's sword and board. It's not the easiest sword and board in the world to come over. It's quite difficult to counter it. So the dagger definitely isn't a bad play. You know, you lack a lot in damage and range, but you make up for it in other things and different abilities you have with the weapon. So we'll see
advantage.
Exactly.
You know, there's a whole bunch of things. But anyway, gentlemen, nice clean fight. No blows beneath the belt, no biting, no gouging. And on a 3, on a 2, and a 1, LA.
All right, and we're going to see, again, the dagger versus sword and board, and let's see how Hack plans to dance around this sword and board. Value just kind of doing what he's been doing, walking up, throwing those R1s out, trying to counteract it, and there's the R1 back, and here's their weapon art, almost finds the roll catch, so really good idea of going for the weapon art for the punish. Value trying to get behind him and force a roll for a backswing, unable to find either, unfortunately, as Hack's able to just kind of dance around that. There's the trade coming out. The frame advantage is going to be Value able to land a backswing there, and there's the whiff punish coming out, unable to land that. The perseverance comes out for Hack, able to kind of force Value back with it and not find too much. So now we are going to see those R1s coming through now from Hackrish, knowing that Value can just counteract his weapon with the R1 of the straight sword, and he's going to walk into it. So good read on value to see what Hackers is going to do and walk in and just kind of keep the pressure. And we're going to see the health of Hackers falling about half, and there's going to be the weapon R unable to land, but he almost lands the second one.
Whiff punish on us.
Yeah, but the whiff punish just come through from value just to make it all for naught, and there's going to be another R1 from Hackers finding a little bit of chip damage through the roll poise that value has, and now we actually see Morin Blade coming on the offhand to try to stack as much damage as we can. And there's going to be a running attack, 168 damage, and there's going to be a little bit more chip. The frame advantage somehow in favor of value there, as value is able to find that pressure with the straight. And there's going to be the shivs. 6 damage is, again, when you're this low, that damage is a lot. And we're going to see Hackers just trying to dance around them here. Another 6 damage and the 5 to finish it off. And that's going to be value winning the best of 5 and securing himself a spot in the semifinals.
A GG and a WP, both of you. Very well played there on both parts there. That was a rough one. A rough one, dudes. But he manages to pull through in the wind-up. Very well played there to value. And now, I think the next one up then is...
it should be Grim and Fury, yeah.
Fury. Ooh, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, we're seeing... we have Fury and Grim, and again, this is going to be when you really get into those final matches in terms of just the fundamentals the players have is what's really going to set this one apart. They're both extremely good when it comes to fundamentals. They're both very good at the setups they use. So it's just going to be a matter of, like we saw in the last match, who makes less mistakes is what's really going to boil down.
And it's going to be interesting as well because, again, Fury, from what I know, again, correct me if I'm wrong here, is a fantastic fundamentals player. His rustic play is probably the best in the business. Whereas Grim is the new school of like the swap shenanigans.
Exactly.
So we're going to see two play styles go up against each other, and Grim's not going to have the luxury of going to be able to catch him off guard with an awful lot of those silly swaps. So it's going to be interesting to see how Fury's going to be up. Yeah, both of them are going to adapt to each other.
Exactly, yeah. And one of the things I'll mention for what we've seen Grim in this tournament is Grim's still swapping a lot, just not in the same fashion of his normal gameplay, right? He utilizes a lot of different moveset swaps and different glitches when he plays, and those not being allowed in this tournament force him to play a lot more rustic with the swaps. And I do like the play style that he's come up with of swapping to different weapons for running attacks to a neutral R1 and then swapping to a different one for a different neutral R1. But looks like we're going to see him on the Rotten Grew Expo versus Sword and Board of Fury.
And we have Grim on the right and Fury on the left.
I believe so.
And I think we're pretty much ready to go. All right. On a 3, on a 2, on a 1. Allez.
All right, and we're going to see Fury taking a little bit of damage to that straight sword and actually swaps the ring over to immediately get, or not straight sword, apologies, the Expo, swapping that ring over to immediately reset that and get those buffs back. And let's see how Grim's able to handle this. So the fire comes out of the Dragon Head Shield, catches him 173 damage. Grim now forcing Fury to kind of walk into this playstyle of, and there's the running attack off of the Follower Saber and over to the Malbreaker, and actually gets caught out by an R1, goes for this Expo, but actually gets punished instead. So Grim winning the fight there in the terms of the start actually takes a lot of damage that was unnecessary, forcing Fury to kind of continue this pressure. And Fury has the health advantage even after eating that running attack, and he's going to strafe right around that and actually find a roll catch off of the Aztec. Great punish there as he's going to keep trading for it. And there's a backswing, 774 damage in that exchange, and Grim is extremely low. There's the backswing there, and Fury's going to take it.
Oh, man. Grim, what are you doing, buddy? Gonna be okay, gamer. You got this, okay? Let's have the picture of the cat. We'll send it to him. Okay, he got this. You can do this.
And yeah, you know, Fury really started that by somehow predicting Grim was going to swap to S-Stock and do a running attack. And by predicting that, strafed it out entirely and just set himself up to Vortex from there. He landed 2 R1s with a backswing on each, and then found a backswing to roll catch, and then traded with the Expo, and then ended up just roll catching Grim. So Grim started out pretty strong in the fight, just finding those little bits of chip to kind of take the damage over, and just quickly by one, again, we talk about that one mistake that really changes it was that running attack on S-Stock that Fury was 100% was aware of and just danced around it without a problem and just pressured from there.
Grim was so lucky he didn't get BS'd there.
Yes.
So lucky that only was 2 R1s as opposed to a backstab and then a backswing and then pressure then from there.
Right.
Like, as bad as that was, that could have been like an awful lot worse. And I'm not sure how much of that was luck.
Right.
And how much was that just a mistake on behalf of Fury there. One of the few we might see.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. It's, again, I sound like a broken record, but it really is just at this point, it's about who makes less mistakes. And the person that makes the less mistakes is going to win. You're looking at two of the best players in the world, and whoever makes the less mistakes in those two players, that's who's going to win the match.
Yeah, saying NA players are the best in the world. Okay, I see how it is, LB.
I said two of. I said two of. Don't worry, Enda. You're on that list, my friend.
All right. And a 3, and a 2, and a 1. May the best Sweat Lord win. Let's go.
All right, and we're going to see that Expo come out immediately. Actually swamps it over for the Rotten Grew instead, and now trying to... Fury just backing up, letting Grim kind of take the time he needs to get things set up, and takes the block on the Expo there, and actually baits in the running attack for Grim and finds a backswing of his own. And we're going to see now Fury controlling the map here. The R1 comes out for Rotten Grew. Fury trying to dance around that and continue the pressure, and he's going to keep throwing these R1s out and try to find damage. There's going to be 2 R1s and a backswing. Grim able to get away from the next backswing, though. Really, really good patience on that roll, knowing that backswing's coming and to dance around it. And we're going to see the R1 now coming out from neutral on Grim, forcing Fury to roll there as he walked right up into his pressure. The swap for the curve sword there for the running attack, and goes for it again on the follower saber. And I assume we're going to see Godhards coming out after this. And we're going to see that block coming out, and he's going to get a little bit of chip damage onto him. There's the Malbreaker going for the R1, back over to the Godhards and over to the Dragon Head Shield. And let's see how he's able to find that here, as we're going to see Fury just sticking on this sword and board and trying to aggress it. Dragon Head Shield comes out through the Turtle of Fury, and Fury not phased by that at all. Actually finds an R1 and a backswing, unable to continue the pressure forward, as Grim does do that rolling attack on the S-Stock to force him back. And actually Rotten Grew now comes out from the side of Fury. I'm curious if losing that shield is a good thing with Rotten Grew or not, and Grim's going to try to find it here. Goes for the bait and tries to land an R1. Unfortunately doesn't land it. The running attack comes in from Fury. There's going to be the R2 to roll catch up, but the poise comes through, and now Grim's trying to flip this match around as Fury sticking on this Rotten Grew. The off-stock comes out, or the S-Stock comes out from Grim, and now over to the Expo Bolt trying to get Fury to walk into it. There's going to be the shield coming out to counteract the Expo there, and now Grim's going to walk forward. We are going to see the straight sword come back out from Fury, and we see these players just kind of swap back and forth of what they're using. There's going to be the R1, goes for the backswing and actually lands it. 186 damage. What a good delayed backswing that we see Fury do there to actually catch it off, and here's that Dragon Head Shield to try to finish this match out. Grim's trying to find any type of aggression he can, but he's forced back into the corner with that Dragon Head Shield again, able to roll at that time. The running attack from Fury trying to set him off, unable to land that. Running attack comes through on the Rotten Grew, unable to land too much off of it, and Grim just throwing these R1s out from neutral. Here comes the bomb trying to bait it out, and now we see Fury just trying to set these R1s up to catch him in, and we're going to see him with that Dragon Head Shield again, trying to find it. The running attack from Grim, but the spacing comes out, and he gets the roll catch, and that's going to be Fury in a 2-0 in this best of 5.
Grim's positioning was so badly punished all the way through this fight. It's really unfortunate to see a good player been put in a bad spot, but Fury was in pretty much every missed running attack,
Right.
in punishing him for his positions, his backswings, just everything was punished there, and Grim wasn't in a position to be able to punish him quite as often. It's rather unfortunate to watch, but incredible play there on behalf of Fury.
Yeah,
really well done.
One thing that really, I think the tilting point of that match that really went in favor of Fury was they were kind of going back and forth in this same setup of they'll miss an R1, I'll miss an R1, I'll throw a weapon R, or I'll throw the head shield or whatever it might be. They'll do something out to try to mess the other player up. But what really was the tipping point of that was Fury landing that backswing that he delayed almost a full second, knowing that Grim was going to roll the backswing. So again, we get into this mental gymnastics when you're looking at players that are this good. Of Fury knows that Grim's going to know that go to avoid the backswing, so he just delays it that much further to make sure it lands, and that was really threw Grim off and allowed Fury to keep the pressure forward.
Keep him in the pressure, put him into compromising positions, and it's unfortunate that the swap-up play style isn't as heavily rewarded as it could be,
It is.
Because rustic play is just that much a little bit better, I think. That's a personal opinion. Chat can fight me on it, you can fight me on it if you insist. But
I think it's I don't think it's quite as big of a gap. And Grim does it probably better than anybody else, but it's still, once you read the swaps that are going to come out, it loses its ability to trip people up. Kind of like we talked about with those off-meta weapons, relying on people to walk into you. It's kind of the same with swaps, is you have to rely them not knowing what you're going to do. And these players, their ability to read what's going to happen is so incredibly insane. But I think we are all set.
Right. We're all set and ready to go. So on a 3, on a 2, on a 1... back in your corner, back in your box. Go.
And there's the bomb there. All right, so we're going to see again Grim on Rotten Grew and Straight Sword and a Black Knight Shield coming out from Fury. So Fury trying to find the way through positioning here to take the damage onto Grim. Grim staying on he actually swaps over to the Curved Sword there to get a little bit of damage, gets a little bit of chip through that shield, and nothing Fury's going to really shake his head at as he is immediately up in his face. And we see the S-Stock coming out from Grim now, trying to find a way to counteract that. The S-Stock was the thing that got him in trouble the last time he used it, but we'll see how it continues going. This time just throwing these R1s out, and he puts himself in a position to get hit there from Fury, but able to reaction roll the Straight Sword quite well. And we're going to see Fury really controlling this. The R1s come out, the running attack comes in favor of Fury. Grim throws out an R1 on that. Follower Saber, but unable to actually do too much with that. And there's going to be a really good block by Fury there to see that Expo Bolt coming out in 180 and just completely negate any of the damage. And we're going to see the running attack come through from Shodal again. All of Grim's damage to this point has just been off of chip, but Grim's going to get hit twice by the Straight Sword of Fury. And now we're finally going to see that ring swap come through from Fury to really maximize what rings he has on here. And we're going to see again that bolt coming through from Grim. And the running attack from Fury actually catches him, gets an R1 and a backswing, goes for it again, but Grim able to position himself to punish the backswing, and Fury able to backswing behind him. So again, the mental gymnastics of these players is absolutely insane. And what spacing comes out from Fury there? He missed the Grew by millimeters and lands the R1s and almost lands the R2. And now we're going to see Grim just trying to pressure this with that Expo Rotten Grew, and Grim actually misses the Expo, goes for a trade, and we're going to see the kick coming out, but the R1 beats him out, and that's going to be a 3-0 sweep for Fury against Grim.
Those OGs were built different. Oh my god.
And now we actually get to see Value and Fury in the next best of 5.
I'm not gonna lie that I'm really excited for this one. I actually don't know how this one is gonna go.
It's I don't know, man. There's a lot going on, and like I said, we're reaching the point where it's no longer about the base play of the game. It comes into this mind game of who can set up their setups better and who can find these things. And Fury did a really, really good job of those mental gymnastics. Like I said, I mean, some of the spacing we saw that I thought for sure he was hit by that Rotten Grew, and by the time the Rotten Grew missed him, he was already hitting Grim with an R1. Like you talked about earlier, the confidence in knowing that you aren't going to get hit, that confidence is second to none. And it allows you to do things that if you're playing more cautiously, you can't do. So the ability to play that, I don't want to say reckless, but play that confident and not have any anything counteracted is insanely good. The Value versus Fury matchup is going to be quite good. I think we're going to see Rotten Grew come out from Fury, and I think we're going to see Sword and Board come out from Value.
And just as a footnote on the last fight, like I just like to keep in mind, like Grim is an excellent player.
Grim is probably a top tier player. Yeah, like he's a very good player.
Swapper, I would argue, to be honest with you, out in the wild. And damn, like it just goes to show the caliber of Fury and all of this. Like as much as we love to meme on Grim, but you cannot set aside his skill and his ability to play the game. But damn, really impressive stuff. Really, really impressive stuff. And I think we're just waiting on these two.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Value and Fury to get through. So I'm actually going to take this time to take a peek. So this is where we're at. This is where we've come from. And I want to take a look at what we have in the losers bracket. So it looks like Red Light beat Porpy. Looks like Snips got the bye versus Ren, and Chicken beat Galoo, and Patches beat Bama. And we then saw Red Light beat Bames. So it was Red Light and Takeman, Smoke Wolf and Snips, Amir. And actually Snips was able to beat out Emperor. So I'm curious if he able to land some parries or if he just managed to beat him through.
Wait, who came through? Snips beat Emperor, did he?
Snips beat Emperor in a 2-1.
Damn.
So I'm curious if the parries got him or not. Is this one best of 9? This is still best of 5. So again, this is going to be a best of 5, and then this match is going to be a best of 9, and if necessary, this match will be a best of 9. Just to clear up some questions. We're still in best of 5s, and then these two matches will be best of 9s.
So LB, what you reckon? I have a strange feeling Value's going to come out here with S&B.
Really? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
We'll just have to wait and see, Fury on Grew, I think. I'm not sure. Has my game crashed? No, I guess.
Yeah, again, Value, if you and Fury want to do a best of 9, I won't tell you not to. That's entirely up to you guys. If we have the time, if you want to make it a best, this is not a final, this is the semifinals. But again, if you want to do a best of 9, you're more than welcome.
It's between yourself and Fury, man.
Yeah, that's completely fine. It's up to the players at that point. We have the time to do it. It's up to you guys. But yeah, so I suspect we're going to see Rotten Brew coming out from Fury. We're going to see Sword and Board coming out from Value. I think in the Sword and Board mirror, Value has a bit of an edge, just because, you know, Fury has, I'm sure there's still rust that he's shaking off as it took a very long break and came back for this. So I think in the Sword and Board mirror, Value probably has the upper hand, and I think Fury knows that, and I think Fury's going to come out on Rotten Brew because of that.
Well, they're both on very fundamental setups, and those frame
Exactly.
advantages and some of those priorities and stuff like that are going to be really useful
Exactly.
in the curved sword, you know. And plus, if he does manage to get it to sink his teeth in with the curved sword, it's going to be pretty nasty. You know, that vortex potential is really rough, but he needs to actually land it. That's the tech.
Right.
Did any of them say in chat that they want to do it?
Value does, but I haven't heard from Fury.
I haven't heard
I
from
think
Fury.
will as well. I DM'd him, but I'll get back to him after this match. All right.
So what's the diagnosis then? Is this going to be a best of 9?
We're
or
waiting
is
to
it
see
gonna
if
be
Fury wants to do it. Like I said, at this point, it's up to the players because the rules as written, this was still a best of 5 because again, the reason we did that, we didn't know how much time we had because there's 20 players and a whole losers bracket to get to. So the reason that we set best of 3s and best of 5s and only wanted to do 1 or 2 best of 9s was just because there's 20 people playing and we didn't know how fast these rounds were going to be. So just for the I would be more than happy to have a best of 9 here, but again, I'm not going to tell the players, hey, you signed up for this best of 5, but we're going to make it a best of 9. It's 100% in their hands.
Fury wants it to be a best of 5, so.
He wants it to be a best of 5. I think we defer then to
then it will be
to
a
the
best of
original
5.
setup,
So
yeah.
that's
Best
what
of
it'll
5.
be, and looks like we're ready. Doesn't. All right, they're actually going to meet and bow in the middle, so you know we do
That's
love to
very
see
cute.
that as we're
Very,
now
very
moving
wholesome.
for our best of 5.
All right, into the corner Value. Come on. Yep. All right. Very exciting on a 3, on a 2, on a 1, 2, 3. LA.
And there's the bomb there. So we're going to see the Blossoms come out from both players and Rotten Brew coming out from Fury, Straight Sword, Black Knight Shield coming out from Value, dancing around one another here. And Value's trying to get that pressure, the running attack. Really good job not scripting that out too much, but Value's still able to see it and react to it. Value now trying to get that corner pressure that Sword and Board needs, but Fury not letting him do that. Goes for the whiff punish off Rotten Brew. Value trying to set up for some type of vortex off of that backswing behind him, but unable to find it. The chip damage comes through. Value able to roll those out. And there's the backswing on the Straight Sword. So health kind of leveling out now at this point. Fury getting that ring swap up, get that damage back on that sword ring, and let's see how they're going to continue moving forward. The R1 comes out, able to get around that and go for the whiff punish, unable to land it. The R1's coming out from Value now, throwing out behind each player, just throwing them behind at this point. The mental gymnastics are through the roof as they're going to continue going off in this neutral match. As Value still just throwing these R1s out, trying to set something up off of that movement. Fury doing a good job of baiting in and out, but Value's going to find him there, and there's a backswing. A total of 171 damage comes out in that interaction, and we're going to see the R1 coming out. Really good roll from Value as we're seeing this Rotten Brew have a really hard time aggressing the Sword and Board of Value. Value still kind of putting himself in a corner and trying to get out of that by hugging the wall here. The R1s come out, and Fury trying to get around these R1s to keep the pressure moving forward. Almost corners himself, but able to try to find the whiff punish. Value able to roll it out. Insanely fast roll from Value, able to get out of the way of that Rotten Brew. And we're going to see the R1 going behind him again and really trying to push this forward. The R1 comes out, the running attack. Value able to block. Gets a little bit of chip damage through, but still the block comes through. And we're going to see now this Rotten Brew really trying to pressure out the Sword and Board. So far, Value holds the health advantage. We'll see how there's going to be 2 R1s. Goes for the third, but Value able to roll that out. And now R1's into the corner, trying to set Fury up to walk into him and keep the pressure. But there's the backswing from Value. One thing I'll note, Value's positioning is second to none here. He runs around before he goes for the R1 to ensure he's going to get that backswing. And now we're going to see Fury running forward, trying to land this. Value with the R1 bait behind, trying to bait out the whiff punish to punish it. And Fury just walks into that one, though. One R1 comes through, and there's the second. Goes for the whiff punish, but the spacing for Value is just too good. Continues these R1s forward.
Oh, man.
Value will
This
not
is
roll. He's
incredible.
just pressing R1, and Fury's having a hard time countering that. There's one R1, goes for the backswing, unable to land it, and there goes for a fake backstab, trying to land the backswing. Here's Value, and there's going to be a trade coming through, but no, it's just going to be an R1, and R2, and Value's going to take this in the 1-0.
Holy heck. The spacing in that entire round was insane. Let's not beat around the bush here. This is the game played at probably the highest level I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. They're both engaged. There's not an ounce of passivity going on here. They're permanently in each other's faces.
Correct.
That was exceptional on both of their parts there. There was a bit of give and take. There was pressure from one corner to the other. absolutely amazing play there on behalf of Value to finish it off, and Fury as well, like trying to find his way in. Really solid stuff. Well played, gentlemen.
One
well
of the
played.
things I think worth mentioning on the Rotten Grew Sword and Board matchup is obviously, yes, on paper, Rotten Grew is going to win because it's faster, it has roll catch, vortex, everybody knows the reasons. But one of the things that's really hard to counteract when you're on a curve sword, when you're fighting Sword and Board, is that we talked about this 50-50 a little bit before, Enda. When you're walking towards that person, it's either a 50-50 that they're going to R1 or they're not. And if they are one, and we saw that happen a few times where Fury's in Value's face trying to get him to roll, and instead Value R1s. And a couple times he got hit by that. So it makes that matchup really hard when you're playing at that level of play. Value isn't going to just panic roll the wiggle. Instead, he's going to R1 block, do something else, and it makes that curve sword a lot harder.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think as well as that, like if we were on something like, let's say, a Simi compared to Gru, I think it'd be a little bit more even. In terms of, like, obviously at this level of play, it's a little bit different. But yeah, I think the roll catch potential would be much better. But I think both players are ready to go. Are you ready to rock?
It looks like we're all set.
Let's. On a 1, on a 2, on a 1, 2, 3. Allez, gentlemen.
And there's the bomb in, and we see the pellet coming out and then the blossom coming out from Value. So Fury really trying to avoid any damage. Goes for the whiff punish, nearly lands it. Value R1's behind him to try to avoid that whiff punish. Does a really good job of doing that. Still Value with these R1s behind, trying to set Fury up. Fury goes for the R1 behind of himself, trying to get Value to walk into the space of the curve sword. And we actually see Fury thinks about going for the turtle and decides to stick on Rotten Grew here. And we're going to see him try to pressure this sword and board of Value. Goes for the running attack, and Value goes behind to set up that backswing. And that's actually going to cost him a little bit of damage. So going to try to set himself up to land the backswing causes him to take some damage to the curve sword. And we're going to see Fury now just playing very, very passive aggressive here of finding those small bursts of energy to go in. There's the perseverance, goes for the trade off of it, but Value able to get a little bit of damage and get out of the way. And he's going to try to keep him in the corner here now and keep these backswings forward. And Fury actually somehow causes Value to push away, but doesn't land any damage. So uses position to get out of the corner, but immediately corners himself again as Value's not letting him take the center of this map. There's the R1 from Rotten Grew to try to whiff punish, and Fury's having a hard time getting the space he needs against Value here. But there it is, 2 R1s and goes for the third, and Value actually blocks and goes again. So reads that Fury's going to set up for a vortex and instead R1's out of it. So really good play by Value there to save himself the damage that Rotten Grew can cause. And the R1 behind from Fury really trying to get this pressure forward. There's the R1 again as Value's just trying to keep this curve sword away and Fury's trying to find a way in.
I think Value is going to want to try and push him into the corner. He's on SMB, obviously, but more so than that, like, Fury's going to be at an advantage in the center of the table much more than if he has a little bit of pressure on him constantly. It's going to be pretty rough to try and get in on it, that range advantage that Goddard's has. Frame advantages are what they are. Really nice backswing there.
Absolutely insane spacing by Value to find that backswing. And we did see Fury find a few R1s, and the health looks like it is in favor of Fury at this point, but Value slowly chipping that back as, again, Value is not letting Fury control the map, but there's 2 R1s, goes for the delay for the roll catch. Value able to see that and get out of the way, and now we're going to see if Fury can't finish this one out. Goes for the R1 from neutral. Value with an R1 and a backswing, unable to land either, but there's the backswing. He walks into it. Able to throw behind him, trying to get him to walk into it again, but Fury able to see that and moves out of the way. So again, Value controlling the center of the map, not letting Fury in, and there's the running attack. He doesn't find too much outside of the 2 R1s, but those are still 2 R1s and a lot of damage that Fury has now taken permanently. And Value's leveling this health advantage out quite even at this point, and both players a few R1s away from death. We'll see if Fury can't finally close this out or if Value's going to take this 2-0. And we see Value do a really good job controlling this map, again, not letting Fury out of the corner off of almost movement alone. And when Fury finds a way out, he pushes him in the other corner, but 73 damage comes in for Chip. So Fury's reached that point now where he can almost just freely aggress Value, and Value has to play around it. And there's the whiff punish there. And that's going to be Fury leveling this out in a 1-1.
1-1. I think this is going to go all the way to 5, to be completely honest with you. Just like both of these guys they're so close in both of those matches. Like, and yeah, this is nuts. This is actually nuts. I'm so happy to be a part of this, LB. Thank you so much for having me on. To be able to watch this.
This is quite fun to watch. I mean, like I said, you're looking at 2 of the best players in the world, and probably I think I don't know if it's safe to say that Value is the best sword and board in the world, but he's definitely on the list. So
I'd plant the flag there. I'd
yeah.
plant him as the best S&B
And,
that's currently active.
you know, you see
definitely.
Fury's trying to get around that with the Rotten Brew, and he's done a pretty good job of it. The first match was kind of probably finding footing against, you know, he hasn't fought another sword and board like Values this tournament. So it takes that little bit of rust and that little bit of figuring it out to get around it, and finally does manage it and lands a couple little bit of whiff punishes that we see. One thing I'm going to note is that curve sword, we aren't seeing the vortex that you would normally see a curve sword have. And, you know, Fury 1 knows that he's not going to be able to land those against Value, and Value's doing a really good job of avoiding them. So really good play on both sides. And like you said, I'm sure we're going to see this go through to a match 5.
I have that strange feeling. Dude. I have a strange feeling we're going to see it. Like, both of these guys are exceptional players. It's really nice to see. All right. We got the ring swap there. We're both ready. So on a 3, on a 2, and a 1, 2, 3. Allez, gents, allez.
And there's the bomb in, and we're going to see again the pellet coming out from Fury and the blossom coming out from Value. Value throwing out the R1, Fury quick to punish it, Value gets out of the way. And now we see Fury controlling the middle of the map this time, as Value's quickly finding his way back to that center ground though, and kind of planting his feet there. Doing a really good job of keeping this pressure in, and he's going to actually try to find some punish on that running attack, but Fury knows he's going to punish it and throws in an R1 of his own. Finds a little bit of chip damage, but still realistically that's hardly any damage at this point in the fight and really can go either way. And we're going to see Fury throwing an R1 there, but Value able to reaction out of that without an issue. And Value just baiting out these R1s, throwing it behind him, trying to force Fury to do something, gets him in the corner, and that's a free backswing. So we see Fury again taking a little bit of damage just from being in the corner. Again, that backswing from Value, second to none.
We're seeing a little bit more of a subdued Value right now. I know it doesn't seem it, but every time he tried to he over-aggressed. Last time he was punished beautifully by Fury. And I think that's what really cost him in the wind-up. Those, like, over-aggression ending up, like, far too close to a curved sword for one's own good. And this time we're seeing he's a bit more careful with his spacing and his rolls. Jesus, these rolls, man. I can't believe it. Really, really solid play there on his path. And Fury dancing around there, trying to break out of that corner because he knows what's coming. A backswing to death.
Yeah, there's the whiff punish to a backswing to land another backswing, but Value somehow finds himself in the corner after landing that mix-up. So really, really good on Fury to keep the pressure, but Value now keeping the pressure forward and not letting him get him in the corner. And though the pressure of Curve Sword in the corner isn't as good as Sword and Board, it's still there and it's still a Curve Sword. So we're going to see the R1s coming out from Fury, doing a good job keeping Value back and not letting him aggress. And there's the Wiggles. Excellent discipline from Value to not panic that and just wait for that R1 to come through. 2 R1s come through, 163 damage on the backswing there. And now we're going to see Value going over to a crossbow, but just quickly gets over to the shield to try to avoid this and unable to land the roll catches Fury. So Value does panic it a little bit, but Fury also kind of messes up on his side and not able to aggress it. And we're going to see the Expo Bolt come out from Value. Decent free aim there, but able to get around it entirely. And now we're seeing Value just trying to force that turtle coming out from the Gru. The Perseverance comes out, unable to land too much. Perhaps thought Value was going to trade into that, and to be frank, so did I. And we're going to see now this R1 coming down. Sorry, the R1's coming out now. It's going to be 2 R1s land, and now the whiff punish comes in from Fury, and now we're going to see Fury just slowly falling down, and there's going to be a whiff punish, but no! Value gets around it entirely, and now Value pushed back in the corner here. Fury trying to find the pressure off of it, trying to set up for a backswing as Value. Fury's aware of that and gets out of the way, and now we're going to see these R1s coming out from Value. Value doing a good job of setting up for that backstab to try to punish it, but there's another backswing comes out from Value there, and Fury really trying to find the pressure here and keep it moving forward, but Value able to just walk out of the curved sword, just split,
just walks,
and there's going to be 2 hits, and now we're going to see a Value coming through. Now he's going to find the backswing there, extremely low is the side of Fury, and here's going to be that Expo. It's not going to chip through. 29 damage is not what he needed to win, and Value's got to be getting low on that, and that's going to be the chip right there, and that's a 2-1 lead for Value. My goodness.
Damn, that was exceptional, dude.
Value just walking out of that R1? No
probably
words.
The most hyped
No
thing I've
words.
seen. I'm not gonna lie.
No words, man. Just walks out of it. Knows he's not going to get hit.
Cool as a cucumber. Just kind of, this is okay. Kind of like, Sonder out. Jesus. Oh,
Yikes. I think the play is getting to a level that I'm having a hard time actually breaking down what they're doing wrong. And it's like, it's hard to really call out these mistakes when they're so tiny, and it's not even that they made a mistake, it's that the other player just kind of outplayed them that little bit.
It's not even, I think there was a couple of times their Value had an R1, but like, oh man, it's like, I don't know, it's like you miss an R1, like that's the most exciting. That's the most exciting fuck up you're gonna do, I think, at this level.
Right.
You had an opportunity, like Value had at least maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to R1 there, when he spaced and just took the safer option, at least from my
Exactly.
perspective.
Yeah.
Like they're the kind of mistakes you're making. It's like missed opportunities. That's literally it.
Yeah,
was like,
like
damn.
we talked about, you know, there's a couple times Value kind of panicked the curved sword, but Fury just wasn't there to punish it as fast. And like, I mean, we're talking about the level of play that we're at is that the mistakes aren't like they're so few and far between that these other players aren't even necessarily ready to capitalize it on it because they aren't expecting to see the mistake from the other player. It's quite insane to see.
And Hack has just said, yeah, you guys have a point, but to be fair, when have we ever seen S&B like this ever? I mean, that is a good point. Value is definitely one of a kind, and but there's 2 one of a kinds here, so that's what we got. Are we ready to rock?
I think we are, and this is actually going to push a match point versus Fury here.
All right, let's go, gamers.
And there's the
LA.
bomb in. We're gonna see the pellet from Fury and the blossom from Value. So Fury optimizing for damage, Value optimizing for stamina, and let's see how they can continue forward.
Was that a throwing knife?
It might have been.
Interesting. I think he was trying to bait out an R1 there, just on
that you might
Twitch
not reach.
reflexes, I think. That was, oh, nice. He walks into it.
Never disappoint.
End detect for the win. Out comes the Expo straight off the bat. Now that's interesting.
Yeah, and he does actually, it's not all for naught. He does find a little bit of damage there with that Expo, and there's going to be the R1, and he's trying to set up the panic, but again, the roll discipline from Value refusing to panic that curved sword is second to none, and I know it doesn't look like much as it's easier to see these wiggles from down here, but when you're in that arena and that curved sword's in your face, the ability to just have the patience to wait until you actually see the R1 and also have the reaction to get away from it is second to none. And we're going to see 2 R1s coming in for a backswing and actually finds a roll catch as well. That's a good chunk of damage comes through from Value there to kind of set up the moving forward here. And we're going to see this Rotten Groot try to aggress in the corner, but Value just R1ing from neutral and keeping him at bay. Again, we talk about that it's hard for him to actually aggress Value here because Value does have the range that he can just R1. So let's see how they're able to continue forward, and we're going to see R1s moving forward here. And again, this back into neutral here, Value controlling the center of the map, goes for a backswing, I'm going to land it, there's going to be the whiff punish, continues the vortex over, 800, 10,000, 1,900 damage comes out from Fury here, and just backs up. And he's going to be pushed to get out of the corner, and he has the health to waste for it, and actually rolls out that running attack from Value. So really, really good reads from Fury there, but Value's going to find the R1 and get a little bit of damage there as they continue moving forward here, and they find it moving out, and there's going to be backswings there, unable to land too much, but Fury was against the wall, but still able to roll out of the way. R1's moving back here, and there's the perseverance from Fury, trying to find a way in. The R1 comes out, unable to land it, and Value really pushing himself back here, not wanting to make too many mistakes off of aggression, and there's an R1, again, really good rolls from Value to freely get away from that R1, and is 2 rolls again there from Value to get away from these R1s from Fury.
It's incredible to watch these guys. It's literally a dance. Fury's a little bit more comfortable. I can kind of feel it. He's more comfortable. He's more willing to go for these trades and stuff. That way, especially that he's a life advantage. Fury's kind of like he's pushing the aggression. He understands he can because Value's just on the back foot here completely. But damn, the equalizer. I think they're pretty much even, and then the backswing again.
Yeah,
Value's one hit each.
Yeah, Value's really finding these backswings to level this out. Again, that chip damage, and actually we see Sword and Board come out from Fury here, and Fury's fat rolling by the looks of it. I think he got that figured out at this point as he's trying to avoid the R1s, and there's the backswing. Not able to find it, but there's the roll catch, and that's going to be 3-0 for Value, securing himself a slot in the final round to win part of the $600.
Was it 3-1, wasn't it? Or was it 3-0?
That's 3-1.
Damn, dude. That was absolutely incredible. That was probably the most hype match we've had so far.
Yeah.
Holy... Like... What the hell?
Yeah, that's quite... I mean, again, you're talking about... I'm out of words, and I'm gonna rely on you to to come up with something for this, because I'm definitely out of words a little bit.
I think those Xbox gamers are built different. To be honest with you, they're a different breed. I think like 60 FPS is a cheat. To be honest with you.
Oh,
But
man.
honestly, Fury, that was incredible. Like, you may have lost that, but God, Damn, dude, that was exceptional. Really, really, really nice play from both of you there.
Yeah.
The patience, I'm beyond words. Like just the restraint in terms of those rolls all the way through.
Right.
Just like, yeah, incredible. And value. Just you get head pats. That's all I got for you, bro. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the ability to dance around the curve sword, and I can't stress enough that Value's roll discipline was absolutely insane. Like his ability to just kind of dance around those attacks that were coming and not panic those wiggles.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So I'm actually gonna throw this over so we can kind of keep an eye on what's going on in our losers bracket.
Yeah, losers bracket.
So I'll
yeah,
flip
I'm
that up.
super interested.
Again, Tommy and Kevin are running this one. I'm actually going to close out of the full screen so we can see everything going on here. But Tommy of a Store is streaming that if you want to catch his commentary. But I'll just be kind of hanging out with Enda here as we take a look. It looks like Snips is actually on the 50-50 still. So we're curious how Smokewood's going to deal with that.
I mean, I go on S stock against like most likely Smoke's going to be on an
Did
S
he
stock,
just
like, it's
accidentally
very
do the weapon art of the profane he went to use Black Flame, and I think he accidentally did the weapon art of that pyro hand. I'm drawing the name on it, but he essentially was trying to recover Estus.
Oh man,
That's funny.
I'm just having a quick look here. I'm not actually sure how this one's going to pan
I
out.
got a question.
Yes, sir.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm wrong or not, but I'm pretty sure Value is just secured his place for at least second place, no matter
Correct. Yeah, Value has secured himself for at least second place.
$180. What an
Don't spend it all in one place,
Right.
Value, all right?
Yeah, don't spend it on one anime, okay?
Don't spend it on the sweets.
And then whoever takes it in the final match of losers will determine who secures themselves at least that, or if a $60 prize as well. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Incredible.
Yeah, I'm going to jump over to the
Absolutely
challenge really quick so we can take a look at this. So it looks like we're going to see so it's Smoke and Snips and then Takeman and Red Light. So there's actually
And
quite a
then we
few
have-
matches for this losers bracket yet.
There's Chicken and Myers going through there. Myers all the way through, pretty much since the second round.
Oh my goodness, look at Kevin.
Oh no, what's he doing? Is he
Oh
shirtless?
my goodness, he's not entirely. That's something. So my question, folks, is do you guys want me to raid over to Tommy so we can watch the end of that and then he'll raid back into us for the finals, or do you want to hang out here with us and just kind of watch this
Shoot the
muted
shit for a bit.
Yeah, just kind of hang out. It's up to you guys. I don't mind either way. We do have quite a few matches left, so it would certainly wouldn't hurt to send us over there.
We could always just send it over to Tommy, I think, to be honest with you. I think that might be the play here, although I'll defer to chat, I think.
Yeah, I think that might be the play as well. Is send him
Pretty
over there
optimal,
and
not
then
gonna
just
lie.
have him send it back. So we're gonna go ahead and do that really quick. Let me get this raid going. I almost just tried to raid in Tommy's chat. It's it's fine. You get that on these big jobs.
It's been a
so.
long few.
Let's jump over to Tommy and watch the rest of the losers bracket. And as he gets closer to the end of that final match there, we'll go ahead and start our stream back up and he'll rate us back over. So guys, we'll see you.